So we start with our very first money model in the book, which is an attraction offer, win your money back. So win your money back is one of these incredibly sexy offers that I start with because it's made me more money than any other offer that I'm going to show you. Let's dive in. We're going to go through how I learned it, the description, the examples, important points, and summary. All right, so this is my beautiful doodle that exemplifies what this is. So I was in this gym mastermind where I signed up before I had a gym because I wanted to learn about the gym business. And this guy, Danny, he said he had a client say no, and then said, "Well, I'll pay you $500 and you can train me one on one. And if I lose 20 pounds in 8 weeks, you give me the money back, but I'll let you use my pictures." And so, Danny was like, "Well, I'd rather take the money than not take the money." And so he did the deal. The dude got amazing results. And the thing is that once the guy got amazing results, he advertised the before and after of this dude, and he got like 13 more customers from advertising this guy's results. And so he started talking about that at this mastermind. We then took it at the gym that I was at with Sam, and we tried a 6-week version of it to shorten it. It was still one-on-one PT, personal training. And so then I had the idea of, hey, one, let's see if we run ads for this instead of just being like a thing that we tell our customers. And two, what if we made it large group instead of personal training? And so those two changes took this from this is a profitable thing to this being a money nuclear bomb. And so we then switched it to free and non-free versions with credit back and money back guarantees, which I'll explain in more detail. All right. So that's how I learned it. And it was an iteration. I mean, this was like a year, 2 years before we learned every single thing that I'm going to share with you in like 8 or 10 minutes. So now that's how I learned it. Let's go into the description. All right. What does this thing even mean? So a win your money back offer works like this. So you set a goal for your customer and then you tell them how to reach it. And if they reach it, then they qualify to get their money back or get it back as store credit. And so there's kind of three versions of this. So version one is they bet that they're going to get results. They bet that they're going to take a certain set of actions, or they bet that they're going to do a combination of both. And so let's walk through each of them. So with results, no matter what they do, if the customer gets the result, then they win the money back. So for example, making X dollars a month, getting Y customers, losing Z pounds, so losing 20 pounds. You can starve yourself, not show up to anything, but if you lose 20 pounds, you get the money back, right? Basically, they bet on their ability to just reach the goal. The second version of this is that you hold them accountable to doing actions instead of getting results. So no matter what results they get, if the customer does what you tell them to, then they qualify to win their money back. So for example, they attend all sessions, calls, meetings, they log progress, they take pictures, they do assigned homework. They bet on their ability to follow directions. That's the bet. Or you do both, is that they have to both follow your directions and they have to get the goal. Now, the thing with both is oftentimes a customer doesn't have the skill to reach the goal, which is why giving them the directions and tying them both together can be important to getting them the best results possible. As an aside, you want to tie the actions that you require them to do to qualify for the refund with the actions that do two things. One, that advertise your business, and two, that get them the best results. All right. So what ends up happening with the win your money back offer is that it becomes a high cash flow choreographed onboarding. So if you currently onboard customers, then you're not getting paid for it. It's a cost to your business. And so I would rather make it a revenue generator for my business. And so the nice thing is that it works even for people who don't come in for free offers. So this offer works so well. When people came in just because of the referrals and whatnot, I still gave them this offer because people got better results. They were more invested and it was fun. And so we got better results out of this than any other program. And so a lot of people think that we made the money on the people who didn't hit the goal. Couldn't be further from the truth. The people who didn't hit the goal, a lot of times they wouldn't necessarily want to become customers. We had 78% success rates of people hitting their goal. The magic was, again, I didn't wait till the end of their program anyways. I would be upselling them at 3 weeks into their 6-week thing. And so I'd say, hey, you're down 12 pounds. If you lose 8 more, you're going to be happy forever? They would be like, no. And you're like, okay, well, you want to lose 50, right? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, so you realize it's not about these 6 weeks. They say yes. I'm like, great, then you won the challenge as far as I'm concerned. Because you realize it's about a lifestyle change, not a 6-week, weight loss thing. I just use that to get you in. But what I really want is for you to make this big change. And so if you're good with it, what I want to do is take this money and I want to give it to you back to you as though you've already won. And let's just credit towards the main goal you have. And so by doing that, we could take the short-term goal and flip it into the long-term goal. And so this particular model of acquisition, this offer, works well with businesses that require customers to do a lot in order to be successful. And so there's some businesses where like you work on the roof of the house gets fixed. There's really not a lot for the customer to do there. So the win your money back, not the right money model for that. If you have a business where someone has to take action in order to see results, this is very common in service businesses, sometimes even in software businesses. They need to onboard themselves, they need to put their information, put their profile picture up, whatever it is. This structure murders. And so the bottom line is customers put money down. If they do the stuff or they get the result or both, they get it back as cash or store credit. That's how this works. So let's give some examples here. So if you have a rehab facility, it would be like the free Kick That Habit in 28-day blueprint or free Kick That Habit insert word. The suggestion: attend all your rehab sessions, post in the group once a week, journal daily in our app, attend your feedback session and your transformation session, which are both sales and upsell opportunities. So earlier I said, you want the actions they have to take to be things that get them results or things that advertise your business. The third category is sales appointments. And so you want it to be mandatory that they attend the upsell opportunities that you have. So remember earlier I showed the 5 different places? Then you make each of those places that they must attend. And so the result, maybe for these, might be like pass a urine test at the end in 28 days. That's the result. Like if they're clean, awesome, right? And so this would just be a pure results-based thing, okay? You could add in these pieces to make it action and results. Let's say in a pain relief business. So 28-day one-on-one pain relief program, fine. The commitment is that you attend all your rehab sessions, do your at-home stretches, post a picture in the group once a week when you're done, attend your feedback session and transformation session. Very similar. But now it's just about them doing that and not at all about having the pain relief, because this is one that's a little bit more subjective. So it might be, unfortunately, people are not always ethical when it comes to their own money. And so we say, okay, them saying, well, I went for it, I'm still a 10 out of 10 pain and please give me my money back. So this way, if you have them do all the stuff, that becomes the requirement for earning the money back. Example, marketing. So let's say you teach people how to market. You say, okay, free 5 clients in 5-day challenge. The action you have to take is you have to send 100 outbound messages per day and attend the daily training, post in the group once you've done your homework. And the results is make 5 closes. And the goal is that you have to make 5 sales and you have to send the DMs. And if you do both, you get the thing back, the cash back, right? Now you're like, how does the free thing work? I'll explain how you can do free with money down. Important points. So when your money back works with new, current, and previous customers. So somebody who's new can come in and take this offer. You can just offer it to your existing customer base because a lot of them get really interested in it. You can use it with past customers. It works for any type of customer. It works well with people that start and quit stuff or services where people are required to do a lot of work. The key is that you have to have something else to offer on the back end that they can take that cash and credit towards. All right, so that $500 or whatever amount of money you want to charge for the thing, you then should have something that's 5 times more expensive on the back end so that they get a 20% discount on that by crediting it forward. Now, if you know that you're going to be giving a 20% discount, guess what you can do to your back end price if everyone comes in on your money back? You can raise it by 20% if every person comes in on that. If people don't come in on that, then that gets more difficult. And so the reason that people who came in via referral, I still put on the win your money back is because I knew my pricing and everything else was dictated off of this $500 credit I knew I was going to give them. If you don't like the idea of giving cash back, you can also advertise it as store credit. So once you get it, you can credit it forward. And so that does create, I would say, a longer term customer. It makes the free part different. And let me explain. The way that I made it legally free, at least within the laws of the United States, based on the counsel that I had, was that I had an unconditional money back guarantee. And so that was actually more important for me advertising free than the whole getting the money back, all of that stuff. It turns out, at least from the letter of the law, based on the people that I spoke with. And big. You really risk getting in trouble when you have upset customers. And so why my first rule of staying out of trouble is give someone their money back if they ask for it. It's not worth the risk. It's also just not worth the headache. Just give it back, go get another customer. That's it. All right. So I say, don't take blood money. Give refunds if they ask for it. But the unconditional guarantee basically gave me 2 different types of kind of guarantees. One was performance-based. If you do the stuff, I'll give you the money back. But I also said, I have a service guarantee, which is that if for any reason, by the end of this 6 weeks, you don't believe that I gave you $500 of service, I'll give you the money back even if you're at day 41 and 23 hours. And the thing is that closed a lot of people because they're like, okay, I was like, listen, the goal, like, I want to get you to stay long term. So if you don't think that the service is worth it, you're not going to stay anyways. And so that made a lot of sense for people. And they're like, cool. So from a selling perspective, ask them if they want short or long term goals. And you sell this as the kickstart to a long term thing. And so you explain the benefit of giving external motivation to teach internal motivation. All right. These are all very vague and amorphous words, but in terms of selling, very effective. And so I would say, hey, when you were a kid, you probably had to have your mom say, hey, you got to go brush your teeth, Timmy. And you'd be like, and you go there and you brush your teeth, right? And now that you're an adult, do you brush your teeth? And they're like, yes. It's like, that's an example of something external being the reason for you doing an action until eventually the internal engine kicks off. That was my analogy. It's like, so that's exactly what we're going to use this money for in the beginning to create a new habit. Now, our thing was 6 weeks. You probably heard 21 days to make a new habit. We double that length so that you can make this into a habit you stick with. We use the external to get you going, the internal to keep you going, right? And so that's the toothbrush story. Create habits that don't take effort. And that's what we try to build with these types of money models. And so, as an aside, when crediting the people on the back rolled into service over an extended period of time. So this is a pro tip. So for example, $600, I wouldn't say, great, now you have 3 months free. That didn't work. I did that for a year and it almost killed me. Instead, take the $600 and extend it over the year. So you say, great, so we're going to sign you up for this year-long membership. That's going to be $2,400. That's $200 a month. Take the $600 off. Now it's $1,800. Reverse it back out. So you're basically saving $50 a month by using $50 for that $600 credit for the whole year. And by doing that, I got the cash up front and then they paid me again. How to create your win your money back criteria. So this is key. So these criteria make or break the offer. And so good criteria have these characteristics. Number one is they're easy to track. So you want to train them on exactly what they need to do or they will mess up. All right. Bonus points if people already do it. For example, phones already track steps. That's something that if you can use that, then that would be an easy thing that they already do. Word processors, for example, already track word count. Cameras automatically date photos. So these are all things that already occur. And so the more magical you can make the tracking, the easier it is for them. The second thing is that you want customers to track stuff that is likely to get them results. And realistic criteria do just that. So if you think the criteria look too easy, you've probably got close to realistic. All right. They may take a few times to get right, but so does anything worth doing. All right. So for example, it could be, attend meetings, workouts, watch videos, etc. Just whatever the stuff the best customers do to get the results, make everyone do it on purpose. So this is the process. You do this at the beginning and have no idea. You then find people who get results. You look at what they did. Then you say, everybody has to do the stuff that the best people did. And then you do it again. And you look at the people who did the best results of that stuff. And you say, great, everybody has to do that stuff. And you look for the common factors of the fewest things they all did, not everything they all did. And the third is advertise the business. And I'll have two parts of this. So one is advertising publicly. The other is you basically selling, being able to sell them. All right. So I like using this as criteria. So that means that when you work out at my gym, you have to post it publicly. Now that means that if every person's working out 3 times a week over 6 weeks, I'm going to get 18 free organic posts from 100 people. I'm going to get 1,800 organic posts in a tiny market, all saying the same words that I told them to say with a link to our thing. And guess what would happen? We got more customers. And at the end, what would they have to do? Post a picture of their before and after. And then when they post the picture before and after, guess what that did? Brought more customers. And guess what that also did? More people would comment on all their posts and they had to tag me in it. And so I could have all of these leads across all these comments of all these people who liked and said, that's amazing. What gym is that? Whatever. So they tag me, they tag my business, and then they had the copy that they had to follow for the structure for those posts. Again, you're going to give them their money back. So you can have some stuff that's in it for you. And this kind of falls under the reason why. Because we were like, why are you doing this? If you give all the money back, because again, the person who's buying this should believe they're going to get the money back because they believe they're going to follow through with it. So what's in it for you? And you're like, dude, I'm going to get way more customers than you. 2 things. I want you to stay and I want you to bring me friends. And if I get you results, you're going to stay and you're going to bring me friends. That's how this works. The fourth piece here, which is kind of like part 2 of the advertising, is that you include the sales appointments because that's going to allow you to get referrals, get testimonials for the before and after pictures, and then obviously upsell your other levels of service. So here's how you apply the store credit. This is important. So when customers win their money back, offer to apply it over a longer period of time or a bulk package. So it doesn't you can have them prepay for a year and have them take it off. I usually have stuff that's 5 times more expensive as the upsell off the front end. That way the max I give is 20% off. All right. That's if I didn't change my price. Ideally, like I said earlier, I bump it by 20%. in my experience, this keeps customers engaged and makes you more money. Because if you just give it for free, I noticed that people, it's, I hate the quote, but in this particular example, if people didn't pay for the membership, they stopped coming if they just used off credit. And then when their first real bill came, they'd be like, I'm good. But if they had to start paying even at a discount, they ended up coming, they kept coming. Right. And that was the thing that I found out. Because if you have a business where it takes work for someone to do it, then it's like you want to have them have some skin in the game. And that was actually the term I used in the sale. I'd be like, we need you to have some skin in the game. And I also told the story I just told. So we were like, why don't you do it up front? I'd be like, because honestly, when people I did up front, people didn't come. And you want this to work. I want this to work for you. So I'm happy to give you the discount and apply. So you're still gonna get this money. We're just gonna put it over for a longer period of time so that you stick with this. Cause that's what you're right. That's what you want, right? Okay, cool. Now if someone's like, well, I want the free time and I'm definitely gonna stay. That's like, cool, then sign up for a year. Like if you know you're gonna stay, then don't worry about it. Sign up for a year. I'll give you the first 3 months for free. This is how it works math-wise. So you have a product that costs, let's say, $200 a month. A customer wins $600 of credit. Avoid giving them that stuff up front. Instead, apply the $600 over 12 months. So 600 divided by 12 is $50 a month. They now pay 200 minus 50, which is 150 per month. All right. So to be clear, they can use the credit however they want. It is up to them. If you want to be ethical and comply with advertising rules and promises, they can use it however they want. I recommend presenting this offer first, right? That way they can use it. And then I share the experience I just shared, right? And so in-depth details of the upsell offer are actually in the rollover upsell, which is later in this training. So I'll just leave it at that because this is more offer structure. The upsell stuff comes later. All right. So all meetings and calls provide opportunities to make more offers. So make every single meeting that you have with a customer an opportunity to present an offer. All right. And so make check-in meetings part of your money back criteria whenever you can. Make all meetings required to win their money back. Part of that, beyond helping them succeed, they're also the best opportunities to make upsell offers. So after you've checked in, offer what makes sense based on their feedback. And so these are the 3 appointments I had. So we had nutrition orientation, which was our before pictures, and that's where I sold supplements. Then we had our progress check-in, which I made my membership offer, like, hey, commit to staying for the next year. Then I had my transformation feedback, which is their after meeting, where I would get after pictures, and then I would make the membership offer again to anybody who hadn't already bought, and to the people who had bought, I offered them to prepay it. Here's another pro tip for you. Make everybody a winner. All right, so you know this, they don't know this, and I don't sell this up front. You do not mention this in the first sale. The reason I made everyone a winner is that about halfway through, you make your next offer as though they already won. All right. And so you lower the customer's anxiety about failing, and then you'll keep them longer. They'll also love you more. And so this is what I would say. Hey, I know you're trying to hit the short-term goal, but what's your long-term goal? Okay, that's great to hear. You get that this isn't about this program, but about your long-term results. So I'll tell you what, to show you how much I want you to hit that long-term goal, I'll credit this program towards the other one, whether you hit their short-term goal or not. How's that sound? So now I actually get them to buy by reducing their risk of losing the money they agreed to risk. So I say you won the bet without having to win because you get the long-term goal. So it's actually a risk reduction sale if positioned properly. And so at the end of the program, let the losers win. So if someone refuses the upsell and then still fails the challenge, you can still upsell them again. And the way you do that is by acting like they won. So I would say something like this. I would say, don't worry about it. You started. That's the biggest victory of all. And even though you didn't hit your short-term goal, you met ours. So here's the key. Even though you didn't hit your goal, you met my goal, right? Which was finishing what you started. All right. So to show you that we're in this for the long haul, I'll credit your entire deposit towards staying with us long term, that you still get your money back. You still hit your goal. How does that sound? And so now they're like, wow, these guys are great. And so, no, the point was not to get people to fail. The point is to get people to succeed, get them to finish, get some momentum, and then credit towards a longer term relationship. So those are the important points. Does that feel like that adds a little bit more context to how to make this work? Yes? All right. So quick summary. One-year money back offer rocks because you get loads of offer cash. You get more customers to say yes than you would before. You get massive amounts of results for customers. You get more long-term customers. They advertise your offer for you. That gets you even more customers, and make the meetings a part of getting the deposit back and get great results for them. And everyone thinks this business makes money based on the people who fail the program. No, the real money is from the people who succeed with it, and you have something else to offer them. So trust me on this one. The more results you deliver, the more money you will make. Think long. And so make the refund criteria easy to track, align with customer goals, and helpful for the business. Only use a win your money back offer if your refund rate is less than 5%. Otherwise, you need to fix your product before doing this because you will risk getting too many refunds. I also added my unconditional guarantee to make sure that I was super compliant. If anyone ever wanted the money back, I just gave it back to them. By the way, by me offering that unconditional, just to give you some context, over 4,000 plus sales and 5 years, I gave 2 back. 4 unconditional. people winning and then wanting to take the winning and leave or whatever, like things like that, sure. But people who said, I didn't think I got the service, there was two, and I shouldn't have sold those people. I like arm wrestled them to get them to buy. Put the store credit towards another preferably more expensive offer that you want them to stay as customers, so give them the opportunity to. You never want people to stop paying you. That's the key point of this whole offer. And to make more sales and keep more customers, make everybody a winner. That way, everyone stays surprised and grateful when you make your upsell offer. So now my upsell offer is this amazing thing that they're grateful for me making the offer rather than this other opportunity to sell them. That is the win your money back money model. So our next attraction offer is free giveaways. So I'm going to go over how I learned it, description, examples, important points, and summary. So let's dive in. So how I learned this. So I was talking to a business owner, and he was telling me about this, crazy play that he had that was working really, really well. And I was like, okay, well, how does it work? He said, so basically, I give away a scholarship for my year-long flagship thing. If people kind of opt in, and they have to, answer a couple questions about their business, why I should pick them, et cetera. He said, so then I do, a countdown, and then I do a drawing, and I do a live webinar where I, release it live, sell people on how great it is. And so after he told me, he's like, okay, so I picked the person, and I was like, yeah, but okay, so you just give something away for free. Like, how does that actually, make you any money in the business? And he said, well, the key is the participation trophy, or said differently, the partial scholarship. And so he's like, so what I do is I reach out to all the people who opted in and filled out all these questions about why they should be eligible, their pain points, their aspirations, their dreams, why they should be qualified, why this is important to them. He's like, and then I just do a second countdown for people who have partial scholarships for them to basically redeem those. And that partial scholarship is a discount off of the value that I advertise and for my grand prize, right, of the full scholarship. And so that structure, I was like, oh, and he said, here's the great part. I use the same structure that I give to the online fitness trainers so that they do the same thing when they get customers. So they just say, hey, I'm doing a 1-year transformation or whatever it is. And then they have a bunch of people opt in for it, and they do partial scholarships for everybody else. And so this clearly became this repeatable framework of grand prize, participation trophy, or grand prize, promotional offer. So you promote the main thing, and then you give some sort of discount off the main thing for people who ask for or are qualified for that main offer. And so this gives you an amazing way to generate tons of leads. It gives you a very cool way to ethically sell how amazing something is. Like if I get up on stage and say, hey, I've got this amazing thing, I talk about how great it is, that's one thing. Now, if everybody in the audience knows that they're waiting for me to pick one of them to win this thing, they're way more engaged, they're way more leaning in because they're imagining them actually winning it. So you have kind of a different level of receptivity, which is what I think makes this so powerful. And you also get a ton of goodwill because you're like giving stuff away, right? So it's an awesome, awesome play. Now, to be clear though, this is something that is so powerful that it is legally regulated. All right, because if you do one of these and you charge for it, it's called an illegal lottery. All right, and so like these things work well enough that the laws had to get made to show how not to do them the wrong way. Okay, so how does this work overall? So I'll just read this to you. So giveaway offers advertise a chance to win a big prize in exchange for content information, whatever else you want. And then after picking a winner, you offer everyone else a big prize at a discount. Giveaways also go by names like sweepstakes. He had scholarship, like all of these are different terms. They all mean enter for a chance to win. All right, and so giveaway offers, to run them, one, you just have to pick a grand prize and a promotional offer. Right, so think your main thing, and then your participation trophy, whatever. Ask for contact information. Now, the promotional offer doesn't actually have to be different than the grand prize. It can usually be a discount on the main prize, to be clear, or just a truncated version or decreased time. It can be whatever spin you want, but typically it's going to be some reason for it to be a little bit less than the grand prize, and then a reason for them to buy now. Right. We ask for information and eligibility criteria. Like you don't want veterinarians opting in for a retailer's conference in Nebraska if you've got people who are whatever, veterinarians in Georgia. Like, it doesn't make sense, right? So you want to make sure that they're eligible for your core services. Otherwise, why would you want to give something away to somebody who could never buy your thing anyways, right? So you can still create eligibility criteria in order to get the giveaway, including questions or actions or anything you want them to add somebody to a group or post something. Like, you can put as many criteria as you want or actions for them to take in order for them to be qualified. So then you put the giveaway on a deadline. This is super important because if you don't have a deadline, then all marketing, right? You want to have some sort of urgency that drives people to take action. And then also, and this is important, when you have the giveaway and you try to contact everyone else for the participation prizes, you want to make sure that those participation prizes and them claiming those prizes are also on deadlines. Because otherwise you'll just say like, hey, you won, and then no one will do anything, right? And so you have to have urgency at each step to drive action, which is just normal marketing stuff, but sometimes you forget. All right. Now, beyond that, you want to announce the grand prize winner, obviously, and you also want to give them the prize. Obviously, duh. Sometimes I have to say this, like, if you're going to advertise a grand prize, you have to give the grand prize away. And then you contact everybody else and tell them about the promotional offer that they are eligible for, which is like, congratulations. We thought your information was so compelling. We want to offer you a partial scholarship. We thought your information was so compelling. We thought we would offer this promotional offer. That's the grand prize thing that you said you wanted. It's like that, but better, or like that, but shorter, or like that, but cheaper, whatever, right? You say, you told us all this stuff. We think you're a good fit. And as a result, we want to give you this offer. Make your grand prize the thing you want everyone to buy. All right, so make sure you assign a monetary value to your grand prize to serve as a price anchor for your promotional offer. So for instance, if you sell a $5,000 worth of value thing for $2,000, then advertise the $5,000 value, right? Let's say that's the giveaway. Next, you pick your promotional offer, all right? So this is a discount on the grand prize, a truncated version, some very small difference that allows you to charge even less for your grand prize to people who kind of win the participation trophy. All right. And the bigger the discount, the more compelling the offer, obviously. And so hint, the bigger the value you make this thing, the better, right? So remember, leads enter the giveaway because they found the grand prize interesting. This is why this is such a key point, is that like, everybody already says they want this thing. So you don't have to really like sell them on wanting it. They already want it. We just need to make an offer good enough for them to say yes, right? And so the promotional offer gets you customers because you offer what they already showed interest in at a discount. And the discount in the story I gave was the partial scholarship. All right. And so you can call your promotional offer whatever you want: for your business scholarship, gift card, voucher, dollars off, store credit, whatever, right? The point is that you have a main thing and you got a gift card that somebody can win that can apply towards it. Bingo, bango. So what else does someone need in order to qualify or opt in? You obviously need their contact information. Otherwise, you can't contact them. You want them to be eligible, because if they're not eligible, they're not gonna be able to buy anyways, or they're not a good fit. And then I prefer to also, so this is kind of like, how do I talk to you? Who are you? And then what actions have you taken that make you more likely to be either a great customer or more likely to bring more other customers, which is going to be a promotional activity. All right. And so other stuff interests you to qualify. I add these to promote my giveaway more. So it might be like, you have to bring a friend to my giveaway in order to qualify to win. That could be a qualification. It could be you have to join my group. It could be you have to share this post. It could be you have to leave a review. Like, there's 100 things you can have people. You could have them do them all, right? Now, the more friction you add, the fewer people are going to want to enter the giveaway. So it's a little bit of a balance between those two things. But I'll say this in general for me: if you have a compelling enough grand prize, people will take a minute to follow some of those steps to become more qualified leads for you. So yeah, other examples could be, attending a call or event, making a post, entering a group, right? And the key here is that we want them to either promote our stuff more or demonstrate higher quality of interest, which said differently is we want them to consume more of our information so that they're more likely to make a purchasing decision when presented our promotional offer if they don't win the main prize. Once we have all this in place, we put the giveaway on a deadline to give away the free thing. So you make a lot of razzle dazzle. Hey, 5, 4, 6, 3, 2, 1. There's how many days left. It's me excited. Everyone hop on, right? We make it urgent by making it only available for a limited time. 3 to 7 days, I think, works best. I think people's attention spans are relatively limited. So I think, a weekish works well. As soon as leads enter the giveaway, you want to update them daily. So first, you let them know how long they have until you announce the winner. You can do this email, direct message, text, social media posts, and so on. If you already have a community, you can do it there publicly, and then also one-on-one at scale, like via broadcasts. And do as many as reasonable. Once a day across all platforms tends to work pretty okay. Second, because again, you can do it, you can get away with once a day if it's a shorter thing. If you're going to go longer, I probably wouldn't do every day. If you're at a 30-day giveaway, which you can do, there's situations where that works. like, if you're at 27 days out, you're like, I get it. You might opt out of the giveaway by the end of it. So you might do like, I would follow the Whisper Tease Shout framework that I have in the Leads book, in terms of it's kind of like a reverse launch, but you're kind of launching a giveaway, right? Now, second, you provide value along with your countdown. So this is a point that I think a lot of people miss, is you don't want to just say the countdown. You also want to be like, let me sell you on how this thing's amazing and how it's going to change your life, which people are going to be excited about. Like, let's say you give away a vacation for whatever reason. Now, we wouldn't give away vacation unless you're in the vacation business. I'd prefer you give away, if you're going to use this play, the main thing you sell, but I'll just use vacation as a simple example. If I gave away vacation because I'm a travel agent, right? That vacation, then what else am I going to talk about? I want to talk about the drinks they're going to have. I want to talk about the restaurants there. I want to talk about the weather there. I want to talk about the beach. I want to talk about the views. I want to talk about their hotel room. I want to talk about all these things, and I can use each day of my countdown to provide value describing the grand prize. And so it doesn't seem like a take when I'm reminding them of this thing that they want to win, and I'm talking about how great it is, right? That's the key that I think people miss, rather than just like, it's coming. Like, that gets tiring, right? So just provide value along the way. Beyond that, show everyone the benefits, right? We just said that. And you want to refer everyone to social proof. So this is both the benefits and proof that it's good. So if you do have that vacation, I'm saying, if you've sent other people on this grand prize vacation before, then it's like, hey, here's John and Sally who went on the thing to Egypt and they loved it. And then the next day, here's the rooms. And then here's, Kevin and Kelly who are saying how the rooms were spectacular and how it's the best hotel room they've ever stayed in their whole life and they wish they could live there, right? Each one of these, you want to pair the benefit with proof around the benefit, ideally. Now, a little pro tip, like I said, Whisper Tease Shout, you can use the exact same framework I have there for countdowns and urgency. Okay, so announcing the grand prize winner. Once you do that, so let's say you do a webinar, you do a big rah-rah, whether that's local, on a stage, you invite everyone to a thing, you do a virtual call, whatever's fine, you do it in a group. I like to bring everyone together because it's going to maximize my ability to sell and convert. All right. And so we announce it publicly, then we message everyone else privately. All right. This is the key point. Many will enter, many will win. That's the key point of what makes this work. Right. And so now, I'm not saying everybody wins the grand prize, but everyone gets a promotional offer to apply to the grand prize, which is awesome. That's their participation trophy because of the work that they did, because they were such a great participant, because they commented in the group, because they shared, because they told you a good story. You can use whatever because you want, but just give them a reason for why they're getting the voucher, the store credit, the gift card, the discount, whatever you want. Let them know, email, text, direct message. On that big webinar presentation, you can also do the same structure, which is people get on, and then afterwards you can say, hey, I saw you on there, and you can have your own team, or if it's just you, messaging them saying, hey, I think this would still be a good fit for you. I want to do a partial scholarship, so I'm going to be reaching out to some of you guys on this call and afterwards to get that set up. And then again, we have to restart our urgency, because otherwise they're going to be like, yeah, I'll do it someday. For the same reason people don't buy and take action immediately, right? It's always easier to just delay things. So we want to drive the urgency. So in that message, you ask them to schedule a call to redeem the prize and make sure they redeem the promotional offer, again, at another deadline. Okay. Again, 3 to 7 days tends to work well. And the second one works like the first. Show the benefits, show more social proof, more valuable stuff about the offer. So I'm going to give you a little bit of math on how to kind of walk through this. So when you're explaining the promotional offer to winners, you want to use kind of cost to value using their discount, their store credit, the partial scholarship that you're giving them, right? And so my rule of thumb is to make your promotional offer equal to 10 to 30% of your gross margins. All right. And so for example, let's say we advertise a grand prize with a $5,000 value, but a $2,000 retail price tag. All right. So the promotional offer winner gets it for $1,800. That's 10% off retail. All right. But when we let them know they won the promotional offer, we explain that they get $5,000 in value for an $1,800 price tag. All right. Very exceptional. So if I'm that travel agent, for example, I might say, if you were to book this vacation not through me, without all the discounts I can get, this would cost you $5,000 to do. Now, if somebody goes through my traditional services, I might say, okay, well, I can get this thing for $2,000, and that's what I might be able to retail it for. But my participation trophy winners will get 10, 20, 30% off. So that would be somewhere between $200 and $600 off my normal $2,000 offer. But when I'm comparing it, I always have my baked in efficiencies of what they would have to do to get this on their own if they were to just get it true retail, not through my services as a travel agent. And so $5,000 gets discounted, or they can see the discrepancy in value between $5,000 and $1,800. So now it seems like a screaming hot deal, which makes it more likely for them to take it, right? And so you can just compare the difference of a 10% discount to a 64%. Very big difference. And so we want to talk in those terms. All right. Beyond that, bottom line is that, remember, everyone entered the giveaway, showed interest in your thing. If you remember nothing else, this is the most important point. We want to sell the hell out of our grand prize because we want people to be super interested. And because there's a chance to win, so many more people want to dream about it. They want to imagine what life will be like. And so a lot of the persuasive techniques, because there's a chance at winning it for free, tend to be even more effective in this setting, right? So I can't undersell this value to you. Like, this is one of the things that makes this so powerful. Also one of the reasons it's regulated. All right. And so if anybody shows interest in your thing, you should have an offer to give to them. That's the point. All right. And so that's how it works. I'll give you a couple examples real quick. So if I were a dentist, I might do a free Perfect Smile giveaway. So grand prize might be a free set of invisible braces, $6,000 retail price. My promotional offer might be $2,000 gift card for my braces, right? Okay. If I have a physical products business, I might be doing a year of organic dog food subscription. All right. So the grand prize, your food, $1,000 retail price, and the promotional offer might be a $300 gift card for food only usable with a 1-year subscription, right? Or only usable if you prepaid up front. Like, you can put terms on these things. The next is services offer. So let's say you have the free ultimate giveaway for whatever services you have. All right. So free 1-year package, $5,000 retail price. Your promotional offer is a $2,000 voucher redeemable towards 1 year of service. Now, if you have, really crappy margins, then you're going to cut this voucher down. That's okay. I prefer to sell higher margin services. But these type of things really drive behavior. If you had a consulting offer, like a free 16-week turnaround, which could be business, it could be health, it could be relationship, it could be whatever, right? So let's say that's a $12,000 retail price. It's my mega Cadillac, super, super duper version. My promotional offer might be a partial, which might either be half the time or half the price or the same duration with one piece removed. No matter what, these things all combine together and make a really compelling offer. Those are some of the examples. A couple little details for you. Talk to your law people about law things. Make sure that they're legal in your area, how you do it. Eligibility criteria. Get you more customers to buy the promotional offer. So I ask questions like, just to get ammo for a sales conversation. So why should we pick you? Why this program? Why now? Why does this matter to you? Why is this important? What are your goals, right? These are all important questions you can ask in an application that then you can go through them and say, oh, these are really good people. And you can also order the leads and score them based on who you think is more likely to buy. You can also ask for income. You can ask for whatever you want. If your giveaway doesn't work, so let me just troubleshoot this for you. It means your grand prize wasn't grand enough. So I had a portfolio company do a giveaway, and it bombed. And I was like, they told me that it bombed. I was like, the giveaways always work. Like, how did this not work for you? And they told me the grand prize was free tickets to their event, which was like $300 for the tickets for the event. This is a B2B business with a like $40,000 thing. Like whatever, 15 to 40, somewhere in that range, right? And so I was like, so why do we think that $300 of value is in any way, like, if we're going to sell $40,000 stuff, we need to have $40,000 giveaways at minimum. And so they reran the campaign with equipment for that business owner type that was $50,000 of equipment. And then all of a sudden the giveaway worked, right? And so like giveaways are only grand if you have grand prizes, and they have to be super grand because people have to want them, right? Here's a little pro tip for you. You can give away 2 prizes for twice the leads. I'll give you an example on the next slide. So this is from Skool. So refer a winner and you win 2. So this is really, I think this is sexy as hell. All right, so I'll just read this to you. But many of you are inviting friends to play the games with you, and that's the point, to make business fun. To encourage this even more, we're adding a new incentive. All right, if a person you refer gets in the top 10, you get to come too. So they won prizes. And so the whole point is, if you double your grand prizes, then what you can do is, hey, I'm going to do this grand prize winner. But if you're the person who referred the grand prize winner, then you win a grand prize too. So let's say in that example with the equipment, I would say, okay, instead of $50,000 of equipment, I'm going to give 2 $50,000 packages, or you can give 2 $25,000 packages, whatever, 2 big packages. And so that then gets every single person who's coming into the contest to say, wait, I can get way more chances to win. Like, every person I refer gives me another shot to win. So there's a huge incentive now to refer tons of people, and this can double, triple, quadruple the amount of leads you get in a giveaway if the giveaway is good enough. So again, these are regulated for a reason. All right. But this crushes. So highly recommend doing that. If you have the cash or the capital to double the incentive, I would do it. all marketing rules apply. So scarcity, 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 limit your giveaway by time, number of entries, or both. You can run the giveaways for a specific amount of time, like 7 days, a specific number of entry, like 5,000 entries, or both. I like both. Now, I want to be clear, how would you use the scarcity part? Well, I tend to limit scarcity based on how many people I have the time and resources to connect with. So if I don't have the team to be able to actually reach out to more than 200 leads, then I want to put my qualifications as high as possible, and I want to limit the amount of entries to 200. That also increases the chances of winning, which makes it even more attractive for people to enter. All right, and so if you don't even have the bandwidth to do more than 200 contacts, then cap it, right? And if you can't do it, you can't reach out to 200 leads in any more than 7 days, then it's like cap it at 7, 207, done. Which leads to the next one, urgency, 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 right? So I add urgency in 3 places for giveaways. Number 1 is to enter. Number 2 is to claim. Number 3 is to use, or to use the thing. Because even once you have, let's say, a scholarship that you give away, or once you give someone a vacation, give them a time period to use it in, right? Because you want them to actually consume it. Because big picture, even for all, and most importantly for all the partial scholarship winners, this is important because you want them to start. You want them to become customers. You want them to buy, right? And so this basically aligns with the 3 actions we need them to take. And so we put urgency around each, all right? And make it clear in the advertisements how that works. So once you announce the winners, let them know how long they have to claim. And when they do, schedule their call someday the next week if you can. And then once you let them know what they want, tell them how long they have to use it. I like hours personally, but I've gone up to 5 days. In short, just always have deadlines. So this is another little interesting tidbit on a little more advanced thing that I've learned over the years, which is when you have the participation trophy winner calls, when you have the promotional offer, basically calls for everybody who didn't win, but you still want to get to buy something, right? At the start of the call, let them know that they have 2 ways to use their partial scholarship, their voucher, their gift card, their credit, whatever. All right. And that you'll help them find which way makes the most sense for them. And then offer the discount on the grand prize thing first. If they take that, awesome. If not, then offer the same discount by percentage on any other product that you have that makes sense. So using the dentist example earlier, I might say, hey, the grand prize is the full teeth and you're going to get $2,000 off that. Now they might be like, I can't afford that. We might say, well, you know what? 80% of your pictures are going to be your top teeth, not your bottom teeth. So why don't we just do braces on your top teeth for $3,000 and I'll give you $1,000 off that, right? And so that way you can have a back pocket offer for people who still obviously want to improve their smile. They still want the main thing, but they might not be able to afford it right now or might not be right for the business right now. And the key is to just discount by the same percentage. That way they don't feel like they're losing out on their partial scholarship. Okay. So if you have a lot of no-shows for in-person appointments and that becomes an issue, instead of doing mass notifications for people who qualified, just reach out to them individually. Sometimes that happens. So it basically just needed to do more personalization. And when you get a hold of them, just let them know they have to claim the prize. So if you have a recurring revenue business, what you want to do is apply the promotional discount over the longest period of time that they'll agree to, and then set up monthly subscription to bill automatically at normal rates after the discounted period ends. Okay, so let's say that someone wins, a partial discount for whatever, $2,000, and you normally charge $6,000, or so let's, for simple math, let's say you normally charge $8,000, you give them $2,000 off, that's $6,000 for the year. So then I would just reverse that into $500 a month, which then at the end of the year would bump up to whatever $8,000 divided by 12 is, right? And that way you get the recurring revenue on a regular basis. And again, you want to spread it over as long as possible, but you want to collect as much cash as possible up front. So if someone will pay $6,000 up front, do that, obviously. But if you can't do that, then extend it over as long period of time. This is what I'm trying to help you avoid. You don't want to say, okay, I'm going to give you $2,000 for the first 4 months, and then you'll start getting billed on month 5. Do not do that. It doesn't work. It sucks. I've already got the scar tissue to show it. Don't do it. Just try and spread it over longer periods of time. All right, so those are the important points. So this is a quick recap. So at the core, free giveaways, ask an audience to apply to get a high value thing of yours for free. Many will enter, many will win, or one wins, and then the rest win discounts. You want to pick a grand prize that people want. It has to be sexy. If you do a bad grand prize, do not be cheap on your grand prize. 2, give 2 prizes away if you want more people to refer. I think a grand prize should be about the value of your high cost thing, right? Now, to be clear here, the reason this is also valuable is that if you give away something that retails, that you actually sell for, let's say, $10,000, then it's really is only going to cost you maybe $2,000, $3,000 in terms of hard costs or services to deliver that thing. And so that's a smoking hot, it's not that much money compared to how much you have to spend in marketing. right? Which is why cash giveaways are like my least favorite type of thing, because I mean, I have done them, but they tend to be my least favorite because they are the least original. Now, the plus side of cash giveaways is that they are valuable to everyone, right? And so if you are in a niche, which I hope you are because you know who your avatar is, being more specific and making the grand prize around your service allows you to bake in the difference between what it costs you versus what the value of it is at a retail price. And I think that's a huge arbitrage opportunity. It also makes doubling the prizes when you give two away easier, because if you give two $10,000 prizes away that really only cost you two or three at hard costs, still works great. Okay, so then you want to offer a chance to win the grand prize to anyone who enters and qualifies. Key point, and qualifies. You don't just give it to anyone. Like, they have to qualify in order to win. And you can get great information from every lead because you make it part of the entry process. And this is why I think this is so magical. People are just willing to enter pages and paragraphs about themselves, whereas if you just did a normal lead gen campaign, it's hard to get 2 or 3 fields, right? Let alone here, you can get massive applications with whole life stories built into them because people want to win something. So get that information, and then it'll indicate how your offer will provide more value to them. And this becomes it very important for when you offer your discounted or your promotional or your participation trophy offers later. Advertise your giveaway for 3 to 7 days, or hit the number of people that you can manage to call in that time period, whichever comes first. Everyone who doesn't win the grand prize and qualifies gets offered the promotional offer. Book appointments with the promotional offer winners to credit their win towards the grand prize. Give them limited time to claim their prize. Then put an expiration date on people claiming the prizes, making them more likely to claim it. And if somebody says no to your main participation trophy offer, have another product that's probably like half the price to a third of the price that you have in your back pocket to make available to them. All right. And because it might suit them better. I would just keep the percentage discount the same. That way they still feel like they won something. Beyond that, that is how you do free giveaways. Those destroy like murder across markets, physical products, brick and mortar, online, like these work. So use them at your own peril. So we just covered win your money back and free giveaways as two of my favorite attraction offers. Now we get into what I believe is the most flexible attraction offer that works for just about any business, which is the decoy offer. So same 5, how I learned it, description, examples, important points, and summary. Let's rock and roll. So how I learned it. So John was a mentor of mine at the very beginning of my career. He had 22 tanning salons, and he would drive me to his lake house a couple times during the summer, and we'd have these 3 or 4 hour long drives, and he would just like impart life wisdom on me. And John had lived like an amazing life. He took basically 20 years off and just raised his daughters and just went to the lake and shot 16 holes of golf 5 days a week and just like lived life. And he had started from nothing, like really, really cool guy. And so anyways, he was telling me how his 5-day VIP offer worked at his tanning salons. He's like, so it works like this. We offer $5 VIP gift cards. We put them on people's windshield. That's how they used to advertise back in the day. And so people would come in with these gift cards for $5 for a 5-day VIP pass to get tan. He said, the thing is, and this is the key part, is that people don't know how long it takes to get tan. And so they come in with the $5 gift card for the VIP pass, and we give them the turkey talk, which is basically, if you put a turkey in, you can't cook it in a third of the time by ramping up the temperature. You just burn the shit out of it and the inside's undercooked. And so tanning kind of works the same way, is that you need to have multiple sessions to get the right type of tan, otherwise you burn. Right? We're like, oh, got it. And so it's like, you want to get what shade of tan? So they would ask that when the person comes in. And then once they knew what shade of tan they wanted, because it'd be easy to show them, they'd say, great, well, turkey talk, got it. You're going to need this amount of time, this many sessions. And so either you can pay $25 per session, or why don't we just take that $5 VIP and you can pay $19.99 a month. We'll take it off the $19.99 and you get unlimited as you want. And everybody saw the value and they'd convert right into EFTs, which is electronic fund transfers, which is just industry term for recurring membership. All right. So that's the VIP 5-day, $5 VIP story. Now, fast forward a few years. So I'm now in Gym Launch. We're 3-4 years in, and all of a sudden, like, our ads are not performing for the gyms. And I was like, okay, we got to come up with some sort of new offer. So I had my team just try a bunch of different things. And I remembered this 5-day VIP story. And so we're like, hey, why don't we try this one out too? And so they tried this out in 5 different mini beta groups, and the winner was this free 21-day transformation. But here's how it worked. And so when someone would come in, the decoy offer, this is the $5 VIP. This is they think they can get tan in one session, but they can't really. Is we'd say, cool. So we just said free 21-day transformation. When they come in, we'd say, cool, the free version of this is you get one workout per week and you get at-home nutrition course. So we'll give you this course, you can take it at home and you work out once a week for the next 21 days, which is 3 workouts, okay? Or we'll give you the unlimited version, so you work out as many times as you want over the next 21 days. We'll personalize your nutrition. We'll give you, grocery store instructions, exactly what you need to buy. We'll guarantee that you'll lose at least 10 pounds or 15 pounds in the next 21 days, or we'll give you another 21 days free on the back. And when presented those 2 offers, they came in for the free 21-day transformation, but when they were presented the premium version, they said, you know what? I'd rather do that. Upselling is as American as apple pie. There is nothing wrong with having an upsell, as long as you still offer something that is free, that complies with what your original promise was in the advertisement. So if someone comes in, and the key point of making this work is that you can advertise the free 21-day transformation, not also you get all this stuff. If you say you get this other stuff too, then you have to deliver on it. And so the key is, and this is one of the benefits of advertising results rather than the vehicle, because then you can choose the vehicle and associate price however you want in the sales presentation. All right. And so this offer structure, right, this money model is 100% based on the upsell. This is how all of the money of this works. And the key, if you have this structure properly, is 70 to 80% of people should take the premium version. So, description. So Decoy offers advertise something free or discounted. So I could just as easily say $19 or $21 21-day transformation. They come in and they say, cool, you can do the $21 one, you already paid for it. Or I'll credit your $21 towards a $421 thing, which we'll roll it towards, and now you can pay an extra $400 today and you're in, right? So then when leads ask to learn more, you also present the more valuable premium offer. And the premium offer provides more features, benefits, a bonus, guarantees, and so on. So by putting your Decoy offer and premium offers next to each other, they can see how much more valuable your premium offer is. And so I like Decoy offers so much because they get more customers overall. And so they either take the Decoy version or they get the premium version. This is an assumed close. That means everybody buys. I like that. Now, if they take the premium version, great. If they take the Decoy offer, also great. And guess what? You can also grab a couple of the bonuses from the premium and toss them in because you're like, hey, I know you're only taking the one workout a week thing, but let me do some personal nutrition for you. Come back in a week or come back in 2 days. And guess what we do at the personal nutrition consultation? Sell $300 of supplements, right? And so it's all good, all right? But either way, here's the thing is you close everyone, and this makes it cheap and profitable, get new customers, and any business can do this. You literally just take what you have. Well, I'll get into what it is. Okay. So here are the steps to make a Decoy offer. 1, advertise a lesser, smaller, or simpler version of your premium offer as the Decoy offer. Then when leads engage, offer both options, but emphasize the premium one and use the bonuses, the premium value, and the guarantees to close the additional people. All right. Now, let's do some examples. So let's say I have a lemonade stand. This is to prove the point that it works with literally any business. All right, so the attraction offer is, this is like what the headline of the ad might be. So you'd say, hey, free week of lemonade for all first-time customers, okay? Now, I'm not giving any features. I just said free week of lemonade. Now, option A, this is the free week, is that you can have this free plus water and powder, this warm water, right? And artificially sweetened, and it may give you digestive issues, but you can absolutely have this free lemonade. Or you can have the organic, all-natural, vegan, gluten-free, imported Italian lemons, which are cold distilled and shipped straight to your door, so you never waste time coming into the store. And so it's like, which one do you want? Right? Of course you want this one. You want the premium one. And so that's what people take. So let's say you've got, this is actually a flow tank center. I had an agency that did flow tank stuff for a minute in Allen. So they used a free 6-week stress release challenge. Okay, so the attraction offer was a free 6-week stress release, or you could say a $6 6-week stress release. Either way, that's free or discount. Decoy option, you get 1 float per month with at-home do-it-yourself stress relief exercises. Or premium option is 2 a week, floats for 6 weeks, one-on-one consulting, journal, sleep routine, and a satisfaction guarantee. Guess what everyone took? This one. All right. Now the gym offer. This is the local one. So this is basically the breakdown of what we did. So free 21-day transformation or $21 transformation. Workouts done in a school.com group once a day and a general nutrition plan. So it's like, we're a local business. You can get 1 workout here. The rest of the workouts you can just do online, right? You can watch the recordings. You get no support. You get no guarantee. Or you get unlimited workouts, a personalized nutrition plan, accountability, results guarantee, or you get another 21 days free. So now important points. All right. So how to make your Decoy offer. Offer fewer components, older models, or less personalized versions of your premium offer. Because some of you guys are like, I don't know, I can make my Decoy offer. Think about what you have, make it less personal, have you have an older version of what you did, give them that. Like you just peel off features that cost you the most money. All right. And then the thing is your attraction offer only has to get people to engage, nothing more. You just need people to get opt-ins for it, which is why you want to talk more about the outcome and less about the vehicle. Now, yeah, advertise the benefits, not the features. I covered that. All right. So now you can advertise discounts in 4 ways. We already covered that one earlier, but as a reminder, if you have your long thing and it's $100 a month and you wanted them to pay $900 for the year, you could say 25% off. You could say $300 off. You could say 3 months free, or you could say 1 year for $900, $1,200. All different ways of saying the same thing. So these are all useful, especially with decoy offers, because oftentimes they are discounts. All right. So the key to making this work is that the contrast has to be huge. All right. The bigger the contrast, the better the deal, the more customers will take it. If people keep taking your free offer is too good and your paid offer is not good enough. So you want to keep doing this until the obvious offer is to take the premium offer. All right. Discount offers have high show-up rates. Then free offers, just as a pro tip, if you do have these issues, you can do the $21 thing if you have show-up rate issues in your market. If possible, present the premium offer first. Now, if they ask for the decoy offer, most people don't, you then present it, but I'll show you how to do this, okay? So what you want to do is get them to give you permission to sell them. So if they ask to hear about the decoy, then you're legally obligated to present it. On the other hand, some of you guys might be a little bit weak in the stomach about just offering something straight for the high value thing. But let me just share a little bit of like advertising scars and like years of doing this. Almost no one remembers what they opted in for. They barely remember the ad. And so they will remember that this thing solved a problem that they have. And then when they come in, you can just make the offer that you want to make them. Now, if they do remember that thing, then by all means, tell them about it. But if you are somebody who's like, I want to always offer the really cheap thing first, fine. This works in the opposite way of price anchoring, but fine. Have it your way. So if you're going to do it that way, here's how you do it. So you ask them a sorting question first. You say, are you here for free stuff or lasting results? Everybody's going to say lasting results. Some people will say free stuff and those people suck and you can just kick them out basically. But as soon as they say results, which most people do, you skip straight to premium. So this way you've got permission to then sell them the premium offer. Now, if they say free, then you say the free thing and then you present the premium. So this way you can still have them ethically select to get the premium offer first by asking the question because you asked them before you made the offer. Now, if they then at the end of the premium offer say, yes, I want to buy it, shut up and close the sale. That's it. You don't need to offer anything else. If they say free stuff, you present the decoy offer and then immediately contrast, like you don't even give them the opportunity to say yes to it. You say, and then you go right into the next thing. All right. And so then only after presenting both offers, you then say, this is key. Which do you think will get you to your goal faster? Or which one would you prefer to have? And the thing is that everyone will prefer the better one. And everyone will think the other one will get them to their goal faster. Or you can also ask, which one do you think is more likely to help you get your goal? All three of those questions are fine. They obviously force the selection of this one. And then you say, great, and then you close the sale. All right. And so you say, so which one do you prefer? And then they say, great, they'll have the premium offer. And then you can move forward in the sale, mutually agreeing that it's the best thing for them. So when making your premium offer, get excited about it. So present it as a superior offer to the decoy offer because it is. And assuming that it is, how it is in the customer's best interest. So your excitement about this thing will motivate other people to take action according to your preferences. So from a selling perspective, you want to talk to the lead as though you already know they're going to make this offer. Like they're going to take the premium offer. You'd be like, it's almost in a like, this is such a no-brainer. Anybody who doesn't take this offer, like, I don't even understand that people like almost, and this is where like, if you're a salesman, especially if you work for a business, you're going to be like, I don't even know why we offer this other thing. Like you can do it if you want, but like, this is where everyone gets all the great results. And even how I'm saying this is very matter of fact, very like, it makes no sense to me why someone would select that. And people will take all the subconscious cues in your body language and your tone of which thing they should pick. So for example, if I said, you don't want this, do you? That's a guaranteed no. I'm asking them to say no to something. That's what I'm saying. And so how you present the offers is obviously based on your ability to sell, but I'm trying to stack the deck in your favor to make this easy for you. So you will operate from the position of this is what everyone does. This is just a formality. Let me get your ID and credit card so you can get your value. No hype, just friendly disposition. Almost bored about how regularly you have to do this. It's like, yeah, so we've got this thing. Not really sure why people do that, but this is the main thing. Great. Do you have your card on you? Do you have your ID on you? And then you just move right to it. Surprise benefit that's optional. To take this a step further, if someone takes the decoy option, you can choose to surprise them with a few zero or low cost features from the premium offer. Just say, hey, I'm going to throw this in, even though it's part of our premium offer, just because I want you to get great results. This also builds goodwill. It also reinforces that you were being truthful about saying, I really do think this other thing is better for you, and that you do want to actually help them. So it's aligned with the scripting in the sale, right? So this builds goodwill, it over delivers, and it increases the chance that they take your upsell offer later. Remember, they're still a lead. And if they bought the decoy, if it's a free thing that they haven't bought yet, if it's not a free thing, they paid, they're still a customer. And if you've followed any of my stuff, you absolutely should still upsell them halfway through whatever this thing is. And if you give them some stuff now, that's good. They will probably increase the likelihood that they will take more of your stuff. That's good later. So, in summary, decoy offers. Advertise something for free or discounted. Then when the lead's asked to learn more, you also present a more valuable premium offer. Make the premium offer far more valuable than the decoy option by adding more features, benefits, bonuses, and guarantees. Strip down your main offer to your decoy offer as much as is reasonable. When leads ask about the decoy offer, present your premium offer right next to it. All right. Ask if they're here for free stuff or lasting results to get permission to put the premium offer first. If you still don't want that, then you put the decoy offer and then kind of I mean, you can do that, but this is what people get the best results on. And you can still make money from the leads who pick the decoy option. You'll just learn the best way to deliver your decoy product and maximize upsells from it. Expect to make money fast. If you're not, then make the contrast between the offers bigger. By the way, if you're a company doing over $1 million or more in profit and want us to invest as a partner to help you scale, you can go to acquisition.com and hit the sell button. If you just want help scaling, you can hit the scale button. If you don't have a business, hit the start a business one, which I'll just tell you will route you to school.com. So that concludes the decoy offers. Let's get to buy X, get Y free. So we just covered win your money back, free giveaways, and now decoy offers. And one thing that I will highlight before we get into buy X, get Y free is that an ethical salesman makes recommendations that he believes will help the customer and help the business. An unethical salesman makes recommendations to customers that will not help the customer and only helps the business. And so you making more offers to a customer is in no way unethical. It is unethical, basically, if you lie. And so you're either lying to them about them being qualified for something, or you're lying to them about the quality of the thing that it will get delivered to them. Either way, fundamentally, bad salesmanship is rooted in deception. Good salesmanship is rooted in education. And if the education is true, which it should be, then the customer should just find out as much about what they need to do to make a decision as you know. And so fundamentally, if you were a customer and you were selling your mother and she had as much information as you, then she should buy the same things you would recommend to her. With that being said, buy X, get Y free. Let's rock and roll. So buy X, get Y free, super, super common offer. There's a lot of different ways to do it. And there's like very advanced tactics, which is why I love this offer so much. Like this thing, it's funny because I like the first three and I also love this offer too. Like it's a banger. So we'll cover the main five. Here's how I learned it. So I was in downtown Nashville. I went to school in Nashville, college called Vanderbilt. And I remember when I got to Vanderbilt for the first time, I remember going downtown and there was this thing called Boot Factory. And Boot Factory had this massive boot that was bigger than a car, big flashing, like almost like Vegas lights. And on all the windows, it said, buy one pair, get two free. And I was like, this business, these guys are idiots. Like they're just giving away their boots. And I being, like, of course, fresh to college, out of high school, knowing literally nothing about anything, I assumed that I was more intelligent than the store owner, who obviously was doing very well. And so I came back 10 years later and they had expanded. And so I was like, that's interesting. Now, 10 years later, I had a lot more business acumen. And so I went in and I like looked around, poked around, and I saw that the pairs of boots each of them had multiple markdowns on the price, down to $600 for one pair, at least the ones that I looked at. And so it was, instead of saying, buy one fairly priced boots or buy 20% off, they had buy one, get two free. But if you bought 3 pairs of boots for $200 each, that's still like a pretty normal price for leather boots. And so the ones that I like, the ones I was looking at were not like Stingray or, hippopotamus or something. Like they were normal leather. And so I realized that they had just fully baked the cost of 3 into one pair and then said buy one get 2 free. And the thing is that because of that, all the bachelorette parties would pile in because the bride would get one, and then the other 2 friends would get them for free. Or one of the friends would buy a pair and give one to the bride and one to her maid of honor or whatever. And they just milked it. And so that is how I learned this more valuable way of doing buy X, get Y free. So let's get into it. So in buy X, get Y free offers, customers buy something, they get other stuff free. Cool, makes sense. The more free stuff they get and the higher its value, the better it works. Buy one, get 2 free works better than buy 2, get 1 free. Free offers get way more attention than discount offers. But if you only have one thing to sell and give it away, then obviously you go hungry. If you just say like, buy, here's free boots, that's not going to work, right? So in situations like this, they tend to lean on discounts. All right, most businesses do. So they run sales relying on holiday, seasonal changes, or whatever as reasons to temporarily lower the price for whatever the thing is to get more customers. But by selling more than one thing at once, you can turn discount offers into even stronger free offers. This is the magic of buy X, get Y free. It will take a 33% discount and it can make it into buy 2, get 1 free, which is far more compelling. And rather than getting 2/3 of one ticket, you still get someone to buy 2 full priced items, but you still effectively gave them a 1/3 discount, which you would never advertise, because why would you advertise that when you could buy 2 and get 1 free? It's more strong. All right. So I'm going to give you a lot of different ways to slice this because this is what I want to help you match this to your business. So when you have more than one item, you can make the discount value large enough that it covers the price of more stuff. For example, I could sell 3 t-shirts for $30, right? So $10 each. Or I could sell 1 t-shirt for 30 and get 2 free. In both situations, I give away 3 shirts and get $30. But the perception, think about the difference here. If I said, hey, buy 3 shirts for $10 each, how compelling is that? Not that compelling. If I said, buy 1 shirt, get 2 free, I'm going to for sure get way more attention. But the economics are the same. Powerful. Now, I'm going to give you another example. Now, if I wanted to offer a discount rather than only reframe the price, so the example here, I just reframed the price. I'm still getting the same $10 per shirt. 0 discount here. I just reframed how I'm pricing my offer. If I wanted to also use this plus a discount, I could sell 3 shirts for $6.67. So it's like buy 3 shirts for $20. That would be the discount version. Or I could now say buy 1 shirt for $20 and get 2 free. Same thing. It's still effectively a 1/3 discount, but it accomplishes the same objective. Okay, so those are 2 examples. Or sorry, that's a description. Now I have more examples for you. All right, so buy 1, get 2 physical products offers. This is the Boot Factory offer. 1 pair is $200, buy XUY free. Buy 1 pair for $600, get 2 pairs free. So the end result is to still buy 3 pairs of $200 boots. All right, now here's 3 versions of this that I want to break down for you to show you the power of this. So if you said buy 12 months, get 6 months free for $1,800, okay, that's an offer, and a lot of people might take that. Like that's a good offer. A better offer would be buy 9 months, get 9 months free. Still $1,800. A crazy offer would be buy 6 months, get 12 months free for $1,800. In all 3 situations, they get 18 months for $1,800. That's what it works. Everyone pays the same price for the same amount of service, but the third option will be the most compelling because it has the most free stuff. So, important points. Buy X, get Y free gets people to buy more stuff and provides more value. So it used to take a whole year for some of my service businesses to make the money to cash flow the acquisition. But if you do buy 6, get 6, for example, on the front end to attract customers, or as a, hey, it's our grand opening, buy 6 months, get 6 months, you can attract a boatload of customers and get 6 months prepayments from all of them at full price. Now, guess what happens? If I have a full price or even a higher than full price thing that I add some little tiny differentiator during my grand opening special, which allows me to say that this service was higher than what I would then normally offer later, then it justifies me having an even higher price. So when I say buy 6, get 6, I might just get prepayments at basically the full price for the year because I added this extra wrinkle in that's very high margin for me. So for a gym, I might say you get text access to me, which by the way, I probably would give all my first customers anyways. I just wouldn't promise that in the sale. I might for a grand opening. So raise prices when we're giving stuff away to preserve profits. Obviously, if you can only afford a certain amount of margin, then don't give away your margin. That's just like my big obvious disclaimer. Now, buy X, get Y free works better if you have more free stuff than paid stuff. All right. So give more free than you ask people to buy. Just play with the pricing until it makes sense for you. So buy one, get two instead of buy two to get one. So these are the same economics, but this one's stronger. That's how it works. Okay. Now, the free things can be different from the paid things. So this is key. So you just want to make sure that the free stuff still makes the offer compelling. Let's say that socks have a $10 value. If they buy one shirt for $10 but get $20 of free socks, it may seem like a better deal. Now, alternatively, here if we're looking at like buy one, let's say shirts are $20. If I say buy one shirt for 20 and get another shirt free, that may seem like less valuable than buy one shirt, get two pairs of socks free. Because what someone's going to translate it into is buy one thing, get two things free versus buy one thing, get one thing free. Now, this is a testable proposition. In some offers, two pairs of socks may convert better than one shirt, depending on if the way that buyer buys, the next logical thing they would need would be socks. So more free, cheaper things can work better than fewer free, expensive things. Okay. So let's say I could only afford to give one shirt away for free, but now for the same cost, I give three pairs of socks. I would probably test buy one shirt, get one shirt versus buy one shirt, get three socks for free. And even though the socks cost less than a shirt, it's still buy one, get three. And sometimes that converts better. So I test this. Rather than offer a 33% discount, try buy one, get two free. This here will convert more than this, but they're still 1/3 off. All right. So I just like to, if you are going to use a discount, this structure still makes a discount even more compelling. Do not make offers like this if you cannot manage money, especially with service businesses. So if you say buy 6 months of service, get 6 months free, if you don't know how to manage money and you immediately blow the money that they prepaid, you're a bad business owner. So you need to be able to consistently, like if you have to have an accountant, do this for you, put all the cash into one bank account and you can pay yourself out of that bank account every month as you deliver services. But the worst thing you can possibly do for your reputation is like pre-sell a year of service and then, like do not do this play if you are trying to keep your business alive. If you need this cash in order to keep the business alive, I think you risk your reputation by doing it. I also cap this at 10% of a recurring customer base for those of you who have recurring revenue businesses. So if you want to do a banger buy X, get Y free, which is a really great cash play, let's say you have 100 recurring customers, cap it at 10. Don't let more than 10 of your recurring customers prepay for the year because you still this is not a math solution. This is a psychological solution. I've just seen way more businesses succeed by keeping their recurring cash flow because most business owners honestly can't manage it. Now, mathematically, it makes sense to get everybody on annual, but a lot of people can't handle that responsibility. I'm just being really honest with you. Okay. So this is a great grand opening strategy. As I referenced earlier, this is also a great offer to give for fast cash. Now, if your business is healthy, but you're like, you know what, I want to buy a bunch of equipment. Great. Prepay 10 people, go buy your equipment. Or you need to go buy another big industrial oven for your baking business. Like totally makes sense for you to do prepayments and things like that to cash flow or fund rather than take on credit lines. Super smart. So even if customers prepay, you can still upsell them different stuff now. So this is really important. So I made this mistake, which is why I share it with you. The people who prepay, especially for services for durations of time, business owners have this fear of selling them or making offers for other stuff. But here's the craziest thing that we saw is that the people who prepay for the year are the most likely people to buy more stuff afterwards. And so these are basically a way of identifying your hyper buyers. And so they self-select, they prepay for a year, and guess what happens after that? When I would have Big Booty Bootcamp and a deadlift seminar or, make your sexy back, or I would do buns and guns or whatever else I would do, lean by Halloween, they were the most likely people to pay. Because guess what? They weren't paying anything for being there. As far as they felt, they had paid so long ago, they forgot that they paid. So it felt like I was just a free gym. And you know what? The cool thing about wallets with people who make money, they replenish. And then you can ask again. So if customers only buy once, this is just a disclaimer for the boot business. The reason they structured their deal that way was to maximize the transaction. So if you're in a business where people only buy once, then it makes sense to structure as much into that first sale as you can because you're only going to get one shot. Like the bachelor parties are probably not coming back to Nashville. Now, maybe they will, but for the most part, that's this. You want to make the ask as big as you can if you're only going to get one shot. Summarizing buy X, get Y free. In buy X, get Y free, Customers buy something, they get other stuff for free. Buy X, get free works for stuff that makes sense to buy more of or get longer access to. Basic buy X, get Y free offers reframe pricing. Buy one, get two free, cost the same as buying three, except customers see the free offer as more valuable. Remember the 18-month service example I gave. So always try to give more free things than paid things, and you compare different free things with paid things as well, which you can just test. All right, so buy X, get Y free can lengthen the amount of time customers stay. If normal customers stay for 3 months, then buy two, get two customers will keep them for 4 months. So whatever you sell, try and extend whatever the normal customer duration is by saying like, if I know customers stay for 3, I do buy two, get two, and I price it so that it's still 4, I make more money. I make 33% more money. It's a great deal. If you use buy X, get Y to generate a lot of cash fast, make sure you manage it and you can deliver on your promises. If you need fast cash and your business is healthy, make this offer to existing customers and just cap how many you sell to. If you have recurring, I recommend 10% as the cap. Keep selling customers who prepay for long durations because they are the most likely people to buy again. With that being said, that is buy X, get Y free. All right, so we covered the first 4 offers: win your money back, free giveaways, decoy offer, buy X, get Y free. They just keep getting better. And right now, your mind's probably moving like, shoot, I could use all of these. Yes, you could. That's the point. That's why these things are so valuable. So now we move on to pay less now or pay more later. Also super sexy. So let's dive in. Same big 5, how I learned it, description, examples, important points. This is my big fancy drawing. Big and fancy. Enjoy. All right. So how I learned it. So I got this email for double your reading speed in 3 hours or it's free by the world's fastest reader. And so I was like, sure, okay. So I clicked to register. And so they said, put your credit card down for $0 and get billed $300 after the training ends. And if your reading speed doesn't double, email us and we won't bill you. You have to attend to be eligible. And I was like, that's pretty fair. Like, I mean, if I could double my reading, I would pay $300 for that. And I get to decide if I doubled my reading after I decide to pay after I've doubled it already. I was like, that's kind of cool. So I clicked okay. And then the next page said, or pay $97 right now and get the recordings from it for free. And I was like, ooh, I kind of want the recordings. But I will say I was younger and I was broker and I was like, I want to make sure it works. And so I decided to not take this offer. Now, on the 3-hour training or whatever, the first hour and a half or 2 hours, he had an objective point in the middle where he was like, okay, now he tested us in the very beginning. And then at the halfway point, he tested us again. Everybody who raised their hand said, yep, my, reading speed bubbles. We were like, oh, I tripled it, quadrupled, whatever it was. Some people didn't. And then he called those people out, tried to help them live, whatever. And then after that, just at the very end, he was like, by the way, if you thought this was good, this is what the progress we made in, 2 hours. If you want, I have an 8-week intensive on the back end that will even further increase your reading speed and your comprehension. And so you can read at a faster rate and contain more. And ultimately, learning is the meta skill of everything. If you learn this one skill, blah, 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 right? And so I ended up not doing that. But I was like, wow, this is really interesting. He gets all these people on. He makes money from the 97s. He makes money from the 397s. And he then pitches people another thing. I was like, this is pretty cool. So that's how I learned it. And I was like, I wonder if I could do something like this for my business. And you can too. So let's dive in. So in pay less now or pay more later, you give people a choice to pay full price later with an implied guarantee of satisfaction or pay a discounted price now. This play removes all risk from the customer, which is why it's so compelling. The other amazing thing is that you can advertise that it's free because they put $0 down and they only pay after they get it, if they want. So they pay later and only if they like it. And it combines the benefits of a delayed payment and a satisfaction guarantee. So it does both. It's a delay and satisfaction. That's why it makes it so compelling for people. And anyone can sell this. Almost anyone will agree to pay later if they're satisfied. So from a salesmanship perspective for your business, if you're not that good at sales, this offer, primo. But once they agree to pay later, you can then get them to pay now with hefty discounts and valuable bonuses. Like in this example, the recordings was a very valuable bonus. You can also stack other bonuses as well as discounts. So it's like, oh my God, which also, by the way, shows you the value of delayed payment and guarantees. How much you have to discount and how many bonuses you have to stack shows you the relative value of a guarantee and a delayed payment. So the pay later option allows you to advertise free since you can choose to pay or not, and this gets lots of leads to engage. But this free offer has an added benefit, which is we get their card on file. So this works just as much online as it does in person. So whether you have either type of business, it works the same way. Because if they choose this option and they hate the product, then they can cancel at any time before the charge goes through. But if they accept the pay later option, then we can make follow-up offer to pay now, and the option can provide the whatever 20, 50% discount, sometimes two-thirds discount like the 97 example I gave, and greater bonuses. And since we already have the card on file, we make it easy for them to pay because now we already have it, right? And so whether they choose to pay now or pay later, you've got customers and likely some profit. But to take full advantage of this offer, you want something else to sell. So have something more, better, or newer to offer them when the time is right. All right. You want to market the core value as free, double your reading speed. The prospect puts the card down to consume the service or value. At the end, they're billed for the service at full price. Now, again, if you offset your cost to acquire the customers with the $97, whatever the immediate thing is, then you want as many people to pay the 3 times as expensive thing. So it's not that you want to force everyone to do that. And I'll talk about the balance between the price points later. But the objective is not to get everyone to pay now or everyone to pay later. It's to balance it just enough to offset your cost to acquire customers and then get as many people to then basically delay payments so you can make 3 times the amount. All right. And so you can charge more for the thing since a delayed purchase to the same degree. People will agree to pay more later than they will now. And so you can also boost the price because also if someone, it basically means what's the price of the guaranteed delivery. So when you have someone pay today, there's a risk metric that they apply to the purchase on the risk that they don't get what they think they're going to get. If I said, hey, you only pay me after you get a 6-pack, then people are like, oh, then the value of a 6-pack is directly related to the price that they pay, which means I could charge way more for that thing because it's at a delay. And so we want to give the one-time offer of the same thing for 1/3 to 1/2 the price, plus bonuses and guarantee to get more people to buy now. Great. All right, so let's do some examples because some people are like, okay, I get how it worked for the reading tutorial, but how does it work for other businesses? So pay later, 0 plus $299 after 3-hour training. Pay now, $149.97, doesn't matter. Recording plus notes. Okay, now if some of you are like, wait, I thought it said 20 to 50. I thought you said 67. Doesn't really matter. You just pick the discount amount that accomplishes your objective for offsetting as much cash as you need to break even on the acquisition. Now, upsell. And also to be clear, if you are doing this thing is happening all within 30 days, I also include the cash I get from the pay later option because they're still paying in that 30-day window. So if I get some today and then some in 2 weeks or some in 3 weeks or some in 4 weeks, I still get it before I pay my card back. Whatever. Doesn't matter to me. Now, upsell. The upsell here is the 8-week double your reading speed thing. Cool. So we have 3 offers: pay later, pay now, upsell. That's how this works. Now, let's say I'm in the, find your first real estate deal. Okay, fine. I do a 3-day workshop, pay later for $0 for a 3-day workshop. They get billed $500 at the end unless they cancel. Pay now is $299 for the 3-day workshop, plus the recordings, plus a one-on-one call with a distressed property expert, plus printed materials that they can use at the workshop. Kind of compelling. Now, the upsell is that when they go to the 3-day workshop, guess what do? You sell $30,000 to take them through every other step of closing their first deal within 6 months, plus legal templates, an advisor to vet the investment, inspection checklist, whatever. I don't think I mentioned this yet, but one of the really sexy parts about this is that because every single person who registers puts his card down, the show rates are astonishing. They're very, very good. Because every single, you think about how do I make sure people come to the workshop? It's like, dude, everybody put a card down. Physical products do this, right? 14-day clothing trial. So they have a pay later option, $0 now, get it, then get billed $149 to 14 days. Amazon started doing this. It's try before you buy. This works in any business. All right, so the pay now option is you pay $97 for the closing, plus you get an accessory to go with it. But you could have this offer because then you could advertise that people would try for free. But you'd still want to monetize it sooner. The upsell could be that the dress comes with an offer for monthly subscription to more dresses or more clothes or clothes in this style. And the customers have to return the product in like new condition before billing to qualify for the guarantee. Now, let's do a local business. I'm giving more examples of this because people tend to be less creative. All right, so let's say you've got trim your hedges. All right, like very normal, local business. So the pay later option would be $0 lawn cut plus hedges. And then after we do it and it's to your liking, it's $600. Or $369 now, lawn cut hedges and lawn treatment. Now, some people are like, why is that so expensive? I have big houses. Whatever. Fight me. I'm kidding. You can change the prices to whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. All right, you can make this $59, this $36. It's fine. All right, relax. You're going to be okay. All right, now, upsell. So the upsell from there is the $199 a month for lawn care services. And so then the rep comes to the house, makes the estimate, and then offers both options, then upsells once the work is done. And so when they go there to say, hey, we can trim the edges and you can pay me right now, or you can pay me after the thing's done, you can pay more. Right. And then as soon as we get the card, then you can make the upsells. Boom. Important points. Okay. So here's the key part. Promise a clear yes, no result. So first, you make a promise yes, no. Second, make sure you can deliver on it within your time frame. If you don't, they will ask to not be billed. And so you want to make this as objective as possible for people so they can say, yes, I found my first deal. Yes, I got my first reply from an email. Yes, my reading speed doubled because I got to hear. Like, and you want to have some sort of measurement before and some sort of measurement during so you can see the progress. So, for example, if you promised a decrease in summer shoulder pain, have them rate their pain before you do your magic trick and then ask them to rate it after. If it went down, you succeeded and you can sell them something else. Keep the promise simple, clear, and measurable. This avoids unnecessary cancellations. Now, make a conditional satisfaction guarantee. So people can only cancel the billing if they qualify. For example, they had to show up to the reading training to qualify. All right, it's a key point. And so if you don't show up to the workshop, then you can't ask for the refund. So think attendance, showing up for an appointment, turning in data, make the criteria what people do to get the value out of the product. All right, which should make you feel good too, because then you can explain it. It's like, listen, I have this as the criteria because you said you want to double your reading speed. You're not going to double your reading speed if you unless you show up. You're not going to find your distressed property unless you come to the workshop. Have bonuses for your pay now offers to get even more buyers. All right, so if you want more people to take that pay now option, just stack the bonuses, decrease the price. Optimizing your pay now and pay later offers. If too many people take your pay later option, discount the pay now option more, add better bonuses or both. And if too many people take your pay now option, go the other direction. If more than 10% of pay later people cancel their payment, you promise too much, the guarantee conditions are too low, or the price is too high. And so the last one's the one that can be kind of tricky is if you have a massive discrepancy between pay now and pay later, then sometimes people will get the value and just be cheapskates. That's why having the objective measure of whether they got the thing is so important for this. Now, again, I would explain that 10% is what you should target or what you should expect. So 10% of people who have pay later are going to just say, don't bill me. So just factor it into the cost of doing business. So if you have 100 people that do pay later, expect 10 to say that. Now, if like 20 say that, more than, then it's like, okay, we need to change one of these other things. I would say the fourth thing is that you're selling people who can't afford it. No matter how well you deliver, some people will cancel the payment, and that's okay. It's just cost of doing business. Now, this works for recurring revenue businesses too, because you're like, how does this work for those businesses? Let me explain. So you just give them the option to pay a higher ongoing rate 30 days later, or they pay less today and they keep the better rate for good. All right, really sexy. So plus you can add in some bonuses. So I'm going to give you one line now, and we'll talk more about it in the one-time bonuses chapter with continuity. But it works like this: someone does a free trial of whatever your subscription is into $400 a month, and then on the thank you page you say, or you can pay $300 today, skip your trial, and you get to lock in at $300 a month for life. Pretty sexy. But now, in order to do that, you would add bonuses, and that also gives you a lifetime discount. There's two benefits from that, which is why it makes such a compelling offer. But you can advertise the thing as a free trial, but then you can liquidate the acquisition because you have the immediate thank you page offer. So if you run events, workshops, presentations, hint at your next offer early. So if the reading guru had said, everyone wants to know when my next reading intensive starts because they sell out so fast, I'll get to it at the end, but please pay attention. I want to deliver on the promise I made to you guys to double your reading speed first. By hinting about his new offer, he would have sold more of it. And he didn't. But if he had, I might have had a higher likelihood of buying. And so I used to do a lot of nutrition consultations, and this is what I learned myself doing this, is I would start my consultation by being like, listen, everybody wants to know what supplements to buy. We're going to get to what supplements to buy. But right now, we got to get your weigh-ins. We got to get you to understand food. That's the most important part. Everything I just said was true. But by saying everyone wants to buy, everyone wants to know what to buy, I seed the idea that they're all going to buy something. But I seed it in a way that's not, it's me talking about everybody else, not the people in the room. And so I would say, hey, people are going to interrupt me all, to ask about supplements. And it annoyed me. And I did it one time by accident. And then, of course, it worked really well. And then I started doing it every other time on purpose. All right. And so by accident, I implied that people who that everybody bought supplements without actually offering them. And all the head nods actually showed that they actually did want more products. And so all these factors got more people to buy when I finally asked them to. So it was a happy mistake that I was sure to repeat. Now, if you're selling over the phone, get the card first. Then ask, oh yeah, I forgot to ask you, do you want to save $200 on that price? So I'm giving you different selling environments. So if you're selling in person, I explained that the lawn care thing. If you sell digitally, it's a thank you page thing. If you're selling over the phone, you get the card first for the trial. You get the card first for the pay later option. Then you ask, like the thank you pages, once they've agreed to that purchase, then you say, by the way, I forgot to mention, do you want to save a little bit of money? Or say whatever the price is and get these extra things. A lot of people say yes. And then you should explain, yep. So for people who decide to just sign up without waiting to experience it first, if you want to skip the trial, you get VIP seating and recordings from the event, and you get it for $200 less than if you wait. And you won't be able to get those 2 other bonuses at any time. You want to go ahead and do that? And so the more compelling those bonuses are, the more people will say yes. Great. Now, let's summarize this B. All right. So pay less now or pay more later offers people a choice to pay full price or pay a discounted price with additional bonuses if they pay now. The pay later option has a delayed payment with a conditional guarantee, have a clear criteria to qualify for the guarantee, and easy ways to measure it. If you can, align the criteria with what gets people the most value from the product. The pay now option offers a 20 to 50%, sometimes 2/3 discount, and bonuses if they pay now. It depends how desperate you are to get people to pay. Offer customers the pay now option after they already accept the pay later terms. All right, so if they choose to pay now, then they get the discount and bonuses instead of the guarantee, in lieu of. All right, now you make your promise easy to track and difficult to refute. So not only is it easy to track, but they can't say they didn't have it. The easier it is to track and the harder it is to refute, the better it is for this type of offer. So you want it to be as clear as a yes, no. And if you have more than 10% canceling the pay later option, you promise too much, the guarantee conditions are too low, or the price is too high, and or the people that you're selling to are not the right people. All right. So also give extra attention to the customers who claim they haven't gotten value. If you remember during the thing, if people didn't say they raised their hand and they didn't double the reading speed, he attended to them so he could check off the cancel. He basically purposely brought down the cancellations that he was going to get later. And so it's really easy to tip people over the edge. It probably takes, especially if it's an in-person thing, you can just easily check those boxes off and it'll save you a ton of money in cancellations. And that is the pay less now or pay more later. So we covered win your money back, free giveaways, decoy offers, buy X, get Y free, pay less now or pay more later. Those are the 5 main attraction offers in the book. And you, Mr. Video Training attendee, get a bonus number 6, free with consumption. The reason that this one I pulled out of the book is because I think it required the most skill to use and it was the most amorphous in nature. So it's the most complex, but it is one of the most used things that people have in marketing. So let's dive into it. Now, this one, same 5, how I learned it. So I went to an event for my gym to learn marketing stuff. And I went to a side stage to see one of the presenters because they had like 3 stages going at any time. So I saw this guy present and he did an entire pitch deck, but then right where you transition to the offer, he just did it because no one was allowed to pitch at this event. And so he said, hey, if you want to find out more, you can just go, over there and whatever. And so the thing is they weren't allowed to sell, but at that moment I wanted to buy. And I learned later that that thing was called a webinar. And I thought that was really cool. And so that was more or less how I found out that I could attend something for free and then want to buy something afterwards. So I call this free consumption to upsell. So the reason this is a little bit different is that the promise of the attraction offer is to get people and then liquidate the acquisition. Because there's a delay here, it was loosey-goosey. Not that you can't liquidate within 30 days, so you can. Again, this is why I was like, anyways, it's a bonus for you guys. All right, so let's get in the description. So I'll show this image real quick. So this is like, a lot of times the consumption thing is 20 minutes long to 5 days long. So it could be one free video, it could be a PDF, it could be an audio, it could be a live event, it could be a workshop, anything that someone's going to consume a ton that then they go, oh, this thing's free. They learn a bunch. They say, oh, I can do this. And then they put money down. That's how it works. Fundamentally, you're selling or giving away a selling tool. Now, effective selling tools also provide value. Bad selling tools are just pitches. Don't do that. Let's dive in. So you give the free thing that teaches and provides value. It breaks beliefs that most people have around that particular thing. And so the more knowledgeable you are about your customer or your prospects, the more you can systematically break their beliefs around the opportunity that you have or whatever service you provide that people get hung up on. So think about this as like FAQs on steroids. And you want to make an offer that solves their next concern or have embedded CTAs or calls to action to take the next steps in the process. By the way, if you're watching this massive video training and you want to scale your business, we're pretty good at it. And so, one, if you're a really big business, you can go to acquisition.com and hit the sell button, and we'd love to look at your business to invest in. If you're a smaller business, call it less than 10 million a year, then hit the scale button, and we'd love to help you scale from $1 million a month to beyond $1 million a month. That's an embedded CTA. That's how that works. All right. And this works for books, webinars, VSLs, events, workshops, video trainings like this, anything where you get people's undivided attention. Now, what this does is the process reverse engineers trust. The best way for someone to know that they're going to get value from you when they pay you is to give them value before they pay you. Mind blowing, I know. And so I believe that education is at the core of advertising. It's the core of marketing. It's that you help people shift their beliefs around something so that they make a decision to buy. And so the amount of time that you need is in direct proportion to the price of the thing you sell, how cold the audience is, and what that price is relative to their buying power. So for example, if I'm selling consumers, if I have a $20 thing, I might be able to sell that in a 7-second ad, direct to purchase. If I sell a $7,000 thing, I might also be able to sell that off of a 30-second ad to a $50 million a year business owner. So it depends. It's the price relative to their buying power. But if you're selling a $500 thing, if it's a physical product, maybe you can get it off of an ad. Most likely above that, you start having to add in phone sales and things like that in order to close deals. Now, to be clear, it is my belief that every customer needs a certain amount of information to buy. And so Tesla, for example, sells their cars on the internet and you can buy the car online. And so with enough brand goodwill and enough people making that are aware of the products and the reviews that you've had, the word of mouth, you can facilitate a $30, $50, $100,000 plus sale with zero salespeople. But for every person that opts in on the Tesla site, if they also had 1,000 people calling all the people who didn't follow through with the purchase, they would make even more money. And so the idea is that marketing gets as many people over the line as you can. And for everybody who's not over the line, sales fills the gaps. But it's not that sales and marketing are different. They are the same continuum. And so this free consumption thing is basically just zooming more people along. Think about it like microwaving the prospect. So it's like in 2 days, you go from, I don't know who this guy is, to I absolutely trust them. And so I learned this from some interview I heard from, this sounds bad, but a guy who had a Ponzi scheme for investments. But I love understanding what they do for persuasion because they use great skills for evil. We want to use those great skills for good. And so he found that he could get someone to invest many, many millions of dollars with him within 4 hours. And I thought that that was fascinating. And again, it depends on the prospect. Who are we talking to, right? If you don't have $1 million, then you would have no idea. But it really depends on who you're talking to. All right. So I like to use this analogy of the bigger the plane, the longer the runway. And so if you want to sell a really expensive thing relative to what someone has in terms of money, you're going to need longer in order to earn their trust. People don't sell timeshares off of a free ebook. They do by telling them to fly down for a cruise for 7 days. And at the end of the 7 days, they get them to buy all sorts of stuff, right? Because after that period of time, they trust you. So that is the description. That is how it works. That's why we do it. Now, let me give you some examples. So this was a really common one that happens in the chiropractor space. So they have the diabetic dinners, neuropathy, XYZ dinners. They give these free dinners away. So sometimes they do steak dinners, right? And so what they do is they have a 90-minute presentation during a 3-hour dinner that sells a $50 to $100 consult, which sounds like, why would you waste that time? After they come in for the consult, they then sell them a $5,000, $10,000 year-long health and wellness program with supplements and nutrition protocols to go with it. And so the benchmarks there are you convert 25% of the room into the $50 to $100 thing, and then you convert a third of the people who show up for the appointment into the $5,000 to $10,000 thing. So you do the math there. It's basically you're converting somewhere in the neighborhood of like 10-ish% of the people who show up for the dinner fundamentally end up buying the expensive thing. So if you have 100 people show up for the dinner and you sell 10 at 10K, you make 100 grand from a dinner. This is super common in the education space. So there's these 3 to 5 day challenges, these virtual summits, things like that. And so these are, day one you give, day two you give slash ask, day three you repitch slash give. That is the very standard structure. And so in the challenges structure, it's give, 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 pitch, repitch with proof. If you have a very high ticket price, you can push people to a phone call from the 5-day thing to get someone to finalize the transaction, get details from a salesperson. And so the goal of these challenges, these events, these multi-day things, these dinners is to break the core beliefs of the prospect while you deliver on the tactical promise that you made at the beginning and or the headline of the promotion you had. The benchmark that I have if it's virtual is that you convert 2 to 5% of people who opt in. Not who schedule show everything down, but just if you're saying, I got 1,000 opt-ins for my virtual thing, if I can convert 2% of those people at a expensive price, then I will offset the cost. Now, if you're like, wait, mine's not cheap, it depends by market. But if you're going really mass market, really cheap opt-ins, it's 2 to 5%. If you're in a super niche, it should be way higher than that. That's the worst numbers you can have. It only gets better if you have more brand, more warm audience, and more niche down in terms of what you're selling and who you're selling to. So this is an example of something might look like. So on Monday, and again, you can compress this. Like you could make this into one day rather than 5 days. It all just like this is basically the stuff that's going to get covered typically in a process. This could be a 90-minute video. Everything's just about how much and how many examples you're going to give. So Monday, it's like our story, why it's like your story, why we can help, what we're going to cover in our perspective shift about how your approach to solving problems is different, how our approach is different than what you've had before. Tuesday, it's going to be second valuable nugget of value, which is regarding their ability or insecurity. It's like, what are they most afraid of? What are the thing that they're most concerned about? The next one is going to be the second thing that they're also concerned about. This is typically an excuse outside of themselves. So that's like, one is, I don't think I can do it. Something is, this other thing is going to block me from doing it. All right. The next one is going to be, you mentioned your core offer is going to be coming the next day. And then of course you pitch and then you repitch with some sort of Q&A, which you add more proof in. That's when you invite past success stories on, you do mini case studies, and then you restack the offer. All right. So this is fundamentally how it works. Now, if you're a beginner, this is flashing Vegas lights. Okay. So by the time you're seeing this, we should have done a big school launch for people. This is more or less what I teach all the beginners to do. And you're like, wait, I thought it was complex. If you want to do it at scale, it's complex. If you want to do it one-on-one, it's the simplest way to sell. So hear me out. You could do this with one person at a time. And so you could say, hey, instead of calling it a 3 to 5 day challenge, say, I will spend 5 days with you. Doesn't have to be full days. It can be 5 1-hour sessions. You get 5 hours of my time to help you get this goal. Insert goal. On the first day, you're going to frame the fact that you're going to make an offer at the end. You say, hey, before you get going, is it okay if at the end of this whole thing, I just make you an offer of what it would look like to work with me long-term? If they say no, then don't do the rest of it, right? But during that process, you should understand what their goals are, what the reasons that the obstacles have gotten in the way for them, and basically all the friction that they've had to deal with in the past. So this is basically like a closure framework. Clarify where they're labeling the problem, over their past pain, and then sell them the vacation being what we're going to accomplish together in the next 5 days. Explain away whatever their concerns are, reinforce decision, and then you frame the sale. All right. Sorry, that was fast. You can watch it again on slow. That's what you would do on the first day. The next 2 to 3 days, whatever it is, you then overcome the main beliefs that they're going to have about the things that are going to stop them. You're going to show them one-on-one. And at the end, you say, hey, ask for a referral. Anybody else so you can recap it. Hey, was this great? Then you can ask for other people who would like to go through this free thing with you. And then finally, you can make your offer. Hey, remember that thing I told you about again? Do you mind if I tell you about it now? Now, if you're a super beginner, you can just ask them, what do you think working with me for $3,000 per year would look like to you? Then they can tell you the offer. And then you can say, yeah, that sounds good. Let's do that. Right? If you have no idea, if you have 20 of those conversations, you're going to have a pretty decent idea. And then you can start making the offer. So this is the easiest way, because if you suck at sales, it's way easier to sell when you spend 5 hours with someone building value. This is exactly what I did when I started my first business. Is I told people to donate $500 to $1,000 to the charity of their choice, and I'd worked with them for 12 weeks. Those 12 weeks was one time a week for the 12 weeks, and then I pitched them at the end for staying more stuff. Now I learned I should have pitched them halfway through, and I probably could have done it in 6 weeks. Lots of things I learned, and so here there's just X amount of time you need to spend, and you can microwave it with the prospect. You can just do it in 5 days rather than 5 weeks by just compressing the time period. So these might be headlines for whatever your free thing is. So it's like free, find your perfect product, entrepreneurship challenge. So you could say, if you're a beginner, hey, I'll spend 5 hours with you to help you find your perfect product. what happens when someone has the perfect product? They're going to want to learn how to advertise. They're going to learn how to put it on a website. They're going to learn how to manage inventory and all the other things that go with it. When you solve one problem, you create others, which you can solve in exchange for money. And they will believe you because you fulfilled your first promise. If you're a marketing agency, it could be free 5-day, find your niche agency accounts. Like if I was trying to help people start agencies, a lot of people are like, who do I sell to? It's like, all right, by the end of the 5 days, you're going to know exactly who you're going to sell to. What else are you going to do? You're going to learn how to generate leads. You're going to learn how to sell. You're going to have to learn how to price, all these other things. And so each of these things, a lead magnet, fundamentally what this is a big lead magnet that gets people to opt in. And because it's in a short time period, people like the fact that it's fast, they're going to get this result. You can increase their perceived likelihood of achievement by saying it's one-on-one. You can add scale by adding technology and virtual summits and more automations and things like that. And at the max leverage version of this is you run these things on autopilot every hour and everything is automated and personalized to the person. That's what the businesses that do $100 million a year are doing. But if you're starting out, you don't have to worry about show up rates because you can just text the people and see what time they want to meet. All right. You can make this very easy. Weight loss, a plateau buster. You basically walk them through a 5-day plateau buster, what they need to do for eating and drinking and whatever else. Addiction, 5 days to substance-free challenge. Pain, 5-day pain release. Life coach, 5 days to get unstuck. It doesn't matter whatever it is. You can usually deliver a tremendous amount of value in 5 hours of time or 90 minutes times 5 of time. And this works. So the reason if you're like, man, why didn't you put this in the book? Because it's really long and there's a lot of stuff to it. All right. And so webinars are an example of this. It's just compressed into 90 minutes. So instead of, day 1, day 2, day 3, like day 1 is origin story, which you just put in the first 15 minutes. Day 2 is the big obstacle that most people are going to encounter. You put that in the next 15 minutes. You basically chunk your way down to 60 minutes, 45 to 60 minutes being the kind of the value piece. And then the next 30 being the pitch with the stack and everything else. All right. So the benchmark for most webinars is converting 10% of the people who show up live. All right. Strategy call. This is one where I want to be really clear. A lot of people have kind of butchered the idea of a strategy call because all sales calls are just considered strategy calls now. But you can get this by telling people that you will not ask for their card on the phone. And this works very sexily if you mean it. And then what you do is you just use your qualification call as the strategy call. And so you do qualify what problems they have, and you should be able to provide value in terms of clarifying what next things are constraining their business, whatever it is. If it's a B2B offer, it's B2C offer, it's what thing is preventing them from hitting their goals. And at that point, you would then be able to reasonably and ethically qualify them for a sales call. But now at that point, you have provided value, and then you can make the offer just being hop on a call with the sales guy. Now, you wouldn't say that. You would say, this is John. John's amazing. He cured cancer, and you also have cancer. Don't do any of that. But you get the idea. You want to edify the salesman and say that he's helped people just like them get to where they want to go. And you want to ideally tie that to people who've done that recently using this specific system. And for this, you want to convert 25% or more of the people who hit on these calls. All right, important points. So the 3 beliefs that we always have to overcome with every single sale, no matter what, is people point to circumstances. They say life should be easy, and it isn't, and they get upset about it. And so it's like, I don't have the money, which is circumstance thing, because it means that they're not being resourceful. They say, I don't have the time, when really, it just means that they're not prioritizing. Everybody has the same amount of time. And so we have to get them to take the finger of blame and point it towards themselves and say, it's up to me. It's not about my circumstances. It's about my ability to be resourceful, my ability to prioritize, right? And so that is what belief number 1 you have to break for people is it's not the outside world, it's me. All right. The next one is other people should treat me the way I want them to be treated, and everyone should do what I tell them to. That doesn't happen. And so we have to say, you are actually the one responsible for your own life. And so it's not your business partner, it's not your spouse, it's not your dog, it's not your grandma, it's not your employees. It's you who are the one who are in control. And so instead of asking for permission, you need to be asking for support. And so that's fundamentally the belief that we have to help them break in this thing that other people are going to stop them. So if someone says, oh, I wouldn't be able to do this thing because of my kids, we have to basically reorient that and say, hey, this is actually how it's going to help your kids. Hey, I can't do this because of my spouse. Actually, it's going to help your relationship with your spouse. We have to reframe what they say, and that would be the second big belief. The third big belief is going to be self, which is I can't do this. I'm afraid, right? What happens if I fail? And so we want to get them to confront the decision, give them the variables that it takes to make a logical decision, and make them feel that this is actually a decision that is not rushed at all. It's something that they've been making a long time ago. Today is just the first day they're taking action on it. And so when breaking beliefs, you want to teach concepts, not tactics. This is a big mess up that most people do when they have this free value thing. The reason is that everyone gets value from concepts. Only executors get value from tactics. So, summary. Learn how to break the beliefs, which, by the way you break a belief is you say, this is what you used to believe. This is why it's wrong. This is what's right. This is why it's right. Proof. 5 steps. This is what you believe. This is why it's wrong. This is what's right. This is why it's right. Proof. So provide excessive value, teaching concepts that underpin whatever you sell. This is an education process to create your ideal prospect and ward off people who are not your ideal prospect. So if you get people in and you're like, oh, I'm losing people. If they're the right people, that's bad. If they're the wrong people, that's good. And these can be added to any sales process in any business to increase close rates and the average ticket sold. And so there's a zillion ways to do this. So I'll explain it like this, is that once you can create educational products, if you will, that you would give away for free, you can insert them. So if you have multiple sales in a process, between call 1 and call 2, you can give them a video. If you want them to watch something prior to getting on a call, before call 1, you can force them to watch a video. You can have someone watch 5 videos before they talk to you. Like, all of this is just how much friction do we want? How little friction do we need to provide to get people to buy? We want to have as much as needed, but no more. And there you go. I already made my CTA for you, but you can go to acquisition.com if you want to grow your business. But that's my cutesy way of doing it. That being said, that completes free with consumption and our attraction offers section. And now we move on to upsell offers. All right, so we just covered attraction offers. So these are the first thing that most people are going to see when they're entering your business. This is the stuff that gets leads to engage. That's why they're big, sexy, free things. The upsell offers are things that we're going to reposition for them to spend even more money. Now, sometimes this happens immediately. Sometimes it happens, a few days later, sometimes a few weeks later, sometimes a month later. But either way, we're going to be using 4 of my favorite upsells. So this is step 2 in our money model process. So here's what they are. Attraction offers are with an attraction offer in place. You've got customers in cash. Now we want to maximize 30-day profits. So what do? Answer, we make more money. To do that, we make upsell offers. And when it comes down to it, upsells just mean whatever we offer next. It's all an upsell is. And so when an offer solves a problem, another appears. You upsell the solution to the problem that your first offer reveals. So every offer opens the door to an upsell. Even upsells open the door to more upsells. And often upsells make up the majority of the profit. This people don't understand. If the objective is that we can break even, obviously you want to make as much money as you want, but you don't want to make more money on a few customers when you could get 10 times the customers and then make way more on the second sale, right? And so often upsells make up the majority of the profit, even if that's not the thing you sell the most of. Think about it in terms of volume. I might sell 10 times more of my front-end offer, but 10x of my profit comes from my second sale. They can make or break a money model. And so let me show you how much. So here's some examples. So this is a classic burger, fries, and soda store. All right. So this is our very sad burger shop owner. He sells a burger for $2. His cost on the burger is $1.75. He makes 25 cents in profit. He cries himself to sleep every night. Very sad. Now he has a happy tier, isn't that nice, of going from 25 cents per sale to $1.75 per sale by adding in an upsell of fries and then upsell of soda and the upsell of quantity of, do you want to supersize your whole thing? So it's like, do you want to make that a meal? Do you want to supersize that? Boom, upsell 1, upsell 2. And the thing is that when they make this upsell, look at how much more they make per sale, a lot more. And so the end result of this goes from 25 cents to 8x the gross profit per sale. They're making way more, $1.75 from 25 cents originally. And so the thing is that you may just be one upsell offer away from making yours into a dynasty like theirs. You just have to figure out what's your fries and a Coke. And if you don't, someone else will. Let me talk about when they fail. Upsell offers fail or feel cringy when you offer something that they don't want. So that's either too different or doesn't solve their existing problem. You offer it at the wrong time. So it's before they've experienced the problem. You say, hey, you just had a steak. Do you want another steak? They're like, well, I'm not really hungry anymore. You already solved that. You're trying to solve the same problem. You offer it the wrong way, which is they don't believe you. They're like, sure, that would be nice, but I don't believe you specifically. Or it's a combination of the above. This is when it fails. Now, what to sell, which becomes the next upsell offer question. More of what they just got. Think quantity. So that's 1 burger to 2 burgers. Better versions of it. Think quality. So this is why I have a mystery meat burger when you get a sirloin meat burger or organic burger, or newer complementary stuff. Think different. This is, do you want fries and a soda with that burger? Fundamentally, that's how this works. So the objective of the upsell is to maximize profit per customer and to send clients into backends. Note, these structures that I talk about with the upsells work anywhere. I just prefer them as ascension tools. A lot of these things could also be front ends. Each of the offers that I explain in money models when putting them together, which again, the money model is putting them all together. Some of the stuff that I'll give you in continuity, you can use a front end offer. Upsell offers, you can use a front end offer. I just place them in the places that I use them most commonly. And I think that they work, at least they have worked the best for me. So this is our lineup. We're going to start with the classic upsell. We'll do the menu upsell, the anchor upsell, and the rollover upsell. I use all of these. I have made so much money on these upsells. And if you follow what I lay out, you probably will too. And I will probably get more animated in these because I just love these so much. All right. With that being said, the classic upsell. All right. The classic upsell. As usual, how I learned it, description, examples, important points. Here's my lovely visual thing for the classic upsell. How I learned it. Here we go. So I had a mentorship, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't really a mentorship. I was just getting paid and I took him as a mentor. He didn't really care about me at all. But at a fur coat dealer. And he was a fourth generation furrier. And I remember watching how his son, who was my friend, that's how I got the job, I would be brushing fur coats all summer in the heat in the warehouse. Uh, Unbelievably mind-melting stuff, like boring beyond belief. And the thing that I kept thinking was that every single one of these coats was $200, and he had 7,000 coats in his warehouse. And I was like, holy cow. I was like, that's $1.4 million that he's making just for storing coats for the summer. I was like, this is pretty sweet. And I know what I was making, and it was not $1.4 million for storing these coats. And so the offer that they had to get people in was that they would get people to store their coats. And they said if they stored them, they would get free earmuffs, free fur earmuffs. So people were like, oh, that's cool. And so people would come in for the free earmuffs. And then they would say, we'll store and condition the coat for you. And it costs $30 to store the muffs. Now they'd come in for free earmuffs, but it's the summer. So then they would basically hand them the earmuffs and then take the earmuffs back. And then they'd say, you don't want anything else, do you? And so by saying you don't want anything else, they would assume clothes, the winter storage, the conditioning, and the earmuffs that went with the sale. And so that is when I learned you can't have X without Y. And that is the fundamental basis of the classic upsell. You don't want burgers without a fries. You don't want burgers without a Coke. You don't want a fur coat without storing it. You don't want a fur coat without conditioning it. It'd be like taking a car and not getting it serviced. Like, you don't want X without Y. And so I learned a couple of things. One was the structure of a classic upsell, which is you don't want X without Y. But tactically, I learned the no sale sale. All right. And so the way that this works is basically people have been conditioned over the years to say no to salesmen. And so when someone says you don't want anything else, most people just immediately say no. And so what we want to do is basically imply that the else means in addition to the thing we just offered you. And by doing that, you get people to say yes by saying no. And so these people who came in to store their coats agreed to storage, conditioning, and the free earmuffs, which then got stored at a $30 fee for saying no, that you don't want anything else. So the no sale sale is what I ended up calling a different sale, which may sound confusing, but bear with me. So if someone came into the gym and they said they declined every service offering we had, right, which sucks, you would then try and salvage some sort of goodwill or rapport because this person walked in and is basically walking back out, which sucks. And so you say, hey, listen, I will still want to help you for 6 weeks. And so why don't we just do this as an at-home program? All right, so I'll give you this thumb drive that has at-home workouts that you can follow, and then come in a couple days, and we will give you a nutrition consult on the house. All right, we just want to help you out, and hopefully maybe when things are a little less crazy or money's a little bit better, you can come back and at least you'll have nice things to say about us. And so a lot of people would say yes to that. And so when they showed up to the next appointment, which was the nutrition consult, we would still close the same percentage of them as we did for normal customers. But here was the cool thing. We actually closed them at a higher average ticket. And so the people who bought services and then bought supplements averaged $200 a ticket. People who didn't buy services and then bought supplements averaged $300 a ticket. And so to me, my lesson from this was that we tried to solve their problem, not in a way they wanted to solve it. So they wanted to lose weight, but they wanted to have a magic pill rather than work. And so we needed to have the magic pill available for them, which in their mind would be supplements. Now, obviously, we always say, hey, you got to make sure you got to eat the food and all that stuff, but people hear what they want to hear. And so the thing is the magic behind this is that we turned no sales into sales by just offering them something else. So, the description. So what you do is you provide a service for free that you can monetize another way. So this works for one-time services or even recurring services, provided the recurring stream is high enough margins to pay for both. Different way of saying it, essentially, I give you thing A for free in exchange for buying thing B, or I give you thing A for free and I will encourage you to buy thing B, or I give you a thing for free as long as you continue to use thing B. Any of those things. So The earmuff thing, he says, I will give you these free earmuffs and I will encourage you to storage them. That's what that was, a classic upsell. So if we have a lemonade stand with our classic upsell, we say, we want to give you a free cup of lemonade. Upsell one might be, do you want lemonade ice cubes to make it cold without diluting it? Now, of course, you could give cold lemonade, but then you wouldn't have an ice cube upsell. Upsell two would be, do you want a stainless steel to-go container to keep it cold for you? And we'll donate $1 to help children's cancer to anyone who takes the mug. You also get 20% off refills. Upsell number two, right? So you don't want lemonade in a little paper cup. You want a nice steel mug. You don't want diluted down lemonade. You want lemonade ice cubes, right? Each of these things are just natural upsells that could happen. And I prove this point because whatever it is you sell, there's an upsell that's available for you. All right. So storage. In this business, I have a whole story around this, but I tell this in the book. So I'll give you the brief version of it. But in the first few months of me being in business, I was struggling a little bit. And so the business owner across the street was a massive storage unit. And he ended up becoming a member of my gym because it was super convenient for him. And so he asked me, hey, how much time you got left to live? And I was like, not that long. And so he said, come for a ride with me. And he took me to his facility and he said, how much does a free month of storage cost? And I was like, I don't know, free? And he was like, no, $127. And so as we walked in, he asked Judy, the front desk girl, he said, how much does a free month of storage cost? She was like, $127. And he was like, that's right. And so I was like, how does this even work? And he was like, okay, so you come in for a free month of storage. He's like, what's the first thing you're going to need? And as he's walking me through the facility and pauses, and I was like, I don't know. And then he taps the lock on the door. And I was like, oh, a lock. And he's like, right. He's like, and you can't have any kind of lock because there's only one kind of lock that fits the store, the locks that I sell at the front. And he's like, for $47. And I was like, oh, okay, got it. And I was like, so you make 47 people coming for the free. I was like, but where's the other, whatever it is, $80? He's like, good question. He's like, now that you have your lock, what else are you going to need? I was like, I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, well, you probably need some boxes for all that stuff that you have, which I have conveniently here. You don't want to go to another place down the street or have to order them on Amazon, wait for them to come, break them, box them, all this. It's like, we have them right here available for you. And I was like, oh, right. He's like, and we also have hand tow, the hand trucks that you can use to move your stuff in and out at your convenience for a fee. And I was like, oh, right. He's like, and this stuff's probably really valuable for you because otherwise you just throw it away, but it's valuable enough that you pay to store it. We obviously guarantee up to $500 of damage. That could happen if there's a flood or anything should happen or theft. But if you want, you can have $1 million storage fee for just an extra $10 a month. And he paused and he was like, you want to know my margins on that? I was like, okay. And he was like 90%. And so he explained that. He's like, and what happens a lot of times is that people's eyes are bigger than their stomach. So they come here and they think they're going to be able to fit all this crap in a locker this big. Oftentimes they need a bigger unit. It's also a little bit spacier. And that way they can get their stuff in and out because they don't realize if stuff's in the back, they got to move everything out just to get to it. And so he walked me through every single upsell that they had. And I realized that that's how a free month of storage created $127. And so many businesses right now, just like the rental car story, just like the storage unit, there are other things that a customer must purchase. They will buy them. It's just a question, will they buy them from you or somebody down the street? So weight loss. So for us, upsell number one was at the nutrition orientation. We would sell them supplements. We would then sell them nutrition plans. And the immediate version for me was I wanted to sell supplements because I had no more delivery. I could immediately hand it to them, make the profit back. And usually what I made on the supplements covered the cost to a car customer. So just that sale covered my cash flow. And I hadn't even started servicing them yet. And so a lot of you guys have these little things that are available. Like if I have a physical therapist, maybe you give 4 free treatments as your offer. That's a banger offer. A lot of people might consider that. But upsell one is you're going to need these orthotics, these bands, these braces, these oils, this kinesio tape, all to maximize the effectiveness of the 4 treatments. And so they come in for the free month of storage, but they need their lock, they need their insurance, they need their boxes. Just think about those things for yourself. If you're in education, it's like I offer group coaching, provide information in a community for free, indefinitely as long as you keep using my software. By the way, this is basically, fundamentally what we do with school. We do all this stuff for free and then just use school to help monetize. Okay. Free versus discount note is that with the classic upsell, it works either way, same as normal. So a friend of mine had a very successful weight loss chain and they offered services for $5 a month for their weight loss. And they had doctors and nurses and all stuff there. And I was like, that's insane. And she was like, yeah, because we don't make money on the weight loss services. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, oh, we sell like $5,000 in supplements on the second day. I was like, oh. So that's where I learned that's where I really learned a lot of the really Jedi stuff that I know from, supplement sales. I learned from her, and I paid her top salesperson, $500 an hour for 2 hours to tell me everything she did to sell supplements. And you know what's crazy? When I told her top salesperson that I would pay her $500, she was like, $500? She's like, "Just to talk to you?" And I was like, "Yeah." She thought I was an idiot. I'm dead serious. She looked at me like I had 3 eyes on my head. She was like, "It's your money." And so she just walked me through every single detail of what she did to sell supplements, and that $1,000 2 hours that I paid for made me millions. And so I highly encourage you, sometimes the best people to learn from are people who aren't even selling information. Just offer to pay them to learn what they do in their particular niche or skill. And because people are not used to doing that, and you can charge, you can offer way more with the value, with the money's worth to you, you can make way more money that way. So, I learned from her that she had service that she basically gave for a nominal amount of money because she didn't even care about it, just because that drew people in, and then they'd sell the supplements and the food and the bars and the shakes. Um, and yeah, they had doctors and nurses working there. That's how they made the money. So, important points. So, number one, if you make thing A free, then you got to be able to give it away for free. If someone comes in and wants the free workouts, you have to deliver the free workouts. Now, you can't say you have to buy this other thing, otherwise it's not free. You want to strongly encourage the thing, but that's fundamentally how it works. All right. So make sure that it doesn't cost you a lot or anything at all. Like that thumb drive that we gave, like you want it to be something that's cheap, but still valuable. The next thing is make the upsells the next natural thing that they would need to buy. That's the boxes, the large units, the locks, the insurance, things like that. The weight loss clinic, continuity of service, continuity of supplements, done for you meals, hormone treatments, etc. All of those things were all part of classic upsells that went through. You can't have X without Y. You can't have this weight loss service without these supplements. Just think you can't have X without Y as your mental framework for what the next thing I'm going to offer is. All right, this play works so well because the perception of how essential or required the next thing is. All right, so this is the key point. If supplements is core to how someone's going to get results with the main thing, the likelihood they buy is very high. So if you remember the minimum package for the rental car story I gave you, you want this to feel as required as possible. Again, you don't want to make it required because then it gets shady. But you want to strongly encourage people to take these things to get the best results, which ethically they should be able to get better results with whatever your upsell is. All right. And so, how seamless the upsell process is for the prospect, if you make it frictionless, you can get sometimes 80% plus of people to take these upsells. I personally prefer to have upsells that have very little operational drag so that I can immediately offset cost to getting a customer, or it becomes that's my major profit stream. It depends on what the objective is for your business. Boom. Summary. Works on the front end as a back end, works as an internal play, meaning you can just upsell your existing customers. That's basically what the storage thing with the fur coats was. Many of those people were existing customers, so you can just upsell those people. If you suck at sales, this is not a hard sale to make. There's a lot of goodwill in this play because you just make sure that you close the upsell. Like, it's like, hey, let me give you this thing. I'm giving you this free earmuffs. Why not take it? But of course, you got to take this other thing too. And if you aren't getting 80% plus close rates, you're doing it wrong. So that's my big benchmark for you. If you're getting 30% to take it, you're not making it assumed enough. It's not clear enough to them that this goes with. So think about it like that. It has to go with. If you go to McDonald's, I would bet you that 80% of people are getting fries and a Coke. You want a very high uptake rate on the people who buy the next natural thing. Think of this as the thing that goes with the thing, and give the thing away for free to make sure that all the thing that goes with the thing you can make the money on. All right. And so the nice thing with this is that it gives you a lot of upfront customers. And that is the classic upsell. All right. So we just covered the classic upsell. I think this next one is my favorite one in this whole training, which is the menu upsell. Let's dive in. So how I learned it, description, examples, important points, and summary. So there are 4 steps to the menu upsell. We unsell what they don't need, prescribe what they do need, ask if they prefer A or B, and then make it easy to pay. So this is me getting super tactical with you in terms of how to upsell stuff like a pro. I have done so many upsell consultations in my life, and this works. I have used this sales process in many businesses. Like, this slays. All right, so here's how I learned it. So this whole process took me, call it years, to learn every single piece of it, but every single part is like a Lego thing that builds onto itself. So the first thing that I learned was, well, I'll tell you the story and you can go along with me. So I had that guy who was making supplements, and he was making 80 grand a month or whatever. And I was like, I got to start selling supplements. And so I buy $5,000 of inventory. And then of course, no one buys my product. So I'm there, I've got these full shelves. I'm reading all this stuff about retail and packaging and make sure they're twisted to the front, but no one's buying these things. And the only sales I was getting were like pity sales. And I could tell the difference. They were like, this guy's so broke. Sure, I'll buy a protein from you. Right. And so I was getting into all the science. I was like the hypertrophy and lean body mass and, creatine levels and what, like, mind you, I'm selling 70% women here. No one cared. And so I just went on a particularly bad day. I went 0 for 19 on nutrition consults. So the way that I would do is I would sell services for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, and then I'd schedule all my nutrition consults in one day. And so I just go back to back to back to back to back. And so I went 0 for 19. So I'm feeling horrible about myself. And this lady comes in and she has a fat ring, an expensive purse. And I was like, if I don't close this woman, I will kill myself. Not really. I will just continue to try. But I was like, I have to close this lady. And so we get through the nutrition part and I'm so like beat down at this point that I was like, hey, do you want vanilla or chocolate for your protein? And she just looked at me and she was like, which one do you like? And I was like, chocolate. And she was like, okay, I'll take that. I was like, and I slid across the counter and I was like, okay. And then I was like, for pre-workout, do you want kiwi or strawberry? And then I remember she'd asked me, I was like, I like kiwi. She's like, I'll take one of those. So I like put that. And now I'm afraid that I didn't want to scare her away. And so I remembered that because everybody had already bought stuff before and I had all their contracts here, because if someone's payment didn't go through, I would meet them on the nutrition console, like, hey, your second payment didn't go through. Let's make sure so I had everybody's cards right there. And so I'd be like, oh, do you want to use the card that ended in 4696? And she was like, yeah, that's fine. And so I just slid them across the counter. She grabbed her tubs. She walked out the door and I was like, holy shit, I know how to sell supplements. And the craziest thing in the world is that I didn't even talk about the products. I just asked her what flavor she wanted. And so that was the first thing. I learned 2 things on that one experience. Number 1 was I learned the A or B sale. The which one did you prefer sale. It was an assumed close. I closed everyone else the rest of the day. I closed another like 12 appointments, whatever it was. I closed every single person the rest of the day. I was so pumped. And I learned the card on file close, which was, oh, if you have someone's card on file, I didn't want her to have to take her wallet out or like think about the purchase again. I was like, you want a card on file? And she's like, sure. And so it made it really easy for people to buy. So those are the 2 first things I learned, the AB upsell and the card on file close. Boom. That was the first thing that I learned that became part of the mini close. The second thing I learned, and this is much later, so now I'm kind of a closing machine. I'm closing $5,000 to $10,000 a day when I would do my supplement sales days. All right, and so now I've got this lady who comes in. I got back-to-back appointments. So I would be taking 2 appointments every 30 minutes. So I would do 48 sales consults in one day, one-on-one, or sorry, not one-on-one, one-on-two, 4 per hour. And so I would go through these. And so I had to be on time. And so this lady comes in and she will not stop asking me questions. She's like, well, what if I'm traveling? What if I don't have this with me? What if she's asking me all this stuff? And she's like, well, do I take this one at night and do this one in the morning? And I was like losing my mind. And so finally I just turned her meal plan over and I just wrote like, take 2 of these at this time, take 2 of this at this time, 1 of these at this time, blah, 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 blah. And this was how much, when, how many, what if it's working, what if I'm at home, et cetera, right? So I wrote down everything they had to do and I went late. So now the next lady, and this was the tough part because the next lady had come in already. So she's sitting there waiting for me to finish with this chatterbox. And so the next lady comes up and I'm like, okay, I got to get through this one quick so I can get back on schedule. And then she just says, hey, can you do what you did for that lady for me? And I was like, okay, great. But here's what happened. The first lady, I had gone through the pitch for every product and then she'd asked all these questions. This lady, I just said, shoot, to get back on track, I said, okay, you're gonna need 2 of these, you're gonna need 1 of these, you need 2 of these. Great. And at the end, I said, card on file. And she was like, yeah, that's fine. And then she bought everything. And I was like, holy crap. So what I learned was detailed and personalized instruction explaining post-purchase behavior increase the likelihood that they buy more than vague and general instructions. So basically, this is how you're going to use this thing assumes the purchase. Why am I going to spend the time to say you're going to take 2 of these in the morning, 1 of these at night, and then the person's like, oh, well, I'm not buying any of it. It'll feel like a tremendous waste of time for them. So again, feeling that like it's assumed, it's part of the thing. Required? No. Strongly recommended? Yes. And so that was the third tactic. I learned A/B close. I learned the card on file from the first lady. And then this one, I learned about detailed prescriptions. So I call this the prescription close. The third piece that completed the 4-part puzzle that became the menu sale, and this is the most deadly of them. It's so good. So now I already told you about the seating thing earlier. That's like, that's so savage, and it's still not good enough to make these 4 into what the menu close is. All right. So this one, so now this fast forward a little bit more. So now I'm a closing machine. I'm prescribing things. I'm getting everybody to buy, right? So now I'm on the road launching gyms. And so I would get good enough that I would just sell out of everything I had, right? And basically whatever I had left, I'd be like, oh yeah, you want kiwi and banana and like just whatever I had, I was like, these are the ones you're taking. So I could just sell off all the stuff I had. And so I sold out pretty early this day for a couple key products. And normally it would have been fine because I would just like basically recommend different products or different flavors that I hadn't run out of. But this lady, her friend had come at like 10 a.m. and she was coming at like 3. And so I'd already had like 20 more consults between the first lady and her friend. And her friend was just like, hey, just give me all the stuff you gave Sandra. And I was like, okay, don't have that. So what I started doing, I said, okay, well, I don't have this because I ran out. I was like, but you can get this from down the street. It's not going to be as good, but it'll get you through the program. And this one you can get from this store. This is the brand you want. It's not going to be as good, but it'll get you through the thing. And so she was like, okay, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. But after telling her the 2 or 3 things that she could get from somebody else, I then was like, but you're going to want 2 of these, which you'll take in the morning, 1 of these, which you'll take at this time. Great. You want to use the cards you have on file? And she was like, sure. And so what I realized was that I went out of my way to cross out what she didn't need, and this built enough goodwill to upsell what she did. And so what I realized later, I was like, because it just went like water. I have enough sales chops to be like, that was a little too easy. Like that was way easier than normal. And so I started keeping products just to cross them out. And so I'll explain it like this. It's not that I would have products that we necessarily wouldn't sell. It was more that I had some products that I knew almost no one was going to buy. I'm selling predominantly females. So I had weight gainer. Now, if I had a guy who's trying to get bigger, then sure. But like that would be like 1 out of 100. And so for 99% of women that were coming in the door, I'd be like, well, you're not trying to gain weight, are you? They'd say no. And I'd cross out the weight gainer. And then I'd be like, hey, well, you're not trying to get any chest hair, get a deeper voice, anything like that. They're like, no. I'm like, all right, well, we're not going to use the test booster. Right. And so I would cross out 2 or 3 things on my menu. And then I would say, great, you can do this. Now, I did have some options, for example, fish oil, where I would say, listen, it was a low margin product. And so I would rather not make $3 on fish oil and make 40 on a fat burner and give the fish oil away to close 100% of people on the fat burner. And so that was how I realized what I call unselling, which is you start by telling them what they don't need so that they believe you when you tell them what they do need. And so that is what created the unsell, prescribe, ask what they prefer, make it easier to pay, menu close. So you unsell by telling customers what they don't need so that you can emphasize what they do. Here, instead of asking if they want to buy or not, you explain what they don't need as a way to get them excited about what they do. So unsells vary based on customer needs. When some options work best, you can cross out the rest, and that rhymes. So after telling them what they don't need, you then prescribe what they do need. So all the unselling is the cross out. Then we move to prescription. So in prescription, we tell them what they do need. Prescription upsells work well when offering a choice is inconvenient and you have only one thing that solves the problem. So if you have only one thing, it's like you're only taking this fat burner. There's no flavors for the fat burner. So you're just saying, this is how many you need to take at this time. Prescription upselling has 2 important components. First, you have to explain how it integrates with the offers they already bought. So they already bought service. This is going to integrate with how you use our weight loss services or our workouts or whatever. Second, you personalize in detail how to maximize its value for them. So here, instead of asking if they want to buy it or not, you explain how to use it as if they already have bought it. Again, we remove the option of not buying to lower the chance that they don't buy. Once I've told them exactly how they're going to use everything, we then ask them if they prefer A or B. So we say, okay, what are your preferences? The A/B upsells work for multiple offers that solve the same problem. All right, so you make A/B upsells by asking preference instead of asking if customers want to buy a product, yes or no. We ask which one they prefer, A or B. So either choice results in an upsell. So basically, when you give people the option not to buy, some people don't buy. So I give the option to pick between two buying options that are simpler. And once they know which one they're buying and how they're going to use it, I suggest the easiest way for them to pay. Boom, we give the card on file close, which is the cherry on top of this upsell sweetness. All right, so I literally ask, do you want to use the card on file? Just like that. So here, instead of asking if they want to pay or not, we refer to ways they have already paid in the past. And this gets more people to buy because it lowers the hidden costs of buying, picking out which card you want to use, taking it out, being reminded of ugly buying decisions in the past. Because a lot of times, some people there is a minor decision that goes when you say yes, and then there's a second yes when you reach in your pocket, and then you're looking at your card, and then you grab there's another decision that happens. We avoid that entire decision-making process by just saying, want to use a card on file? Yes, and we remove the pain associated with making the decision. So even the hassle of buying stuff in a rush. So sometimes I'd have people who are about to they're like, hey, I got to get to this thing. I'm like, card on file? And they're like, yeah, it's fine. And so if I weren't able to do that close, they'd be like, I'll pick them up later and I'll come back, and I would lose the sale. And so it's also the fastest way to close. And that is how that works. So let me give you some examples. And these are fire as fuck. All right. So if I'm a massage therapist, I would unsell. I would say, hey, we have a lymphatic massage available, but I don't think you're pregnant or just out of surgery, right? So we can cross that out. Fantastic. So then we'd prescribe. So since your shoulder hurts, we'll heat you up first, then we'll hit you trigger points, and then after that, we'll do some dynamic stretches. So that's a prescription. Now we say, so would you rather do it before work or on the way home? Then, great. You want to use a card on file? Done. If you're like, I can't A/B, you can absolutely A/B anything, and I'll show you how to do it in a second. All right, so I'll give you another example. Dog food. So you're not going to need the small bag of puppy stuff. You've got a big dog, so you don't need these vitamins either because we've got that in the food already. So you don't even worry about that. They're like, oh, wow, so nice this guy. It's already covered inside of the food that I'm buying. Then we say, but what you're going to do is give your dog one of these joint chews at each meal. All right, and every 90 days, you give them one of these wafers for heartworms. Also, make sure to bring him in back next month, and we can get that booked right now. Does your dog prefer chicken or beef flavor? Great. Want to use the card you have on file? Done. Digital products. So listen, you don't need all 8 courses yet. You just need to solve X, Y, and Z. So I tell you what, I'll send you some free stuff that solves X and Y, and you'll just need one course to cover problem Z. But to solve Z, you're definitely going to do the course in this particular way. Can you put an hour a day towards it? Okay, great. So this will prevent any other Z problems from cropping up later. A or B. So would you rather have direct message or phone support? Okay, great. And would you rather start today or Monday? Got it. All right, awesome. Use one card you have on file? Done. So you can use that 4-step process with anything. Now, important points. Anything is A or B sellable. Do you want to start on Monday or Tuesday? Do you want to have John or Amy as your person? Do you want to do your workouts in the morning or the evening? Do you want paper or plastic, black or white, cherry or strawberry? It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, if you have one thing, you can think about particular features that vary within the business. Do you want phone support? You want chat support? It does not matter. You can always make something A or B sellable so that you can have a preferential close. If you make an A or B offer, I recommend adding a nudge. So that was when the lady said, which one do you prefer? So this is where you say, I like strawberry. A lot of people like Amy. John's really good with high schoolers, right? So you make a nudge based on the customer's needs. So do you want chicken or beef? A lot of the big dogs like beef. Done. It's just like, you want to present. So this is what happens. We present the illusion of choice, and then we remove the friction of choice by nudging this one. So they have the illusion, yes, I'm buying something, but then we do this and they're like, great, I don't have to think about it. That sounds great. If you go to a restaurant and it's like, hey, do you want flambe or do you want creme brulee? And they're like, most people get the creme brulee. Or we get a lot of great reviews for the creme brulee. People always come back for the creme brulee. If you say that right after making the choice, we know I got the illusion, but then this is the one that they want me to buy, which might have 3 times the margin. Now, if you sell out, this is a pro tip for me, 2 things. One is if you sell out of something, you can then just nudge stuff that you're lower on inventory. So if you've got 3 bottles of this and 25 bottles of that, just nudge differently. Now, if you sell out completely, this is something I learned later, if it's physical products, or if you're at capacity for your service, take payment and deliver late. I mean, not deliver late in terms of expectations, but deliver at a delay. And I found out that people cared way less about it being a delay and care way more about missing expectations. And so if I said, hey, I'm going to take this order for you so you get exactly what you need, you're going to get in the mail in 7 days, they were fine with it. I thought that if they didn't walk out with it, no one would buy. Not the case at all. People were totally fine buying if I set the expectation. Now, if I said they're going to come in 7 and they came in 10, they hated me. If I said 7, they came in 4, they were happy. And so if you have a service thing and you say, hey, you're on the phone, you know you can only take 7 people in a week and you already have 8 sold, then you're like, shoot, I can't take this guy on, but I don't want to miss this sale. Take the deposit, start them in 14 days. Now, this is something that I learned later because I had to teach my staff this process. And so what I found out was that employees love unselling because it's because you feel good, right? So you're talking to the prospect, and because everybody basically, it's like, here are your homie hookups. Everybody wants to hook up a customer because then they get a little bit of authority, a little power, they get rapport with the customer, all those things. And so you say, hey, I'm going to help you get a homie hookup by design. So these are the 3 things that you can cross out, and these are the 2 products you can tell them to buy down the street. And now when it's an employee doing it, it actually gets even more powerful, because if it's the owner doing it, then they're like, huh, if an employee does it, it's very common for employees to not have the best interest of the business at heart. And so we lean into that bias that most people know of, that they're like, hey, don't tell the boss. But now when they're saying, don't tell the boss, but you do need these ones, the whole time it's scripted. If you have 2 options, so this is what happens. You're like, okay, what if I have 2 options, but I want people to buy both? All right. So the way we think about this, so there's The Economist that made this amazing case study on this. So they had their print stuff and they wanted to offer a digital offering of The Economist, a subscription. That was the most profitable. They could basically make more gross profit on print relative to the price. So they could charge more for it relative to the cost than they could on digital, because people's perception of digital is lower in terms of value. Thinking people would buy both, The Economist offered the following. So they said $59 a year for the digital subscription and $125 per year for digital plus print. They figured everyone would take that offer. But everyone just took the $59 a year digital and said, don't need the print anymore. So their print sales plummeted, and as a result, they made way less money. Bad for them. So this is what they did to fix it. They added a decoy option in the middle. Now, the numbers here is just so that you can think about whatever you want in terms of relative price. But the actual thing that they did was they had a $59 per year digital, the $125 per year digital plus print, but this is the decoy they added. A print only for $125 a year, meaning they took their best offer and just cut it in half, but kept the price the same. And so now, if you pay $125 for either of these things, now you're like, well, you know what? I just basically get the digital for free here, whereas here I have to pay for it. So now this feels like the better deal. And then they fixed the sales, and then way more people took option C. So simply by adding the middle option, they got more people to take both. And so right now, if you have 2 things and you're like, well, how do I get them to buy both? Add the third offer that's the same price as both with only one. Bottom line is that you present 3 options, option A, option B, and option C, which is A and B, and you make the price of C, A and B, the same as the more expensive between A or B. All right. So long as you price the 3 options to preserve your margins, you make customers' choice easy, and then you sell both. Before, people take this. After, more people take that. So money upsells work best when you have multiple offers available. Many upsells combine 4 tactics: unselling, prescribing, AB offer, and the card on file close. Unselling lower margin stuff where appropriate incentivizes higher margin upsells. Encourage employees to unsell and game the system on purpose by design. Nudge new customers towards the thing that makes sense for them, or the thing that you have the highest margins, or the thing that you're running out of, or that you're not running out of, in terms of directing their buying decisions. That is the menu upsell. So we just covered menu upsell, which is one of my favorite upsells ever. The anchor upsell is one that is so powerful. It's one of those like very simple ones that can make you a tremendous amount of money. And so what the menu upsell has in elegance, the anchor upsell has in brute force. So let's dive in. Here's how I learned it. Description, examples, important points, same as before. Let's rock and roll. So I had spent 5 years plus in casual clothes, sweats and a tank top, as a gym owner. Like, the nicest thing I ever wore was a tank top. And so when I started Gym Launch, somebody that I knew advised me to look professional. He said, listen, no one's going to listen to you for business stuff if you look like just a gym rat. And so I said, okay, I'll listen to you. And so he said, don't worry, I've got a guy at a suit shop that I know, and he'll hook you up. And he told the owner I was coming. So I mentally budgeted $500 for a suit. So I was like, this is a lot of money. So, I'm gonna ball out for this. So I entered the shop, made some small talk, and he was like, so what do you want? I was like, I want a boss suit. And he was like, okay, mind you, I'm like 26, whatever. And so I tried, so he gives me the suit. I tried on. I felt cool. He's like, how do you feel? I was like, I feel like a boss. And he's probably laughing at himself. So anyways, I'm looking at stuff in the mirror. And so then I like kind of look down at the tag that's on the arm. And when I pull it over, it says $16,000. And I still can remember the blood just draining from my face, being like, "Dude, 16 grand?" I was like, "That's a car." And I was like, "Oh god, like, what did I get?" Because my friend had referred me, so I was like, "I don't wanna look like a fool here." And they had prepped the stuff, so the sales guy who was the owner, he was also a 3rd generation tailor, obviously not his first rodeo. I looked at the I was like, "Hey," he's like, he could see that I was a little, distraught from the price. And he was like, "Hey, do you care much about the brand of the suit?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I don't care. I just wanted it to look cool." And he was like, "Oh, don't worry." So he had already prepared, and this is key, other suits next to me. And so he took this one off and he says, "Hey, try this on for size." And just like immediately. So at this one, he's like, "How does this one look?" And I'm like, "Great." Like I was like, I didn't even want to like think about potentially having this suit. So I then pull it over and it says 2 grand. And I'm like, all right, like it's more than I wanted, but like at least this is not a car. Like I can get out of here, without embarrassing myself. And so he's like, "Do you like it?" I said, "Sure." I ended up buying like $500 in like shirts and socks that went with the suit. And spent, I think, 2,500 bucks or 3 grand, something like that, on the way out the door. As I went through the process later, I thought to myself, I came in with a $500 budget and I ended up spending 5 or 6 times my budget. And I was like, how did that happen? And I realized that the first thing I saw was $16,000 and it just made everything seem like nothing. And so Roy Sutherland actually tells a story about this with Rolls Royce. So Rolls Royce stopped showing their cars at car shows because if you have all these different cars and then you see a $400,000 car, it seems egregious. And so what they started doing was showing their Rolls Royces at plane and yacht shows. So if you just decided not to buy a $50 million jet, a $400,000 car feels like candy on the way out the door. And so everything is relative in terms of what the price is being positioned against. And so I was like, man, that was really powerful. And it changed how I saw sales. And so that is what happens. I spent 5 times more than my original budget and ended up spending $300 on accessories and shirts, which I never normally would have spent. But it felt like nothing compared to the new $2,200 suit or whatever that I bought. So that is how I learned the Anchor upsell. Now, here's how it works. So Anchor upsells involve offering premium items first. Key first. If the customer is shocked by the price, you offer a cheaper alternative by changing secondary features. And this is what's key about this. So presenting a premium version first at 5 to 10 times the price makes the other offer, our main offer, the one that we sell to most people, look like a better deal. And so this strategy leads to more people buying the main offer. And so it works best when the lower priced offer has the same core functions as the premium one. It has the same primary features. So the second $2,200 suit still looked good. It still felt good. It still had a good, trim or whatever. It looked expensive, but it just wasn't Armani or whatever else, whatever other brand he had. And so for me, the secondary feature of the brand mattered very little because I was like, no one's going to ask me for the brand of suit I'm wearing. They just want to, I need to look cool. Right. And so the thing is that every offer, every product has primary features and secondary features. You want these secondary features to be different between your really expensive one and your minor one. But if it's just a little bit different and it's 1/8 the price, people are like, oh, this is a steal now because of what we showed them first. In the suit example, $2,200 suit seemed like a better deal compared to the $16,000 one. Two additional benefits of Anchor upsells that happen as a result. Number one is that customers tend to spend more than they initially planned. I spent 5 times what I was willing to spend. Two, some customers will still opt for the expensive option. He probably has done that with a lot of guys. And maybe 1 out of 5 guys buys a $16,000 suit. And guess what happens? When you take a $16,000 suit and divide it by 5, that adds $3,000 to every average purchase. So my $2,000 suit actually becomes a $5,000 suit in terms of the economics of the business. So even if 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 10 people buy something 10 times as expensive, if you have 1 out of 10 buy something 10 times as expensive, you double your business. Not to mention the increased uptake rates and average spend of all the other customers. So like I said, the menu upsell we talked about earlier, very elegant, very savage, really good for high volume transaction businesses. This one, a fucking ramrod for businesses that have fewer customers that spend lots of money. Basically, this can still make you more money than the menu upsell can, even though it's just very simple to understand. So here are the steps to using an Anchor upsell. You present the Anchor, the really expensive thing. Step 1. Step 2, get the gasp. All right, expect customers to freak out about the cost. That's expected. If you didn't do it, you didn't anchor high enough. That's why I say 10 times the price. So if you're like, I don't know, is this an anchor? Like I added 20%. It's not an anchor. It has to be an order of magnitude larger. It has to be so much larger that it gets you to recategorize your original purchase. Like, think about it. Buying planes and buying yachts compared to buying a car. Totally different magnitude. It can't be, it can't be within 100%. It's got to be 5x, 10x more. Once you get the gasp, you come to the rescue. You ask if they care about what makes it premium, those secondary features. Do you care about the material or the internal lining, stuff that most people won't care about? Then you present your main offer and you expect the customer to feel relieved and see the better deal. Then you just ask how they want to pay, which card you prefer. So here's some pro tips. Number one is the only thing worse than making a $1,000 offer to a person with a $100 budget is making a $100 offer to someone with a $1,000 budget. In the first situation, you lose $100. In the second situation, you lose $900. I've lost tons of customers and mountains of cash because customers wanted more than I had to offer. Boo. So now I always have premium upsells ready. Anchors. Only a handful of customers buy them, but that handful of customers bring in big profits. So always have premium offers, even if most people don't buy them. You're not failing if 1 out of 10 people buy a 10 times more expensive offer. You still double your business. Remember, you're not losing customers by offering premium stuff first, but you will lose money if you don't. All right, let's do some examples. First one, we'll do a local lawn care service. So the premium anchor is get my cell phone number, fancy mulch, natural pest control, bi-weekly yard maintenance for $1,000 a week. It's crazy. Big shock. No worries. Get my foreman's number, my team, my crew chief's number, generic mulch, normal pest control, bi-weekly yard maintenance for $200 a week. Yeah, I'll do that one. Because it's almost the same thing. At the end of the day, it's like, and they'll probably be like, is my, yard going to look any different? It's like, well, not really. It just really depends on how much you care about the quality of the soil. Now, for the guy who cares about the quality of the soil, he's going to buy this thing. But for everybody else, which 80% of people don't give a rat's poo about the quality of this other stuff, they're like, no, I'll take the 200. But they don't know that you couldn't price this at 200 because last week when you offered 200 straight up, people were nickel and diming you down to 150 or 99 a week. So physical product, a painting. The anchor would be the super productive packaging, a 20-year insurance, and gift wrap for $1,000. The main offer is normal packaging and 1-year insurance and a sticker for $200. You're like, I'll take the normal one. The thing is that you want the customer to feel reasonable by making the purchase, like they're getting a better deal, like they're pulling one over on you. They're like, this guy thinks I want 1,000. Like, he doesn't even know that this is basically the same thing. And it's like one fifth the price. But you designed the game. They're just playing it. Third is a digital product. So let's say it's a newsletter. So the premium anchor would be like, hey, all previous issues and new issues and 24-hour early access to my newsletters for $199 a month. Or new issues only, and you'll just get it on time for $19 a month. You're like, shit, yeah, I'll do the, I mean, it'd be cool to get the 24 hours early, but like, I'll just take the new ones. Like, that's fine. And it's 1/10 the price. And so now this feels like an absolute steal, but you might have been competing against people at $7 a month before that. All right, here's some important points about this. This is crucial. You will fail at doing an anchor upsell if you do not treat it seriously. So if you treat the anchor like a fake, so will the customer. If the guy had put it on my shoulders and been like, it's probably out of your range or said, well, that would be a little insulting. But if he's like, hey, if this isn't, in your range, like no big deal, then I would have been anchored because I wouldn't have considered the purchase. You have to have them fully consider the purchase, really try and think, oh God, how would I come up with this? And here's what happens is that your brain or their brain starts justifying why it might be worth that amount of money. And then when you offer something 1/10 the price, they've already done all the heavy lifting of anchoring, of comparing why it might be worth that. And then compared to this price, it's totally worth it. And that's what we change as little as we can from the thing that they thought about to the thing that they ultimately buy. The next point, make a premium offer that you actually want people to buy. If you have this premium offer that has all these bells and whistles, be ready to service it. Because let me tell you the real secret of what ends up happening when people do this. They 10x their price and they make this really whiz bang thing. And then more than 1 out of 10 people buy it. And so this is just also a great way to give yourself permission to anchor something 10 times as expensive. A proper anchor gets the gasp. Expect them, design for them. You want the gasp. The gasp means they considered it. If they do not gasp, it either means you didn't go high enough or you didn't sell hard enough. As in you didn't truthfully commit to actually selling that thing. Like you have to in earnest present it or this will not work. It'll just be a waste of your time and theirs. And this is especially for business owners. If you teach your team this process, many of them will just skirt through the anchor because they start selling from their wallet. They're going to be like, I would never pay for this. It's like, of course you wouldn't. You already know how to fix cars. This guy doesn't. And so we often can never see the value of the stuff we sell because for us, it's easy. Duh. That's why we have a business around it. You want to sell stuff that's easy for you and hard for other people. That's how you make money. Once you get the gasp, you come to the rescue. And if they don't balk, like if they don't gasp, close the whale. If they're like, this is a nice suit, then you're like, great. Do you have a card on file? Do you want to pair this with a handkerchief? You just move right on in the sale. And you're like, oh God, I got a whale on the line. I'm just going to keep going. To get more people to buy your main offer, make it a better deal. So this is the primary versus secondary features. You want it to be as little different from the main one, from the anchor, as possible, so that they justified the price already at this 10 times higher price. And when they hear this one, they're like, oh, this is a steal. Because if you make your good one too different from the core offer that you're ultimately trying to sell 80% of people, then they actually have to reconsider the offer again. They have to recalibrate price to value. You want them to basically be able to take the same price to value measurement they did here and then here an 80% discount or a 90% discount because the things that you changed were not the things they cared about. But if you all of a sudden have all these things they do care about, then you changed primary features, not secondary features. So if you present a more expensive offer first before a less expensive offer, more people will buy the less expensive offer than they would have on its own. When you present the anchor, get the gasp, come to the rescue, present the core offer, ask for payment. For the most effective anchor, make your premium offer 5 to 10 times more expensive. Anchored customers spend a bit more than they plan to, and don't treat an anchor like a fake, or the customer will too, and you will lose trust and waste their time. Important, some customers will buy a premium offer. That is where you make way more money on this because one, more people buy the main thing, and some people will buy the very expensive thing. The expensive premium offer adds outsized profits with fewer sales. So just because you don't sell the most of it doesn't mean you don't make the most profit from it. The main offer and premium offer should have the same primary features. The premium offer has different secondary, aka premium features. After anchoring, offering the primary features for 1/3 or 1/5 or 1/10 the price makes the main offer a great deal. It gives them basically the same thing for way less. That is the anchor upsell. All right, so we just crushed the classic upsell, the menu upsell, the anchor upsell. Now let's talk about the rollover upsell. Rollover upsell of these 4 upsells is probably my most used upsell. Not necessarily my favorite, but my most commonly used. So let's break down how this came to be. So I learned this from when I was doing the win your money back as the attraction offer. So everyone kept crediting their money towards the membership, but I would put it all up front, right? The membership was for me $150 a month. So $600 was 4 months of free service. So, they did 6 weeks and then they would essentially get another 4 months for free. And it would almost take me a half year to get my first payment from people coming in the door, which sucked, right? So the thing is for them, they didn't feel the payments, so they stopped coming. And so I needed a way to upsell people into something paid. And so I drove to a friend of mine's, actually here in Vegas now, to learn more about how he ran his gym. And the thing is, I studied everything he was doing because he was just doing way better than I was. And he said in this offhanded comment that he was getting 70% plus people stay on afterwards and pay. And I was like, how are you doing that? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, I just take their winnings and credit towards a year. And he said it just like that. And I was like, that's it. All you do is you take whatever they just paid for and you roll it. And so that's the upsell. It's whatever you paid for, I'll just credit it towards the next thing. So let's get into the description. Here's how it works. So rollover upsells credit some or all of a customer's previous purchase towards your next offer. And this, in my experience, gets way more people to take it. So once I know how much credit to give, I figure out 3 things. 1, who to upsell. 2, what to upsell. And 3, how to roll over the credit. So for the who, I use rollover upsells in 4 situations. First is to re-engage customers who left a while ago. I call this a win-back campaign. You reach out to old customers and say, hey, Sandra, you haven't been back in 6 months, but I saw that I owed you some money. And so the subject would be, I owe you money. And people tend to respond to that. And so you say, hey, I owe you $500. And she's like, what do you mean you owe me $500? It's like, well, I promised you this thing and you haven't come back in a while. So I want to take $500. Now that could be 100% of what they paid. It could be 1/3 of what they paid so far, whatever. And say, and I want to get you in here and I'll credit towards this other service thing, right? And so a lot of people will take that offer to credit whatever they've paid up to this point for more help. Great. And that's how you can re-engage old people who haven't been back in a while. The second is to rescue upset customers as a better alternative to a refund. So someone says, hey, I hate you. And you say, hey, no big deal. This $500 that you paid, I'll just credit towards the thing I should have sold you originally. So you got all the stuff that you just got for free. It's on me. Let's just give you the thing you really need. So I'd rather do a redo than a refund. And that's how we use the rollover there. The third is to rescue other people's upset customers. This is particularly savage. So what you do is you go down the 1-star reviews of all your competitors and you message those people and you say, hey, how much money did you spend at so-and-so competitor? And they're like, $1,200. Fuck that guy. And you're like, you know what? I'll give you the $1,200 of credit towards my stuff because I just want you to get this problem solved. You turn their biggest hater into your biggest ambassador. Savage. Number 4, you upsell your regular customers who walk in the door. So there's the 4 who's. The next one is the what. So remember, you can upsell more of what they just got, something better or something new and or different. So to make money, roll their credit over to something more expensive. And so the more expensive thing, again, in my opinion, should be 5 times more expensive. So if I'm going to roll a $500 thing, I want to roll it towards a $2,000, $2,500 plus type offer. For the how, you can apply all or part of the discount upfront, or you can spread it over time. And so this is dependent on you. So in the examples I gave before, I took it and I spread it over time. You could, if you had a smaller amount, do it up front. It's up to you. You can also make up a fee that you can then waive and use the credit for. There's lots of things you can do here. All right. But fundamentally, you can just figure out now the all or part of it is like, let's say somebody was with you for 3 years and they spent $5,000 with you. You might not credit $5,000 towards something else if your services, aren't that much. Maybe it's $2,000 a year, $5,000, 3 years of service. Well, you'd certainly want to get that customer back. But if you give them another 3 years, it doesn't make sense. So you could say, hey, I'm going to give you the last 3 things you bought from me. Let me credit those instead, right? And you wouldn't say instead, you just say, I'll credit those for you, right? All of those things, you can say, listen, I'm going to assume that we did something to mess up because you didn't come back. And so I'm going to assume that the last 6 months of service that we did was not up to snuff. So let me make it up to you. So examples. So chiropractor, re-engage old patients with the win-back campaign. So you say, who's the who? 6 months since their last purchase. What? New plan. How? Upfront. So that's our who, our what, and our how. So reach out to your old patients. You look at their purchase history. You offer to apply some or all of their past purchases towards something more expensive than what they bought. So I would say, hey, Mrs. Banks, I wanted to give your money back. Do you have a minute? Great. Yeah, I wanted to see how your back pain's going. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, I've got some good news. As a way of saying thank you, I want to give you $500 of your money back as credit towards staying pain-free for good. Is that of any interest? Great, let's get you in. Let's say a dentist. Hey, save your own upset customer with a rollover upsell. So who? Upset customer. What? Teeth whitening. How? Front load $200 credit. So we say, hey, the person pays $200 for teeth cleaning, but doesn't think their teeth got whiter. We explain they need more, to get more and upsell into a teeth whitening package, which includes multiple sessions, an at-home kit, and multiple deep cleanings. Then you offer to credit the $200 they just paid for the cleaning towards the whitening package. This just really works with people who are like, well, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And you're like, oh, that's on me. I thought you wanted this. Miscommunication. I'll make it up to you. Let me take everything you paid so you didn't lose anything. Everything you got was for free now. And let's put it towards the thing you ultimately wanted. Because the thing is they still want the thing they spent money on. And so if what they really wanted was higher expectations, then sell them the higher package. Rescue, cough, steal, other people's upset customers. So who? Competitors' customers. What? Service agreement. How? Rollover costs to break old agreement. So let's say you find a competitor's upset customers and credit their old purchase with them towards a new purchase with you. Then you roll over the amount they owe them as a credit towards a longer agreement with you. So let's say they're like, I would, but I've got 3 months left in this service agreement. You say, no worries. Whatever you have the 3 months, I'll credit it towards mine and I'll just make mine a 2-year agreement. So you'd say like, hey, John, saw your negative review on their product and it really upset me. To make it up to you, I'll credit whatever payments you have left with them to switch to ours. This way you don't lose a thing and you start getting the benefits now. Fair enough? Because that way you don't have to wait for that thing to expire and pay and then wait to get the benefits. You can start getting the benefits now and you don't lose anything. And I get the customer. Membership. So this is where you spread the first purchase over time. So who? Current customers. What? 12-month membership. How? Spread over the first purchase. So if somebody comes in, buys a block of service or of membership time, as soon as they do, you can then offer to apply the entire amount towards more time, like 12 months. I can do rollover upsells anytime. I just prefer to do them right then. So this is the important points. Use rollover offers to attract new customers. For example, you roll over some or all of the customers paid somebody else towards your thing, and you can find leads by scraping contact information from negative product reviews wherever available. You can do rollover upsells before refunding. This has saved me tons of customers in cash. If you did a bad job, hey, it happens. Roll over for a do-over, and if they want something different, you can roll over the purchase toward that thing instead. Previous customer are still customers, upsell them. These are win-backs. So reach out to old customers, 6 plus months from their last purchase. Look at how much they paid, decide how much you want to give them, offer it, example, I made personalized videos. This is me personally. I made personalized videos for 200 past customers. This is before AI and all that stuff. It took me like 2 days. Offering them $4,000 of credit to return. Add urgency to rollover upsells, so make them one time only. So this is a key point. So this is optional, it's up to you, but this is how I prefer to do it. Make the moment you present the offer the only time to take the offer. So they don't get to sleep on it. So you want to surprise and delight them with this credit or this discount. So if they want the credit, they got to take it now. If not, no big deal. They can always pay full price later. How to price a rollover upsell. So to make money on a discounted offer, you have to have profit left over in order to discount it, right? So I try to make the upsell at least 4 times more than the rollover credit. So that gives me a 25% discount at most if it's 4 times more expensive. Remember, the rules of discounting apply. Bigger discounts make you less profit but per sale, but they get you more sales. Now, you don't need to credit the entire amount. I just like to highlight this again because people do this and then they ruin their businesses. So I'm telling you, don't do that. Like, you can just take as much or as little as you want. The goal is to simply get as much of a discount that you get responses. So if you find out that $200 is enough to move the needle and the average person spent $2,000 a year, then you can say, hey, your last purchase with me of the $2,000 you spent last year was this thing. And that's what you choose to credit. You don't have to credit everything. If you have smaller, if the person spent a very small time with you and you have really big packages, credit the whole thing. If they spent a really long time with you and you have small tickets, credit the last one. So I roll over whatever I think would incentivize to buy the next thing. And you can just test to find the sweet spot. If in the beginning it's $500, you can test $300, whatever. This is my famous gift card play. The way that this works, and this is a savage play, and it basically is a rollover, just like packaged differently, is that you say, hey, this works great for like holiday seasons, things like that. You say, hey, this also crushes for Black Friday. I'm giving $200 gift cards away for 90% off. Limit 2 per person, and you can only use them on someone else because it's the holiday season. So you can do this for Christmas and you can do this for Black Friday. So you can use it twice if you want. Now, the key here, you can also do for birthdays. Sorry, not birthdays. Sorry. They give it to other people as birthday gifts. Anyways, when customers buy the gift card, ask them who they want to make it out to and if they'll make an introduction. Then when that person comes in, the person they introduce comes in, you roll their gift card over into the main offer. And so some people see this and are like, you want me to give 90% off my main stuff? It's like, no, bro, I want you to sell a $2,000 thing and give $200 gift cards away for 20 bucks. So what's really happening here? You're going to get paid $20 to get a lead that's a hot referral that you're then going to take the $200 and roll it into a $2,000 product, which you may have marked up by $200. Or you add something to it that's high margin that you can justify adding the $200 for, that then you can take the deduction off of. All right. So you make the value of the gift card 20% of the price of whatever you want to sell next. So if it's a $200 gift card, you make that 1/5 of the price, so $200. If I had a $2,000 off, that'd be 1/10. But minimum should be 5x, would be a $1,000 offer. Obviously, you can make it more expensive than that. You just want it to be enough that it drives a purchase. All right. In our example, we sell a $200 gift card for 20 bucks, then apply that $200 offer with at least a $1,000 price tag. People pay you to refer their friends, plus you get cash from unused gift cards. Wins all around. That is the gift card play. Final points. Rollover upsells credit some or all of a customer's previous purchases towards your next offer. Do rollover upsells, figure out who to upsell, what to upsell, and how to credit the rollover. Who to upsell, old customers, upset customers, other people's upset customers, current customers. What to upsell, more of something, better of something new. Just make sure that you make a profit after applying your discount. How to roll over the credit. You can do full or partial purchase, give it upfront, or you can spread it out. We went through examples of all those. You can price your next offer for at least 4 times higher than the credit. So this makes it a 25% discount. Everything above that is gravy. I wouldn't do less than that. And to get more takers, add urgency. Make your rollover credit a one-time only offer. And boom, that is the rollover upsell. So we just covered all 4 upsells, the classic upsell, menu upsell, anchor upsell, rollover upsell. And if you're like, man, that was amazing. Yes, I love those. And the problem is, what happens when someone says no? Enter downsell offers. So downsell offers are the third prong of our 4-prong money model. It's what you do when someone says no. So here's the description. In the last section, we use upsell offers to get people to buy more stuff. If we did a good job, we've turned a profit too. Downsells begin after a customer says no. We find a solution to meet the customer's budget. So we downsell in 2 ways. We change how they pay or what they get. So how they pay, how much they pay versus how much they pay over time. So now versus later. And then what they get, we change the quality, the quantity, or something different. So here's what not to do. So these are the rules of not downselling. So this is a real story from a friend. So I was buying a car and the salesman tried to upsell car insurance. The cost of the insurance when he first started was $5,000. I said no, but then he lowered the price. I said no again. He kept lowering the price until the same insurance he first offered was for $5,000 was now $400. I still said no. At first, I said no because it was way too much money. But by the end, I said no because I didn't trust the guy. The entire experience felt dirty. Then I wondered, was he ripping me off in the car too? Now I didn't want to buy the car from him either. How to not downsell. People lower the price to close a sale. But even if you close this one sale, the customer will question every other price you offer them from that point going forward. And whoever they tell. That's the bad part. Not just them, everyone else too. So you trade trust for a buck. Not worth it. Here's the note. You can offer something different for less. You just can't offer the same thing for less. If he had offered different insurance for less rather than the same insurance for less, he probably would have been fine and kept your trust and closed the sale. So the key point was that he offered the same thing that was once $5K for $400. That's the problem. Because now it basically means that your price has no meaning and you're making it all up, which of course we do make it all up, but we never admit that. So let's begin. Rule of downselling. Remember that they said no to this offer, not all offers. See it for what it is, an opportunity to find out what they really want and then profit from it. Downsells are trades. When downselling, you work with the customer to find a combination of giving and getting until you get a match. So if you're going to give something, you should get something back. Personalize, don't pressure. So figure out what they like and what they don't like, then offer more of what they like and less of what they don't, with a price to match it. If someone refuses my large soda upsell, I can offer them alternatives. I could ask if they want a small, or juice, or coffee. Am I being offensive by asking? No, it's offensive not to offer to help. Offering the same thing in new ways. You limit downsells to what you've got. So think of downsell as more like 100 ways to offer the stuff you already have, not 100 different offers. Don't drop your price just to get someone to buy. All right, I'm going to reinforce this one because this is the one that everyone just keeps messing up. First off, dropping your price is not downselling, it's discounting. So if someone wants what you have and just doesn't want to pay the price, well, that's tough cookies. On the other hand, you can offer them to pay less now and more money over time, which is a payment plan. So let's go through the lineup. We're going to go through payment plan downsells, how they pay, trial with penalty, which is also how they pay, but just a very in-depth tactical thing that I think people do trials wrong, and I'll explain how I like to do them. Feature downsells, which is changing what they get for the price. These downsells boost 30-day profits even further. They do it by making even more sales when customers would have said no. And you can use a downsell offer at any point in a money model. You can use it up front. You can use it after someone takes an upsell or says no to an upsell. You can use it on the back end. Any of those things. And that begins our downsell offers. Let's start with payment plan downsells. So we just covered downsell offers. Now let's rock and roll into payment plan downsells. The main 5 as always, and let us begin. So here's how I learned it. 1 month in the business, I got 1 month's rent left. And I'd only made a few sales that first week. So halfway through the month, a prospect comes in and I really needed the cash. And so she said no to buying. And so normally I just would have given up, but I really needed the cash. And so I was like, all right, well, can you put half down? And she said no. And then I was like, okay, can you put a third down? We'll do 3 payments. And she was like, no. I was like, well, what can you do? And she's like, well, I can't do anything today. She's like, but I get paid on the first. I could put the whole thing down then. And rent was due on the 5th. And so I was like, okay. So I put $0 down today. And then I put her whole payment on the 1st. And it went through and I was able to pay rent and all was well in the world. Hooray. So that was my first real experience with learning how payment plan downsells worked. I got a little more sophisticated over time, which is what I'll share with you. So here's how they work overall. So payment plans work for any price tag. That's one of the nice benefits, but they are a gamble. They make money when customers complete payments. They lose money when people cancel before you profit or when people who would have paid in full take payment plans instead and then cancel early. So note, this is not selling a cheaper thing. This is selling the same thing with different payment terms. And so people reject offers when they cost too much today, not necessarily when they cost too much overall. This is a massive miscommunication and misunderstanding for salespeople and business owners. People saying no doesn't necessarily mean that you're mispriced. It just means that you might have to change the terms of payment. All right. It's usually about what they have to pay you right now, not what they have to pay in general. And so people mistakenly think that they need cheaper stuff, and this is not the best course of action, in my opinion. Payment plans get the most buyers to pay the highest price by getting them to pay less now in the moment, but pay full price or higher over time. So here are the 7 steps of a payment plan downsell. We reward for paying in full rather than punish for paying over time. This is a big thing that I don't see taught very much. And so I'm going to explain this one in depth because it's really important. Next, we're going to offer financing options, half now, half later. Check to see if they want the thing, offer to split into 3 payments, or evenly spread the payments, offer a free trial. So let's give some deep down examples. So step 1, reward for paying in full rather than punish for paying over time. So if I take on the risk of a payment plan, because if you're a business owner and they don't pay you everything and you start delivering stuff, then you take on risk, right? So then what I do is I increase the price. Now, normally businesses do this by charging interest, but everybody hates getting charged interest. And so instead, what I do is I anchor my first price I present is the fully baked payment plan price. And then when I say, got it, would you like to save some money? They say yes. And I'm like, you can prepay and save this much money. So now them prepaying is a savings rather than getting penalized. So think about it like this. Let's say it's 10K and 12K. 10K is the paid in full price. 12K is the payment plan price. Instead of pitching people, because remember, anchors still work. Instead of pitching people 10 and then they say they know they can't afford it and then saying, okay, fine, pay me 12 because you can't afford it, feels tough. So instead, pitch 12. I know you're afraid of doing it. Don't be. The difference in interest is usually never enough to change a purchasing decision. So like if you had 10 and 20, then yeah, but most interest or whatever you usually, add on top might be 10, 20%. And so that's not usually enough to get into a different buying tier. So you present here, and if someone says yes, and by the way, if everyone keeps saying yes at that, and then you don't even have to mention the prepay, then it also allows you to incrementally step up and get kind of like a soft indication in the marketplace of whether or not you can sustain a higher price point. So I actually like to use payment plans as a great test for where I'm anchoring, and I can keep nudging up my price before I start seeing people freak out. So it's kind of like a testing price. So I would present 12. They say, not sure if I can do it, or maybe they can do it, and they great, want to save some money. Now they prepay 10 and they're stoked. If they can't do 12, then it's like, fine. Oh, you don't have to do it all up front, but now I don't have to increase the price. They said they couldn't do 12, and then I say, cool, you want to spread it over time, and now it seems like I'm adding no interest to the original price. See how different that feels? Like, oh, you can't do 12? We can break into payments for you. But if, oh, you can't do 10? Then pay me 12. It's like, tough, right? And this gets around all of that. So number 2, third-party financing, credit card, and layaway options. So third-party financing means another company pays me now, or pays you now as a business owner, and the customer has a payment plan with them, the other party. So car dealers do this all the time. The dealer gets money from the financing company today, and the customer pays the financing company tomorrow. Most times, by the way, adding third-party financing in increases revenue by 35% on average. Note, it does take work to get third-party financing set up, but it is typically worth the effort. Credit cards. Now you're like, how is this third-party financing? I learned this from a master salesman, so I will just teach it to you as I was taught to me. This is an insane close that this works, and it does work, and it still blows my mind that it works. Just ask, would you rather that I decide your payment terms or that you decide? Everyone then says, well, I would prefer to decide. And when they do, you just say, awesome, just use your credit card. That way you can pick whatever payment plan you want that works for you. If they say, well, shoot, what's the alternative to that? Then you say, I have an in-house plan, which is me picking the dates of when you got to pay. And that's usually going to be a much shorter time frame than what a credit card would allow you to pay it on. And so as crazy as this is, it's wild to me that this reframe actually works, but it does. So especially if you sell to consumers, like that reframe works. No idea why. I only state what I know, that it works. All right. The next one is layaway. This is actually a personal favorite of mine. Layaway means paying off the product before getting it. This is actually how they used to do in the olden days. When there was no credit and banks were all sketchy, people would do layaway. They'd go to the store, they'd say, hey, I want to buy that thing. And the guy would say, great, drop off money every Monday for the next 4 Mondays, and then I'll give it to you. And it was a very simple way. Now, the thing is that the customer takes on the risk, not the business. But in my opinion, I think there's a lot of really weird little psychological things with it, because if you make payments, it's like building up anticipation for a vacation. It's like the whole time, like, man, I can't wait to get this thing. I can't wait to get this thing. On the flip side, when you get the whole thing and then you make payments, you already got the value. And now every time you pay, you like hate them a little bit more, right? I mean, ideally that's not the case, but I'm just explaining my experience as a consumer. Some businesses can't do this. They can't do a layaway. But if you do have the opportunity or the option where you can delay starting for a little bit, whether it's a service or it's a product, having them start paying is a great way to do this. And the nice thing with layaway is it's as flexible as you want. And I'll tell you the story of how I learned this. So I had Alan, which was our software company. I mean, we still own 25% of it, but When we started the business, I learned that in-person onboardings led to higher stick rates and happier customers, and you want to get more customer feedback, et cetera. And so I would do a single company full day onboarding or half day onboarding, and I was on the phone selling that onboarding. Now, the onboardings, for context, this was an enterprise level sale, so it was like $20,000 to just be able to white label the stuff, and then use the whole product because it added a whole another revenue stream to agencies. And so I was on the phone. This must have been the first week or two, and I was on with these young agency owners, and they said, "Okay, 20. Do you guys do payment plans?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I said, "You can break it up however you want." And they were like, "Awesome. So we'll just do $800 every other week." So that's what they said. And they're like, "So with that being said, we good to come out, next week?" And I was like, "Oh no, no, you can't come out." I was like, "You can split it as many times as you want, but you got to pay it off. And the moment you pay it off, you can fly out." And they they just said, "Oh, all right, we'll put half down now and half in a month, and then we'll come out then." And so they wanted to delay my payment for like 6 months or more than that, whatever the math is on that. And then as soon as I said, "Oh no, you don't get the thing until you pay," they were able to do it in a month. And so the nice thing with layaway is that actually aligns your incentives with the customers. They want to pay it off as fast as possible so they can get the thing. When it's the other way, when you're giving the value, they're incentivized to make it last as long as possible. This is why I like layaway for the variety of reasons. You can close anyone, you can make the payment terms as flexible as you want. Don't take on risk. They have this kind of like working for it, earning it type feel. And for all those reasons, I really like layaway. Now, if they say no to all of those offers, I move to step 3. So, guys, these are in sequence. So, first we do the prepayment thing. They say no. Then we offer financing. They say no. We say, great. Can you do half now and half later? So then I say, when's the next time you get paid? If I'm doing a consumer sale, if I'm doing a B2B sale, I'd be like, when's your next inflow of cash? Or do you have some sort of, revenue thing? Do you have any big contracts hitting? Whatever. After that, I say, want to just put half down today and then the rest down when you get paid? If they can't do that, then I say, okay, well, what's the most you can put down today? And I like that question because it just cuts the core. But what's the most you can put down today? When they offer an amount, you say, great, we'll put that down today. We'll put the rest when you get paid. Fair enough. So instead of doing half down, I might put a quarter down, 75% when they get paid. But all I'm trying to do is compress forward cash. Remember, money models, what we're trying to do with customer finance acquisition is get as much as we can in the first 30 days. And this payment plan downsell process is structured to do that. So I like scheduling payments off of paychecks since that's when most people get paid every 2 weeks. So this boosts 30-day profits more than monthly payments. So it's like half now, half in 2 weeks, and then a third in the next 2 weeks. So all of it, I get 3 payments in 30 days, which is great. And if they can't do those, I pause to make sure they actually want it. So sometimes people just keep saying no, and I'm like, hey, pulse check, temperature check. We still good? You still want to do this? And so this is how I do it. No payment plan is going to satisfy a customer who doesn't want the thing. So make sure the person actually wants the thing before putting more effort into selling it. So I might say something like, got it. So money's tight right now. Real quick. Just want to make sure on a scale from 1 to 10, how bad do you want to do this? Now, if they say 8 or above, then I keep offering payment plans and say, awesome, don't worry. We're going to figure out something that's going to work for you. If they say 7 or below, I say, why not a 10? And then say something like, you're right. I think we may have something that could be a better fit for you. And then I pivot the sale. And so then you sell something different, which this is actually an out point or an exit ramp that goes into feature downsells, which is two videos from now. So step 5, we offer to split into 3 payments. So remember, at this point, they've said 8 to 10, right, on the scale. I downsell from half down to a third down. So I offer a 3 payment option. So 1/3 now, 1/3 on the next 2 paychecks, or 1/3 now, and then 1/3 the next 2 months. If they still can't do it, then I offer to evenly spread payments. So if they still can't manage it, I evenly spread their payments over the rest of their service. So even if someone signs up for 6 months of service, it doesn't mean you need to have them pay you over 6 months. You can have them pay you in 3 months for 6 months of service. You want to still front load as much as you can. You're the one who had to pay the cost of, one, onboarding the customer, but also of acquiring the customer. So for instance, for Gym Launch, it was 16 weeks long. So for us in that business, I charged them each week 16 times in total. So that was me spreading it all the way out. If that still creates a problem, I moved to step 7. Now, to be clear, I dealt with very, very broke customers. Most gym owners don't make any money. And so this was so commonly the payment plan that ended up basically just having prepayment financing evenly spread because I just kept getting so many no's all the way out. You simplify it. And at the end of this, I'll walk you through this, but fundamentally, this is how you map kind of the network of what your downsell process will be. And then over time, you tighten it until it's like, these are the highest likelihood stop points that my avatar tends to say yes to. So step 7 is you offer a free trial. Now, I offer free trials in a very special way, so I dedicated the whole next video just to doing this. But normally, the sale ends here. I mean, you can't really get much lower than a free trial, right? So here are some important points about payment plans. What I walked you through was a 7-step downsell process. It's how I like to map these. Now, there's a different methodology of downselling that's simpler to understand and less to explain. It's called seesaw downselling. I like it a lot as well. It's simpler to explain. You can pick whichever one you want. And I don't like giving people options because people like being told what to do. But I think if you're watching this, then I believe in you and I think that you can make the best decision. So instead of just asking for the full amount, you say, would you rather have giant monthly payments or tiny ones? They'll say tiny. Then you say, well, it normally costs XXX, and if you prepay today, then you get a huge discount and 0 monthly payments. That work? This frames the payment plan as a negative and highlights the benefits of prepay. If they say they can't afford it, say the more they put down now, the lower their monthly payments. And so it basically frames all of the payments as we want to make those payments as low as possible. So put more down today. So if you can't afford it up front, totally get it. We'll just adjust the down payment until you get a monthly rate you like. And the thing is that most people want low monthly payments. And so in order to get a monthly rate they like, they have to put more up front. So the seesaw downsell, I call it this because you're just saying, okay, well, the more you put down, or the less you put down, the more you have to pay over time. The less you put, the more you put down, the less you have to pay over time. And so this incentivizes bigger down payments to get monthly payments lower. If they still say no, you ask if they still want the product, just like before. If they do, you pull your chair to their side of the table and walk them through the options. That's how this works. That's the seesaw downsell. It's an alternative path that I felt obligated to at least share with you guys. The thing is I think with larger sales teams, just having very clear step downs. Sometimes seesaw downselling can get really weird payment plans. And so this is for bigger companies. If you have like a finance department, they might hate seesaw downselling but if you're owner operated, then you can kind of work out whatever payment plans work. And it is a more flexible way to make payment plans happen. The 7-step one is more like it's ironclad. This is our first stop. This is our second stop. This is our third stop. And then that way your finance team can be like, these are the plans. They're in the CRM. We track them accordingly, whatever. And so it depends on the size of the business. Seesaws, smaller business, more flexible stuff. The step downs has more scale to it, in my opinion. All right. So payment plans have built-in upsells. So this is one of those really key, sexy things that a lot of people miss out on, and we've made a lot of money from it. So make periodic offers for the original paid in full discount during their payment plan. So we give a prepayment discount. What you can do is also extend the timeline that they can prepay and still get the discount. So if you're in any kind of B2B business, especially anything marketing or sales driven, if you're helping them make more money in their business, which the vast majority of B2B businesses do, then you can say, hey, no worries. You might not trust us fully today. Let's get a third down. We'll get going. And then I'll still give you this prepayment discount for the next 30 days. I'll honor it. So then at the 2 weeks and 3 weeks point, you can say, hey, do you want to go ahead and do that? Hey, we're about a week before the term expires. Do you want to go ahead and take care of the rest of the balance and still get the discount? If you've done a decent job, a lot of people are like, yeah, I'll take the savings because now they know you. And so we get a ton of people who take that prepayment if you just extend the window and you say it on the sale. You say it on the sale after they don't take, obviously, the first prepayment. And you do that after you've already closed the card. You're kind of telling them what the next steps are. Okay, fewer decline payments. So align payment schedule with paycheck dates. That should seem straightforward. When they get paid is when you should bill. That way you have fewer declines, fewer insufficient funds. How to make sure payment plans make you money. So after implementing payment plans, if you hadn't done these before, your close rate should increase. Duh. But if the number of paid in fulls goes down, you have a problem. It means you're actually getting people who used to pay you in full are now taking payment plans. So those are the big points. All right. Summary. Payment plan downsell spread the cost of a product by charging some of it up front and putting the rest into scheduled payments. Payment plans get more buyers like discounts do, but can also boost profits because they agree to pay in full price over time. It's kind of the best of both worlds. Payment plans only grow your business if they get you more customers and those customers actually pay. Seesaw downselling gradually shifts from paid in full to equal payments. It's a little bit more custom and it's a little bit more headache on the back end. If you have a small business, you can probably handle it. If you have a bigger business, it can be kind of a pain. Payment plan upsells, they get the original discounted price if they pay the balance today or up to X period of time before that discount expires. Align the payment schedules with paycheck schedules and you will get fewer decline payments. These are the 7 steps of the downsell process. full price, then offer a discount if they paid in full. Step 2, third-party financing, credit card financing, and the layaway options. Step 3, split the payment in 2 and schedule on their paycheck dates. Step 4, ask if they still want the product. This is the off-ramp to a feature downsell. If it's 8 or above, you're good to go. If it's below that, I would suggest switching the features around. Step 5, split the payments into 3, schedule on their paycheck dates or monthly. Step 6, schedule equal payments over the entire duration of time they're working for you. Step 7, offer a free trial in exchange for putting a guard down, which I will cover in depth in the next video. 2 quick pro tips. Number 1, if you're like, what do I pay salespeople on a payment plan? I have always compensated off cash collected today. Main reason for that is that requires more salesmanship, and that aligns the interest of the salesman with the interest of the business, which is getting paid today. And if someone goes on a payment plan and then you do a great job and they continue to pay, that's more the success of the onboarding team, the delivery team, which means that you should be able to save any excess commissions on a payment plan for people on the back end if they're the ones making sure they're getting paid. So that's number 1. Number 2, if you have a recurring revenue business, people are like, well, how do you do payment plans in a recurring revenue business? You simply state the annual contract as the price. So let's say it's $3,000 a month for whatever your service is. You say, hey, it's $36,000. And if you prepay for a year of service, you get it for $30,000, right? If not, no sweat. And then you go into whatever your monthly payments at $3,000 a month. If with a recurring service, you might only have 2 step downs instead of 7 because you might not have all these kind of like evenly spliced things. That's more for kind of upfronts or defined end periods things. And with that being said, now we go on to free trials. All right, so we just completed payment plan downsells. And if you get to the end of the 7 steps and someone's like, I still don't want to pay you, or I still don't have the money, either way, you can offer a free trial. And I've run a lot of free trials in my life, and I think there's a wrong way to do them and a better way to do them, and I will explain the better way. So, same 5 as always. Let's break down how I learned this puppy. So, we were scaling Gym Launch, and we needed an HR platform. And Layla was looking at all these different platforms, and she ended up going with this one. And I was like, well, what made you, pick that platform versus the other? She was like, honestly, they were all more or less the same. But these guys said they charged me $500. And if I attended the 2 or 3 training sessions, they would rebate me the $500. But if I didn't attend the onboarding and training sessions, they would keep it. And so, of course, I attended the sessions, and now I know how to use their software, and I don't feel like learning anyone else's. And so they actually got a customer, and we stayed with that platform for years because of a really interesting way of basically doing a free trial. Now, theirs was they charged and then did a rebate, but I saw the structure and was like, ooh, this is really interesting. And so I was like, what if we did trials like this? And so that's what we started doing. And so I call it a trial with penalty. That sounds ugly. That's how I call it internally. You wouldn't say that to somebody, but it's a trial with penalty. So basically, a customer can try out your product or service for free so long as they meet your terms. For comparison, the win your money back offer, the attraction offer, gives customers the chance to get their money back if they meet the terms. In a trial with penalty offer, customers only pay if they don't meet the terms. So the win your money back and the free trial with penalty are virtually the same offer. We're just changing when they pay and how they pay. So they'll mirror the actions and results that you used in win your money back. But this time we use avoiding fees rather than winning your money back as the incentive for adherence. So they avoid penalties rather than get or losing their money that they paid originally. All right, so with a trial with penalty, this isn't here's my thing, see if you like it. It's here's my thing, you get it for free so long as you do this stuff, which makes you a perfect fit for my next offer. And if you don't, then you have to pay for it. So it's kind of like a win-win for you because if they don't do it, then they pay. And if they do it, then they're going to be really likely to buy the next thing. Now, I'm going to give you some weights. So if they don't do it, then they pay and they didn't want to pay originally. I'll cover how to get around that weirdness. Let's say you normally close 3 out of 10 people on your attraction offer, and now you downsell another 4 on a trial with penalty. Then after the trial finishes, you upsell 3 of them. So you go from 3 sales to 6 sales, which doubles your customers. I use this as a downsell, but it could also be used as a front end. So I don't prefer to advertise this. I prefer to present this after someone already said no to giving me money. Some people advertise this as how they get customers. It's up to you. Obviously, that HR company advertised it as how they get customers. So if you really want to help people, convincing them to put some skin in the game is a great way to do it. And so one of my sales rules is that everyone buys something who's qualified. And so I love that as a concept. It's like everyone should buy. Like if they're qualified and we have the thing, every person should buy. The terms may change, but everyone should buy. So here's the difference between trials and penalties and rebates. A trial is you just get a card and then bill them later. A penalty slash incentive is you get a card and bill later, and also if they don't complete their activation activities. So the fees are associated with non-consumption and not showing up to other sales consultations. Remember the 4 things we had in the Win Your Money Back is you want to have them advertise your business, you want to have them show up for sales consults, you want to do things that get them results, and there's another one. I can't remember what it was, but there's 4, and those are the main ones. All right. So you want to associate them doing the things to get them results, because if they get results, then they'll probably want to buy. All right. So they're not here for a trial. They're here to solve a problem. So solve it, because trials don't do anything. Them taking actions is what's going to solve their problem. And if someone has a problem with that, it's an easy thing to get around. Think about the logic. If someone says, I'm not willing to commit to that, you're like, well, do you want the outcome? They're going to say yes. It's like, well, you have to do this stuff to get the outcome. So if you don't plan on doing this stuff, then you're never going to get the outcome. This is just the easiest way that I can give you all this service for free. If you really do want to do this, I do want to do this, great, then you're not going to pay anything because you're going to follow through. And this just gives you added incentive to do it. And if this doesn't work for you, then certainly nothing else will. So let's walk through some examples. So I'll do a B2C version, so business to consumer, and then I'll do a B2B. So let's say you do a business to consumer offer, 28-day, kick that habit blueprint, whatever, right? So you get the trial for free and avoid the penalty fee. You must, or to get the trial for free and avoid the penalty fee, you must attend all your consulting calls, post your progress in the group once a week, journal daily in our app, and attend feedback sessions and transformation sessions, AKA the upsell opportunities. Business to business offer, 5-day get your first 5 clients challenge. All right. To get the trial for free and avoid the penalty fee, you must send 100 outbound messages per day, report stats on the outbound messages, attend the daily training, post in the group daily once you've done the homework, attend your graduation call, which is the upsell opportunity. And so these look really similar to what the Win Your Money Back ones were, because they're the same thing. Now, let's say you had a therapy business. So offer a free 28-day breakthrough therapy, free trial plus penalty. You're going to need to do the homework before each session and show up. If you don't do the homework, you're not going to get the results that you want. And if you don't show up, obviously you're not going to get better. This will give you an added incentive to get better faster. So we charge a $50 non-compliance fee for not doing the homework or not doing the session. If you don't do the homework, then we can't help you in the session. Fair enough. You just explain it, how it works. Now, in this 28-day thing, you can have all the fees add up to the exact same amount of money that you would have charged in a Win Your Money Back. So if they have, call it 10 things they have to do over X period of time, and it's a $500 thing, then you charge $50 per thing. Now, if some things are more important than others, let's say sales consultations, then you can make those ones $100 or $150 and the other things $25. You want to weight the prices based on the importance for you as a business and for them getting results. So here's my actual step down process of how I sell free trials. So number 1 is you offer the trial last. If someone makes it clear that they don't want your first offer, then downsell the trial with penalty. So here's how it might sound. Well, that sure is a pickle. I'll tell you what. How about we just get you started for free? Would you be okay with that? Great. We can help you out, and if you like it, you can stay. Just let me get your ID and we get the process started. Fair enough? By the way, here's a little savage pro tip if you're in person or you're seeing the person via Zoom. When you ask someone for their ID, they have to take their wallet out. When they take their wallet out, they can't say they forgot their wallet. And so now you get the card, they can hold it up to the camera or they can give it to you in person. And then you take that. And what I like to do is I like to fill out the contract for them for a number of reasons. One is when they fill out the contract, you kind of stare there like a weirdo, which is not fun. So instead you fill out the contract and then you can make jokes about whatever's going on. You're like, oh man, I should show you my picture. It's brutal. Oh, you're from Idaho originally. That's interesting. Oh, you know what? My cousin lives out there, blah, 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 right? You're going through and you're filling this out. And you also make sure that everything's filled out properly and they didn't mess up the form, whatever. So then the way I would do it is I had the card between my fingers, my index fingers, and I would look at their wallet and I'd be like, I'll trade you for whatever card you want to use. And I would motion towards the card, but I have this as collateral. It sounds small, but these tiny things are like how you facilitate sales. So then they would then hand me the card they want to use. And then yet again, I copied the card on because it's very easy for someone to fat finger a number. And then all of a sudden I can't run the card later. So by doing it this way, I made sure that the card number was correct and put in the proper place on the contracts that we're in. If you did an iPad, it works the same way. If you do it on the phone, you can have them show you the card either way. And if you're not the one who's immediately processing transactions, you've got a separate finance team, this becomes more important, especially if there's any delay between purchase and running the transaction. This also avoids I don't have the card I want to use, I don't have my wallet on me. It gets around all of that stuff. So just a pro tip. All right. So first thing we do, we offer trials last. That's how I'd say it. Always get a credit card. So you record their information, you hold on to the ID, motion for the credit card, say what card do you want to use. Now, they have to leave a card. This is a key point. If they balk, just say, this is gonna sound so ridiculous for me to say this. I, believe it or not, failed at closing a lot of free trials in the early days. I had a tough time. People would come in for a 14-day trial, and I'd be like, "Awesome, let's get you signed up." And I'd be like, "So what card do you want to use?" They're like, "You said it was free." And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Well, I'll give you my card after the 14 days." And I was like, I mean, um, okay, I guess. And I didn't know what to do. So this line came out of my mouth, and then I don't want to say I literally never missed another trial again, but I really want to say I never missed another trial again. So here's how it would go. They would say, we do the whole contract, and I'd be like, awesome, what card can I put down just so I can complete your account profile? So one is it's not to bill it, it's just to complete your account profile. And if they balked and they were like, I thought this thing was free, I'm like, oh, 100% it is. This is how we've always done it. And by appealing to authority, this hypothetical person who makes policy and rules, everyone just says, okay, and they just hand it to you. I have no idea why it works. I just know that it works. And say, this is how we've always done it. That's it. You just shrug and you say, it's how we've always done it. Always sell staying and paying. So remember, at this point, it's actually a takeaway sale for you now. So they've agreed. You try to sell them, and you're at the end, and they're like, it feels like they're like not as interested. Now you have to remember the leverage shifts because now you're giving them stuff for free. They have to prove why they deserve to get it after you said they had to pay for it. So you say, listen, I'm only going to do this and extend this honor to you of me working for free to help you get this thing if you do some things for me. All right. So you ask directly. So if this program got you the result, will you stay long term? If the person says no, fuck it. The whole point of the trial, the whole point of the thing is to get them as a customer. If they're not interested in that, fine. Now, if you advertise a free trial, then you need to offer whatever you advertise. But the way I said, remember, I use it last. It's not what I advertise. I offer it under terms. And so you don't want them to begin with if they don't agree to staying long term. And the reason I ask that is I don't want you to try it. I want you to get results. And out of integrity, I want to set realistic goals. You're not going to hit your long-term goals during this trial, just to be really perfectly clear. But you will establish habits that will help you get there. And we're going to help you do that for free. But if you want to get your long-term results, you're going to have to stay on after. I just want to make sure that you're not looking for some sort of quick fix. When you say it like that, people are like, got it. You're like, because listen, I can't ethically promise you that. And as soon as you say that, you now have the moral high ground. They can't say shit to you. All right. And so that's how you sell staying and paying. So now that you've said, okay, I'll do it for free, everyone's like, okay, sure, I'll do it for free. And you're like, oh, no, not so fast, Susan. If you get the result you stand, okay. Do you think you're going to accomplish this in the time period? You're going to get progress. You're not going to get to your goal. I want to set that expectation up front. So as long as you're comfortable with this, I'm happy to give this little test run, this Kickstarter for you. But I'm only in this for the long term, Susan. And I think, and I want to ask you directly, are you in this for the long term? They say yes, you're in. You have now sold the idea of them staying long term. If you can't sell that for free, one, you need to work on sales, but they also might just not be a good prospect. Step 4. So now you sell consumption commitment. So explain the fees after getting the card. Very key. So at this point in the sale, right, we said, cool, let's get the trial started. I have your ID. Let's get the card, sign it. You sell the idea of staying long-term. Awesome. Now, once we have the card, we have the payment information. Now we basically get agreement on terms. It's much easier to get agreement on terms post getting purchasing method rather than pre. I'm just giving you guys this off of years of experience. Just use it if you want. All right. So I say something like this. I say, listen, so we're going to do our part as long as you do yours. And that's fair, right? Okay, cool. So now I just ask that you bet on yourself. So if you miss or skip any stuff, your results are going to suffer. So we charge to keep you on track. If you miss, no big deal. You'll get dinged a little bit, but it's not going to get you off track. It'll get you back on track with that little ding. All right. So if you follow through, you're going to get all of this stuff that I told you earlier for free. So this is the best way that we can get you amazing results and keep it free for you. So it's the best of both worlds. Now that last line I used more times than I can count, which is this is the best way that I can get you results and still keep it free. It's the best of both worlds. I'd say that a lot of times it works. Note, if you explain the fees before you get the card, you'll get way more resistance and way more like, what about this? And why is this? If you explain it afterwards with the same, like, this is just how we've always done it attitude, people will agree, or they'll tend to agree at far higher likelihood. And the last point that I'll make is that I always have them initial next to each fee they're agreeing to. And so again, you don't want to have like 19 sets of fees. You want to have as few things as that are important to you. So it'll usually be the sales consults they have to attend, whatever the key metric for them getting results are, and maybe them doing some advertising for you. Because remember, you're doing this for free. So they might as well do some advertising for you. They got to post, they got to, give you a testimonial at the end, whatever. So they have to agree to doing those things. If you're going to give a free trial, get some stuff for it. That's the whole point of this. If you're going to give, you should get. So that's step 4, is that we get the card, then we explain the terms, then we have them initial next to all the fees that are associated. We explain why we have the fees, which is for their benefit. It's the only way we could still ethically tell you that we could help you get results and keep it free, that we get the best of both worlds. Done. Great. So now, I like making the check-ins required. That's basically just an explanation of the fees. So I would say, all right, yep, and you agree to attend each of these 3 check-ins. The first time we do X so that you can. The second time we do Y so that you can. The third time we do Z so that you can. Obviously, we charge if you miss these 3 because it's the only way we can get your results. So this is me explaining how I would explain each of the kind of clauses that I'm having them initial next to. So this would be like the sales consults. Now, again, I'm not going to call them sales consults. I'd say, hey, you got to attend nutrition so that we can fix your food. You got to attend the progress meeting so that we can adjust the nutrition to keep the results coming. And you got to attend the transformation meeting at the end so we can get your after pictures. That should make sense, right? Yes. Okay, cool. Done. Right? This is like, there's not a lot to object to there. The question is, okay, well, how do trials make me money? So this is how I upsell from a trial. But everything I just went through is how my step-by-step process for selling a trial with penalty, which will get you far more customers and long-term commitment than just telling someone to put a card and wish for the best. So when someone takes a trial, one of 3 things happen. They like it, they hate it, or they don't use it. So here's how I upsell in each of those scenarios. So if they like it, this is the easy one. You already set them up for automatic billing because it's a trial. Great. So meet with them anyways during the transformation meeting or whatever meeting you want to have close to the middle or close to the end. And you still offer the longer term or higher value version of your service, or both. All right. So again, they just didn't trust you enough in the beginning. So let's say you have 3 sales consultations where you sell different stuff or have potentials for upgrades. At the first and the second, you should still absolutely pitch the next thing because now they're in, they've had a taste. The whole dynamic completely have shifted. All right. And so successful customers tend to get even more value out of your better and more profitable stuff. So it's ethical for you to make the offer to them. If you can help, help. Now, let's say they hate it. Turn the frown upside down. So ask them what they would have liked to be different. Tell them they're totally right and that you're angry at yourself for missing this. Do not blame them. Only one person can be angry, and it needs to be you. Ask if they'll give you a chance to make it up to them because of how outraged you are at their terrible experience. And now, since you better understand their needs, that they're a better fit for your new higher level thing, then offer them that. Yes, this is a sale. And yes, about half of people, believe it or not, buy this. They come in for this free trial. They wanted more everything, whatever. And you say, that's on me. I suck. I'm so pissed for you. That should never have happened. I should have offered you this, and that's because I didn't listen, and I should have listened better. So let me make it up to you. Sell this thing. Now, let's say they didn't use it. You reach out to people multiple times before you get to this point, ideally. But when you do that, you explain that you need to meet with them. You offer to waive the fees, because remember they signed that they were going to do stuff. I don't want the $50 fees. Don't care at all. I do that just to hold them accountable, and I tell them that. I offer to waive the fee if they get back on track, right? So now you can get them back on track, or again, offer something better. So I say, me personally, I don't like billing non-starters because it's like a great way to get 1-star reviews. I prefer not to have great ways to get 1-star reviews. And a small fee isn't worth that, but it's your choice. It's up to you. So I personally just use the fees as leverage to get them back in because that's where I'm going to get the long-term lifetime value. A couple other tidbits. So to tweak your trial to get the most customers. If no one takes your trial, lower the requirements or the priorities. If people take your trial but don't follow through, emphasize explaining how the fees help them and make sure that you include meetings as mandatory. Like you have to highlight it. That's why I have the little separate lines for them to initial and I walk through it with them. Don't let them read it. Explain each one, get them to nod, then initial. All right. If people don't stay on the back end, better emphasize the value of staying and paying. That's the early part where I said, hey, if we get you the results, would you stay? We added that back in to our scripting when I saw my guys weren't doing it and we weren't getting as many ascensions. We added it back in and then way more trials started ascending. Let people make up for goofs. So people often get discouraged after getting billed, but you can offer the opportunity to make it up. So this does a great job of getting people back on track and converting. But if they miss that, you're justified in billing them. So I don't see like if they miss something, you reach out again. You say, hey, I'll make it, I'll waive it. Just come back in. If they miss the next one, it's up to you. I usually don't, but I think that is you're completely justified in billing at that point. In terms of naming, just call it a trial. Just say we do it in a special way. And the way we do it gets people results rather than not results. That's pretty much it. So even though the trial with penalty has some special features, you should just call it a trial. Otherwise, people may get scared or confused and no one wants to be penalized. All right. And if they ask you why you do free trials this way, just reply with, "It's how we've always done it." Pay less now or pay more later versus trial with penalty. So I use pay less now or pay more later as a downsell for physical products or one-time services. I use trial with penalty as a downsell for recurring products or services. Also, I've only made this work in businesses where the customer has to do work to get results. So if you find other types of businesses that this works for, these trials where they don't have to do anything, let me know. For the most part, though, it's usually when somebody has to do something. Oftentimes, like software, you usually have to do a lot of stuff in the software. Services, it's common for customers to have to do a bunch of stuff. That's more normal. Discounts get card on file. So some people get weird when you offer free stuff and then ask for a card. And if you have a super low price, it justifies the card. So a small price means the card will probably work when automatic payments start. So instead of a free month, you might offer a first month for $1, or then X dollars per month when it recurs. And so if you want, you can offer for $1, $1 down, $10 down, whatever. If you have a hard time with it. Anybody who has any acumen in sales should never have an issue closing a free trial with a card. Personally, rebates are a little tougher, but they work the same way. You just get them to pay up front. So I consider rebates similar to win your money back, but usually for smaller in scope. So just get them to do the thing you need them to do, and then they get the rebate. So that was kind of like the story that I gave with Layla. So she paid $500. She had to attend 2 webinars or 3 webinars. Very clear, very small, very straightforward. That's where rebates are kind of nice, rather than billing. Because the thing is, the rebate, the card works because they paid for it, and then they get it rebated, which is basically a rollover onto their service afterwards. So those are the important points. Quick summary. In a trial with penalty offer, customers can try our product or service for free so long as they meet your terms. Trial with penalty downsell offers get yeses from people who would have said no. To do them, you get the card, get the commitment, explain why they have to do it to get the results, the meetings they have to attend, and what happens if they don't do it. And use the same refund criteria from your win your money back, the attraction offer number 1, to create your trial with penalty criteria. This way, at the end of the trial, they've done the stuff that makes a great long-term customer, and they advertise your business for you. Breakup fees, you can charge by criteria, or you can charge a lump fee. I like breaking them up. So you can either say it's $50 for each of these occurrences, or you can just say if you mess up any of these, you pay the full boat. I prefer the small dings, because then people are like, "Oh, I missed one. Now I shouldn't even try," right? I don't like that. You make money by getting people results and turning them into customers, not nickel and diming them with fees. My personal opinion. So use mid-trial check-ins to make more offers. If they love it, give them more of what they love. If they have problems, swap it for what makes sense for them. If they aren't using it, offer the ability to make it up to avoid the fees. This style of trial converts as much or a much higher percentage on the back end, which is why I do them. It retains goodwill because you actually look like you're trying to help, which you are, and you get agreement before explaining the fees, just as a quick reminder, because it's super important. And you can always do normal trial as a down sell and remove that, but at that point, I don't even think that person really is, they're just trying to leave. And remember, everyone buys something. That's free trials. So we just covered payment plans and free trials, or trial with penalties, whatever you want to say it. Now we have the third and final of the downsell offers, which I like to call feature downsells. Let's begin. The same 5: how I learned it, description, examples, important points, and summary. Look how clean this drawing looks. So nice. Okay, so fundamentally, you want to buy the thing. No, it's too much. I remove some features. I say, how about now? That's how this works. All right, so how I learned it. A friend of mine told me that he had 3x his close rate last quarter from 25% to 75%. And I was like, what on God's earth did you do? And so I asked him if he used a payment plan or a discount. And he said neither. And I was like, okay, how does that work? He said he lowered his price by removing a feature. And I was like, well, what feature did you remove? And he said, my guarantee. I was like, what? He said, yeah, so I have my $4,000 thing. And then people say, no, I can't afford that. And he says, no worries. He said, I can do it for $2,000. I just won't give you a guarantee. And then what happens is people see the value of the guarantee now, and then they reclose themselves on the higher priced offer. And so we went from 25 out of 100 people buying the expensive thing to 35 buying an expensive thing and 40 buying the downsell. That's how I learned the feature downsell process. So here's the description. So feature downsells lower prices by changing what the customer gets. So here we're actually lowering prices. All the other examples were changing terms. Here we lower prices. And I do them by offering less quantity, less quality, lower price alternatives, or cutting optional components. So all features have a price and a value. This is where it gets really, really slick. If you remove something, the price goes down, sure, but the value goes down too. So what features you remove and how much you lower the price affects how good of a deal the person gets. So this changes in your offer's price to value affects how people buy. So people want to get the best deal for them. And so if you remove stuff they hate and then lower the price a lot, they get a great deal. If you remove stuff they love and lower the price a little, they get a worse deal. And this is where the science of feature downselling becomes really, really sexy. All right. So people will see the value in the thing you removed after they see the difference in price. As in, people will weigh how much money they save against how much value they lose. So feature downselling gets customers to re-upsell themselves on the more expensive offers. So this means that you want to remove features from highest to lowest value. Since people want more value for their money, this incentivizes customers to get the highest value purchase for them. Feature downsells have a simple formula. Take something away, lower the price, and in so many words, ask, how about now? So let's do some examples. So let's say we're downselling product and service quality. So for services, this might mean a lower amount, fewer sessions, less time, shorter duration. For products, it might mean fewer of them. All right, so a product quantity downsell would be, hey, instead of a 3-month supply, how about we start with just 1-month supply? A service quality downsell might be saying, instead of 4 sessions a month, why don't we start you at 2 sessions a month? So this is service and quantity. All right, so let's talk about product quality. So here's how we would downsell. You think about older versions, less reliable materials, materials of lower social status, etc. All right, so product quality. Say, instead of leather seats, how do vinyl seats work? How's that sound? Feature downselling service quality is a little bit more complex because there's a whole bunch of them. All right, so this means a lot of things, and I'll give you a few ways that I change the quality of services. And the hint is that this always works to increase service quality as well. So you can go the other direction as well. When you're thinking about each of these vectors of quality for services, you can make your more expensive thing have more of these. All right, so instead of a 5-minute response time, why don't we just start you at overnight response times? You'll still save some money, and you'll get your answers, just with a small delay. Here are some more service quality features. So time availability. So specific times versus whenever you want. Whenever you want is obviously more valuable. So if you're downselling, you'd say, all right, well, you can only come on these office hours rather than whenever you want. So days of week, so that would be Monday, Wednesday, Friday versus all days. It could be times of day, so 9 to 5 versus 24 hours. It could be amount of time, so you get 15 minutes support calls versus 60 minute support calls. It could be location availability. This is where one location versus all locations we own. It could be cancellations, which means you can have reschedule fees or it's free for you to reschedule. Speed of response, you can reply in minutes versus hours versus days. Speed of delivery, so you can wait in line versus priority versus same day versus next week. These are all different. Service ratio, one-on-one, one-on-many, many to one, which is the ultimate version of this. I have many of my team members on one person. Communication method, so text support versus chat support versus video support. You've got provider qualification. So is it the owner, a longtime employee, or a new employee who's super junior? Is it live versus recorded? So you can watch it happen now or watch it after it happens later. You can have in-person versus remote. Would you rather be here in person with me or watch it somewhere else? Would you rather do it yourself? Would you rather us do it with you? Or would you rather us do it for you? Expiration. So this thing works forever, or this only works X times, or only works at specific times. Personalization. Do you want it generic? Or do you want it made just for you? Insurance guarantees. So this is think of like lengths of time. So this works for 1 year or for life in terms of the guarantee. So coverage. This works when specific bad thing happens or works when any bad thing happens. Terms. Unconditional or only if you do X, Y, and Z. It's a conditional guarantee. So all of those things are quality service downsells, which you can also flip into upsells. But if you're thinking about like, man, how do I remove features? Well, you probably haven't even quantified half of these for yourself. So quantify what your service expectations are. You don't need to mention any of this stuff to somebody, but when you want to start peeling things back, you then tell them what it is and then remove it. So downselling by removing entire features. So rather than lowering quantity or quality, remove the feature itself. So in the story, he removed a guarantee. So instead of priority chat support, email support, and calls, why don't we just keep it to chat and email support, but drop the calls to save you some money? You'll still get your answers. It'll save us some time, and we can pass those savings on to you. So we remove this stuff, and then they can keep that stuff for a lower price. So feature downselling done for you to do it yourself. So this is a key one. This probably happens for a lot of service businesses. So some of you guys have like online trainings and things like that, one-to-many. that you're like, hey, what if I downsell something else? Most of the times you should just ignore it. But if you do insist, here's a way to do it. So if someone says no to all your service downsells, you can downsell another product that solves the same problem. So for a chiropractor, for example, you say, hey, instead of chiropractic adjustments, let's just start you with some tools you can do it yourself at home. Then you'd sell home massage tools, foam rollers, mats, etc. So this is just like the no sale that I had in the supplement thing, where someone doesn't come in, they don't want to buy the service, we say, fine, we'll do nutrition consult, and then we sell them the do-it-yourself version, which was the at-home thumb drive with nutritional support. But if you're going to do this other thing, what happens? You open up a whole other can of problems that we get to solve through them buying more stuff. If you're a painter, well, if you can't afford me painting your house, why don't I just give you the paint and let you lease one of our spray machines for daily use? Easy downsell. Alex Ramosi, instead of me and my team buying your company and actively growing your business, why don't you just attend a workshop? Cough, go to acquisition.com, right? That's the idea. So done for you is me and my whole team doing everything we possibly can for good, forever. Well, if I peel that back to, okay, well, just come to a workshop and you get a couple days and we're going to look at all the things that we would do. We'll tell you exactly what we do, but it would be in an hour rather than for life. It's 2 days. The hour is if you're with one of our experts. Okay, so let's do important points. So remember, never negotiate price. Maintain the position of a helpful guide. So remember, feature downselling means trying to find the best deal for them. You can have unlimited shots on goal with a customer as long as you remain helpful. You're like, totally understand. Let's see if we can figure out something that'll work for you. No one's offended by that. If you're like, oh, if you don't do that, do this. It's like, it feels a little icky. So you just want to keep that frame back foot of like, let's just find something that works for you, man. Tweak. Okay, this is important. So tweak your feature downsell process. So we have the job of making the product have the highest value to cost in the eyes of the customer. But in the beginning, you won't know much about your customer preferences. So as you solve the same problems for the same type of customer, you want to learn what they find most valuable. And then you'll start standardizing it, because if everyone has the same order of importance or preference, then when you remove things, you can remove things in a specific order. Like my friend removed the guarantee and he knew that that got the highest amount of uptakes. All right. So here's how I standardize my downsell process. So first I cut something valuable and lower the price a little bit. All right. So that's exactly what he did. So he had his guarantee thing. He lowered the price. Now I said 2,000. I don't remember what he lowered his price as, but if let's say it was $4,000 and he says, okay, well, I'll remove the guarantee and offer it for 3,500. Because it's a tiny amount different and I took something really valuable away, they're like, oh no, I'd rather have this. So they re-upsell themselves because I took something really valuable and decreased the price a little. Now, at this point, if they say no to that, I do that to get them to reconsider the original price. If that fails, I continue removing features and lowering prices until they buy. So I'd rather have people get something rather than getting nothing. Now, at this point, the next feature I would typically remove, I would have a big decrease in price, because now I'm saying, okay, this might be a price issue. So now I'm going to try and take away things that they don't care about with a big decrease in price, and now I'm increasing the value. So basically, the first one is like a hip check of like, big valuable thing like a guarantee, tiny decrease in price, they re-upsell. If they don't re-upsell, then we say, hey, let's put the guarantee back in and let's take this other feature away and take a massive amount off the price. And then at that point, they're like, oh, wow, less of this thing I don't care about and way lower price. Sounds good to me. All right. Now, if you want, you can start naming your feature combination, first class, business class, economy, as you remove features and change prices. Now, I prefer to name my cheapest combination, remember the rental car story, the minimum. So I like it because it implies that they have to get at least that thing. And if someone rejects all of the packages, I just say, so nothing more than the minimum package then? Same as they told me. And we do that because it always only works. Doesn't always work, but it's very effective. Okay, so just like we have our temperature check during the payment plan downsell process, we also have a temperature check during the feature downsell process. So if you make 2 changes in a row and they still refuse, make sure they still want the thing. You still say the same, hey, real quick, just to make sure that we're on the same scale here. 1 to 10, how bad do you want this thing? Now, again, if they say 8 to 10, cool, we're going to figure out something that'll work for you. They say less than 10, it's like, hey, maybe I need to reconfigure this thing, or let's just figure out different terms of payment. And you actually cross-sell back to the payment plan downsells. So 8 or above, start payment plan downselling. After each downsell, ask deal or fair enough. And this is something that I've just found that works ridiculously well with feature downsells or payment plan downsells, is that you're fundamentally kind of in like a barter mode, not in a bad way. It's just like, hey, let me make this work for you. So if we did this, would that work for you? Right? Does that sound fair? That like deal? that work, when you say those types of things, people have a hard time denying reciprocity. And so you say, I want this thing. You say, got it. I will meet your terms. I will remove this thing, but now you will meet my price. Fair enough. And if you do that 2 or 3 times, it's very hard for people to say no because it's hard for them to say, no, that's not fair. And my podcast, episode 202, I give a full verbal breakdown of exactly how I say this with tonality. So if you want to listen to my podcast, episode 202, Alex Hormozi, The Game, you can listen to me actually walking this through. And so if you've got sales guys who do downsells, like highly recommend. Now, free orientations boost do-it-yourself feature downsells. So let me explain what I mean. So I ask, so even though we're not going to work together, so this is like now they're not buying anything on X. I still want to help. This is like the nutrition thing. How about you just come to a free orientation on X tomorrow? At the end of the orientation, I offer a DIY product that solves the same problem as the done for you services, just at a lower price. So I could also say, come to our home painters orientation. And so at the home painting orientation, I could then sell the daily rental of my machines and some buckets of paint for them to go do it. Right? That's the idea. So we just have another way, another version of our offer that doesn't take much time from us for them to do it and still pay us. Now, just as little pro tips here, highly recommend feature downselling your guarantee. Tiny decrease in price, remove guarantee. Many people will re-upsell themselves. And you can also feature downsell current customers. So this is a pro tip. So we found across our portfolio companies something really interesting. So when we compared LTV across all service segments, there was a service segment that was unbeknownst to me, that was the second highest LTV. And the reason that it was unbeknownst to me or interesting was that they were at a far lower price. So typically the highest LTV customers are the ones that pay the most. But in this instance, the churn was so low on these low to mid-priced customers that they ended up being worth a lot of money. And so this is what was different about this particular customer group. The customers that we in our companies had proactively went to, this is after we've already sold them stuff, said, hey, you're only using 4 out of the 6 services that we offer, or you're only using 4 out of the 6 features. Did you know that you can get these 4 features at this lower rate? People are like, oh, no, I didn't know that. And as soon as we say, great, well, why don't I just go ahead and take care of that for you and I'll just lower you to this rate. That way you have the better deal for you. Those people never leave. So if you have people, there's this big misnomer. It's like, well, I want to just, hopefully I'll just build them as long as I can. No. Find the, like, hey, I get where you're coming from. This blew my mind, which is why I'm sharing it with you. If you see people aren't using your stuff, they're going to cancel. And I have tons of data to support this on the gym side. I'm sure it works across all businesses. But if people don't consume the stuff, they cancel at a much faster rate. And so it's much easier to just adjust down the price to match what they actually use, because that's what they're actually getting value from. And then they're like, wow, these guys are ethical and honest. They proactively asked me to pay less. I love these guys. They went from being like, I might cancel because I'm not using some of this stuff, to these guys are amazing because they initiated it. So sure, you can do this on a cancellation call. That's kind of like a last chance, but you get the goodwill if you do it by you reaching out to them. And this is the last one that I love. This is the only way that you can lower your price. All right, so you can quote me here. This is the big exception, that you can lower your price without changing what you give them. And that's because you change what they give you. So let's say I have a $500 thing and they say, I just absolutely cannot afford anything less than $400. And I say, totally understand. But for $400, you would do it. Yes. Okay. I will accept that under these terms. So now I've changed the offer. I say, I'll do that if you leave me reviews on all these sites, you leave me testimonials, you post every day, and you send me 2 referrals right now. Introduce me to 2 people. By doing this, I then trade $100 for what is hopefully more valuable to me than $100 of advertising. And so every person can do other stuff. And so fundamentally, this is price plus barter. So if somebody comes to me, and I did this, if somebody comes to me and says, hey, Susan signed up for $400 and I signed up for $600. I'm like, oh, do you want to do what Susan did? Because I would love that. Because Susan cleans my gym for me every day. And she also introduced me to 3 of her friends and she posts on Facebook every day. Do you want to do that? We can get you set up right now. And they're like, oh, I'll keep the 600. I'm like, got it. No worries. So you absolutely have your ass covered because these are the terms under which Susan did pay less. And so if someone absolutely no way can pay less, barter. because there's always some things that they can do for you. And most of the time, that's going to be in the form of advertising. They can leave you reviews, they can leave you testimonials, and they can send you friends. So, summary. So, feature downsells lower prices by removing stuff. You take something away, lower the price, can ask, how about now? Typical feature downsells offer less quantity, less quality, cheaper alternatives, or remove features altogether. People tend to see the value in what you removed after they see the price difference. You may get more people to take the more expensive stuff by doing it this way. If you remove stuff they hate and lower the price a lot, more people will take the downsell. If you remove stuff they love and lower the price a little, more people will take the original offer. So the first downsell gets them to reconsider my first offer. The rest of my downsells get them to consider the best deal for them. If a prospect rejects multiple downsells, see if they still want your thing before continuing. This is the 8 to 10 thing. If a prospect likes a combination of features but still doesn't like the price, start payment plan downselling, which is very effective at this point, because now you've really got this thing right for them. It's like, okay, this is a suite of features. This is the price. They're like, no, this is everything I want. I just can't afford it. And you're like, can you afford it in general or not afford it today? And they're like, today. Cool. Then let's break this out. How can you do half now? How can you get paid? And then you go down that path. Now, you can feature downsell existing customers before they cancel, which actually extends the LTV, and you can discount customers in exchange for them advertising your business. Those are feature downsells. And finishes or concludes our downsell offer section. And in the next and final of the four prongs, we talk about continuity offers.